Barrigan didn't die like everyone thought. He survived through his crown, and fell into the elemental countries before being found by the Shodaime Hokage only to be sealed away out of fear. Many years later, Naruto finds the crown in the forbidden scroll of sealing, and puts it on, with interesting results.
Kyone fidgeted in front of her new master. The realization and humiliation from the fact what had befallen her had reached the deepest recesses of the brain. After hearing what Tsunade decided would be her punishment for the actions she took against Naruto, the former kunoichi of Konoha was taken to the T&I department by her now former friend Anko, and it was clear that Naruto's Jounin sensei was enjoying this way too much. How did Kyone know this? The former student of Orochimaru kept talking about how Naruto should probably have her wearing the sexist maid outfit on the S&M market that would do little in hiding his new servant's body to everyone with fully functioning eyes. It made Kyone shiver when Anko said that, and again when entering the room, where one Marino Ibiki was waiting since he had been given a heads up in advance by Tsunade. The scarred man, who was essentially Anko's boss at the T&I, explained to Kyone the rules and procedures regarding her new life in being a servant. Kyone simply nodded in understanding, but her mind had been on autopilot the whole time, as she could barely comprehend what had happened to her life, and where it was now headed. The mark that would symbolize Kyone's new life was a seal placed on her shoulder, not unlike where Anko's curse seal had been on her body, and a drop of blood provided by Naruto, who she later learned had kept hidden in the shadows the whole time, bound her to the red-haired boy. It was only when she had arrived at the Namake's estates, in the presence of Namake's Minato, his wife Kushina, and their son, and her new master, that she fully understood what had happened. She was a servant to the boy she hated, that she had tried to get close to in order to kill later when the opportunity had presented itself during her unauthorized leave to Wave Country, while impersonating a genin. Looking at the three individuals she now stood in front of, Kyone saw one blushing while trying to glare at her with anger, one was seething with hate for multiple reasons, and one kept his face impassive while being unreadable, with the boy being the latter of them all. Kushina was the seething one. "Am I to your liking, Naruto-sama?" asked Kyone nervously while standing in front of her master, as she was in her new attire in the form of a maid, which, as she feared, had been provided by Anko, and was watching from behind them with a smirk on her face. "It is acceptable, Kyone, for now," replied Naruto as he looked from Kyone to Anko, and saw the woman grin at him like she was saying "You're welcome," for providing the clothing. "She should be aged to that of an old woman and made to work her old bones to dust," offered Kushina, as she saw the woman's figure was indeed amazing, and would no doubt inspire lust to rise one day within her son, and possibly her husband, something she would not allow no either front. "Sure, ruin my fun," whispered Anko while pouting, but the glare Kushina shot her way shut her up, and whistled nonchalantly. "In any case, some new servant-based clothing will be provided for future use, since the clothing that Anko had provided will no doubt cause distractions," commented Naruto, though he had to admit, if only to himself, the outfit was sexy, and it did take effort to hold back the blush that wanted to manifest itself. He may be mature beyond his years now thanks to everything that had happened to him recently, but his body was still in the developing and growing stages that all boys go through. "Thank you, Naruto-sama," replied Kyone while inside she felt part of her seething at being in this situation. The seal along her right shoulder began to burn slightly, a simple means to enforcing the fact that any negative thoughts towards her master would not be tolerated. The more she felt angry because of Naruto, the greater the burning pain would become, and was meant to enforce positive thoughts. Granted, she would have to think positive thoughts about her new master, but that was her choice, and Kyone decided to stay neutral at this point. She could withstand a little pain if a few negative ones came along. "Your list of duties here will be short yet simple. Mornings will involve waking me up, my parents, and preparing breakfast for us. There will be times when making lunch and dinner will be expected at times when ordered by either of us. Cleaning and maintenance of the house will be done daily or every other day when allowed. Because you are a former shinobi of Konoha, you are allowed to train in the arts to keep those skills sharp, and defend this home as if it were your own," commanded Naruto, with him motioning for her to follow him while showing her around the house. "Yes, Naruto-sama," replied Kyone while watching walk with a purpose, and it actually took a bit of effort to keep up with his stride to ensure she didn't get too far behind him. "When I am not around, my parents will be in charge. Even Haku if she wishes to use your services for something, and my future wives. However, none of their orders they give can override mine, and in the event they are not around either, I expect your time being autonomous to be used wisely," explained Naruto, with Kyone nodding while processing this information quickly, since it was clear to her that acting like a sniveling incompetent maid was not tolerated. "How much freedom do I have outside of this house, Naruto-sama?" asked Kyone while sensing both the boy's parents walking behind her and watching with cautious eyes. You will be allowed to see friends and family of course, provided you still have any of the latter or the former that are concerned about your new position in life. Your clothing will be of a servant and maid-based attire. You will not hide it, you will not deny it. If asked about your current situation, you will answer truthfully on why, and how it came to pass. If you lie or twist the truth about something in any way possible, the seal on your shoulder will burn painfully in that general area, and won't stop hurting you until the truth is admitted, explained Naruto further with Kunoi's eyes widening in shock and a little bit of horror at the implications. Does this pertain to how I became your servant or to any and all things in general about myself, asked Kunoi curiously. All things in general about yourself if asked, though there is a security measure in place to prevent anyone from asking about my abilities or those close to me that will tolerate you lying. However, that feature will only act in the event that you have to lie in order to protect the secrets of myself, my parents, my wives, and anyone else within this family, answered Naruto while Kunoi shivered in fear while Anko was grinning viciously at her while walking beside the boy's parents. What about relationships? Will I be allowed to have one? Asked Kunoi, as she was hoping to have some kind of relationship in the future with a man. Until I say otherwise, my answer is no, answered Naruto with Kunoi clenched her hands and fought back the pain in palms that was matched by the mark on her back now burning with an intense heat. How can you be so cruel and deny me that? Demanded Kunoi while fighting the pain in her shoulder when it spiked further. Cruel, cruel. You wish to talk to me about cruelty? You are lucky I let you live past today. You are lucky I do not age you to that of an old woman, who has mere days, if not hours to live, and cut your life expectancy short. You are lucky the Hokage placed you as my servant and did not execute you or send you to prison. A prison that is currently well stocked with prisoners, who would enjoy making your life miserable, and hell on earth just for being a former leaf kunoichi. At least with me, there is a roof over your head, there is food for you eat, clothing to wear, and you can see your friends every so often when your duties within this house are finished for the day. So what if I am denying you a chance at a romantic life? Would you prefer to be stripped of everything you now have on you and live on the street? Because that's still a possible avenue for you to take if your heart desires that life, answered Naruto with Kunoi looking at him in shock. Maybe I do wish for it, I could always go back to being a loyal Konoha shinobi if that happened, replied Kunoi, with Naruto laughing at her like she just said something very funny. You think the Hokage is going to let you back into the ranks? After what you did, your assets have been absorbed into my family's holdings. I own them all. You would have your chakra sealed off and your memories wiped. At best, you would find yourself one day waking up to find yourself living a life as a poor civilian woman with a mediocre job, and everyone you ever knew was forbidden to be your friend, answered Naruto with Kunoi's eyes widening in horror. She wouldn't do that. My skills in Jinjutsu are second to none outside of the Uchiha clan. Not even the Hokage herself would cast me aside like that, replied Kunoi, with Naruto's eyes narrowing at her. For me, my godmother would turn this village into a crater, and fill it with the bodies of those of every person in it that wronged her godson. You think the Hokage cares about you and your talents in Jinjutsu? There are countless people with powerful bloodlines throughout the world, who are either immune to Jinjutsu, or capable of dispelling with ease. Don't forget the Kurama clan has a girl my age with skills in Jinjutsu that go way beyond anything you can do. I believe you know her and have history with the girl in question, answered Naruto with Kunoi's face going deathly pale. Yakumo whispered Kunoi, as she had tried to teach the girl at first, but had problems in terms of muscle problems, and had to have the girl's powers in Jinjutsu sealed away with the third Hokage's approval after Yakumo refused to stop learning. That's correct. My parents are even going to take a look at her seal soon since they have been going over the Shodaime Hokage's past decisions in certain matters to correct them. I have a sneaking suspicion that seal did more than just seal away her powers. In fact, after speaking with her uncle, the current clan head, my parents suspect that the seal is either faulty, or it was meant to slowly make her spiral out of control with the right push, explained Naruto with Kunoi not liking that one bit. She had her powers sealed away for a reason. Her Jinjutsu is so powerful it can hurt people physically as well as mentally, explained Kunoi, before she fell to the ground in pain and grabbed the seal causing it. Was this what Anko felt with Orochimaru's curse seal? As I said, lying to me, or twisting the truth is not tolerated, commented Naruto, with Kunoi looking at him from her kneeling position. Okay, I didn't want to train her because I feared that my ability to teach would be inadequate and tried to get Yakumo to quit being a shinobi. She refused and I went to the Shodaime Hokage to fix the problem, answered Kunoi, and the burning on her shoulder stopped. It wasn't your ability to train her in Jinjutsu that was inadequate, it was your confidence and good judgment, coldly remarked Naruto before he walked on, and Kunoi struggled for a second to stand to follow. All the same, Naruto-sama, her muscles are very weak, and physically she doesn't meet the qualifications for being a shinobi, said Kunoi while Naruto turned slightly and he scowled at her like she was an idiot. Perhaps the seal that restricts Yakumo's powers also weakens her body. Did it ever occur to you that the Shodaime Hokage, much less Jiraiya of the Sannin, were less than trustworthy, and should be approached with caution, that you should focus on her weaknesses rather than strength by finding her a teacher capable of helping Yakumo in such an area? Questioned Naruto with Kunui looking away in shame. I didn't think it mattered, answered Kunui with shame in her voice. Like I said before, it was your good judgment and confidence that was inadequate, said Naruto with him going to a room that was of moderate size and had a bed. Is this my room? Questioned Kunui with Naruto nodding. Be glad you get something of this size at all. If it were up to me, you would live outside in a cardboard box, and wouldn't be let in the house if it rained, remarked Kushina while Minato looking over at her for a moment and put a hand on his wife's shoulder. Come on Kushina, let Naruto do what he feels is right. She belongs to him, so what size room she gets while living here is entirely at his discretion, said Minato with Kushina letting out a huff. Fine, but if you so much as look her in any way I dislike, you're sleeping face first on the ground with gravity seals, threatened Kushina with Minato not liking that idea one bit, especially if he suddenly had to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night. I will leave you to get settled into your new role. I expect you to start performing your assigned duties within the hour. I have business to attend to elsewhere, replied Naruto before he left Kunui, with his parents soon following, leaving Kunui with Anko. I'm almost jealous of you, remarked Anko while leaning against the door and smirked at Kunui. Jealous? In what way? Demanded Kunui with Anko giggling perversely. Really, are you that prude? Come on Kunui-chan, live a little. Just think, you could be cleaning the study one day, bending over when Naruto walks in, he's overcome with lust, and decides to just mount you right on the spot, answered Anko with Kunui now blushing while also red with anger. As if I would ever let him do that to me. I don't care if I am a servant or servant to the Gaki to the end of my days. I'd sooner slit my throat than let him touch my body, exclaimed Kunui with Anko letting out a small sigh of disappointment at her friend's words, and it showed in her eyes too. And you wonder why more guys stay away from you than they do me, remarked Anko before she left the room with Kunui scowling and looking away from where her friend once stood. They stay away from me because they know I'll castrate them, whispered Kunui to herself before walking around the room to figure out where to put things. Sarutobi clan home, we've got to do something sensei, fast. Tsunade is undermining everything we set into motion, said Jiraiya, as he saw his sensei smoking his pipe, and sighing while trying to think things over in his head. I agree, it won't be easy given Danzo is dead and my former teammates died with him in the process. Root has been removed with many being reconditioned to be more open, and they've talked about what happened while serving Danzo. Our only hope is the Chunin exams coming up with Orochimaru's plans with Suna to invade and killing Tsunade. Can you handle this, knowing what needs to be done? Asked Hiruzen with Jiraiya nodding that he could. Jiraiya had was far too deep to crawl out of this mess that had become the grand plan Sarutobi the Professor Hiruzen had created to make Konoha the strongest village of all the 5 major ones. In fact, Hiruzen had brought Jiraiya into this from day one of it being on the drawing board, back when the Sandaime was still in his prime, and working on a means to make Konoha's shinobi have a constant flow of battle-hardened warriors that would send fear through the elemental countries. Jiraiya had created his spy network during the Second Shinobi War, molded it quickly to his liking so his informants were in high places, hearing things at the highest level, and then reporting them to him before he reported to the Hokage. In the Third Shinobi War, Jiraiya molded his students to be at the top of their game, the war itself being instigated by Konoha in secret using the spies they had in Iwa to make their enemies attack Suna, and with Suna being allied with Konoha brought about the war itself, while Kumo decided to throw its hat into the fight to capture some shinobi to use for the bloodline breeding programs. As for Mist, they had stayed out of it for the most part, but they had gotten attacked, and attacked back with the risk of them fully getting into the war being a possibility. The only real reason that never truly happened was due to the instability of the country, and the village itself were showing signs of manifesting. So Jiraiya saw his student grow, become a man among men that was worthy of being Hokage, and for a time the Sannin had been proud of Minato, but the loss of Rin and Obito during the Third Shinobi War had caused Minato to stray from the true path that he along with Sarutobi sensei had made for him to walk. Minato wanted all Jinchuriki, not just Kushina, to be looked at with compassion and love like it was a necessity to have for them to fight for their village. Jiraiya never believed in that, and neither did the Sandaime, despite the fact that Senju Hashirama and Senju Tobirama did in their place. It was naive to think such things could happen, and naive ways of thinking destroyed shinobi villages under the might of others that did not think like that, and Hiruzen wasn't about to see Konoha fall from the naive ideals of his former senseis. After Naruto was born, the Sandaime had created a plan that would ensure Naruto stayed loyal to Konoha, while manipulating the prophecy to keep Konoha on the map, while just about every other village would be removed depending on what direction the boy took it. Make sure the boy was humbled, his power his very potential restrained and controlled in an environment of their choice. When they were sure Naruto's loyalty to Konoha was unquestioned, Jiraiya would come along and slowly remove the various seals on the boy without his knowledge, so the brat would think he was getting stronger under the Toad Sannin's command. By that point, the Hokage in charge, even if it was Tsunade, would be convinced to restrain Naruto and be used as a weapon despite any sentiments she may have in using him like that. Her successor would be someone who was not Naruto and understood what it meant to use Jinchuriki as deterrence in shinobi wars. Once the sixth, if not already the fifth, Hokage took office, instructions from the Sandaime and himself would be there to guide the chosen leader of the village to ensure that Uzumaki Naruto was kept on a short leash, with the boy's chosen successor in holding the fox enduring the same treatment as him. Naturally, it would have to be Naruto's offspring, if not his offspring's offspring, given how the Uzumaki bloodline allowed for much longer lasting life than normal people, and a team be on standby to remove them from the new Jinchuriki's life. While some of the plan was in disarray, it was still salvageable, and just needed to have a few problems removed before they could bring things back on course. I did what I had to do in the last 2 wars for Konoha to win them, sensei. I can do the same here, even if it means taking out Tsunade and her assistant Shizune. After all, I was the one who made sure Dan and Naoki were removed on your orders to further ensure Tsunade would focus on the war effort itself and not settle down for a life of peace, didn't I? Answered Jiraiya with Hiruzen nodding. Good. We can use your spy network and those still loyal to us here in Konoha to aid Orochimaru in his plan to take down Tsunade. The general public within Konoha won't care if she's dead or not so long as Naruto is brought under heel with his parents. With your own knowledge of seals, we can make sure all 3 get taken down during the fighting, and make them weapons for Konoha, replied Hiruzen with Jiraiya nodding. Just tell me what you want done, stated Jiraiya with the Sandaime laying out his plan. With Team 7, 1 week later. Okay, you two Gakis, listen up, and listen good. I have some good news and bad news. The good news is I just spoke to Tsunade about the Chunin exams. They are coming up fast in the next few weeks and she wants you to win them, declared Anko while handing the papers to Shino and Naruto. I take it the bad news is our third teammate being thrown in a cell makes us entering a bit complicated, questioned Naruto with Anko shrugging. Pretty much, though personally, I find Hiruno being off our team to be more of a plus than a minus, and I have an idea on who to get for this team that would fit perfectly with us, since no one with half a brain thinks you have a snowball's chance in hell in passing, said Anko before she turned slightly so they could see Kurama Yakumo standing there nervously in shinobi attire. Interesting. While I am not disappointed in the chosen teammate, I am a bit surprised, and was expecting Haku-san to join us, replied Shino passively, since either one would suffice in his mind. Haku's level of skill was assessed by Tsunade herself not that long ago and concluded she was Chunin rank with the chance to be a Jounin being possible in a few years. While Haku was given the option to compete on Team 7, she felt that in doing so might deny this girl here a chance to earn her stripes, and even suggest Yakumo be the one to take the open spot, answered Anko, with Shino nodding while Naruto grinned, since he knew the girl was going to take the spot on Team 7 to replace their previous and useless Kunoichi, currently removed from the shinobi ranks while in a prison cell at T&I HQ. Naruto had used his reverse aging power to carefully restore muscle strength to her body back to what they should have been before the whole incident with the Edo in her head. The damn old fool for a now retired Hokage, that was Sarutobi Hiruzen, had put a seal on Yakumo that did little to repress the creature lurking in the girl's head and influencing her powers to become violent. If anything, the seal used did the exact opposite, making the Edo more stir-crazy, whispered things into Yakumo's head, and the fact Kuni had tried to take away her dreams of being a Jinjutsu master for the sake of the Kurama clan's own future only made the Edo's words more potent. Kushina and Minato had taken a look at the seal after chakra chains were wrapped around the girl to see just how badly the seal truly was, with Yakumo's uncle Kurama Unkei listening to everything about it. To say the man was flawed was like saying Anko liked to eat dango, since no one thought the girl's seal would screw her mind up this badly. The seal even numbed nerve centers of her brain that commanded the muscles in her body to move, so she would tire out more and they would atrophy faster for disuse. While born with a weak body at first, it could have been countered in the future if Yakumo was given strong proper medicine and vitamin-based nutrient drinks along with constant exercise to stimulate muscle strength. As to the death involving the girl's father, Yakumo was told the truth after the seal had been altered to keep the Edo from whispering or controlling her mind ever again. The girl had cried wave after wave of tears, begging her still shocked uncle for forgiveness over the fact she had involuntarily killed her parents, and didn't want him to hate her for it. Unkei assured his niece that there was nothing to forgive, as he along with the rest of the clan had kept Edo a secret from everyone else in Konoha for years, and should have tried to handle the situation better when her powers showed such strength. The retired third Hokage's own journal on the matter explained how the fire had started, how the source of girl's power was unstable unless handled carefully, and yet rather than handle it like he should have, the old monkey decided to use it as leverage against the Kurama clan when the time came for matters to be addressed at meetings, with the clan head's support being his when the time came to call in the favor. So with that horrifying lie being exposed, Minato along with Kushina introduced a relief-filled Yakumo to Naruto, who explained he could reverse the decaying process of her muscles, and with enough exercise within the next week would possibly be fit for shinobi duty. Yakumo was greatly excited by this prospect and vowed to prove herself once more with this second chance at being a shinobi. I have heard of the Kurama clan. My father says that their powers over Jinjutsu rivals that of the Uchiha clan's Sharingan and not to be underestimated, replied Shino with Anko nodding in agreement. Agreed. Now I would normally train you two into the ground, or at least try to train the two of you into the ground, due to one you having inhuman amount of stamina making that impossible. I need to focus on getting Yakumo ready for the Chunin exams, since she hasn't had any experience outside of the basics and needs to catch up on a lot of things before the Chunin exams arrive. So for the time being, until I say otherwise, I'm going to focus on Yakumo, and expect the two of you to find training elsewhere with your parents, explained Anko with Naruto and Shino nodding since that was fine with them. That is fine with me. My father wished to add new elements to my hive and experiment with crossbreeding certain insects together to create a new strand of species that could benefit us, replied Shino with Anko nodding since the Aburame clan focused heavily on their insects. Good, but don't focus on them too much as your overall strength. Branch out and take up a weapon or skill you can use outside of your colony. The last thing you need is some enemy shinobi blasting you with insecticide, or some other bug-killing gas to leave you rendered defenseless, lectured Anko with Shino shivering in fear at the horror his mind was now creating. Dad and Mum want to help me further with seals. I also want to focus on my Aranka powers and perfect my reverse aging process. Decaying something is easy, but reversing the process is much harder than you think, and I want to get it down to the point where it's as easy as breathing, stated Naruto with Anko nodding in approval, since that would be useful, since the reduced amount of focus on that could come in handy if an enemy tried to sneak up on him while doing that. Good. Seal masters are very rare these days in Konoha and in all 5 shinobi villages in general. The only true seal masters around are your parents and Jiraiya, but I wouldn't trust him to help you in that field, nor would I recommend it, replied Anko with Naruto nodding since he did not trust Jiraiya either. With that done, the two boys bowed respectfully to Anko, and left the 2 remaining members of Team 7, with the sensei of the 2 looking to tutor, train the still nervous Kurama clan heiress. If Anko had her way, she would make sure Yakumo was one of the most feared future kunoichis all of in Konoha, and become its new Jinjutsu mistress, and Anko intended to get her way in this. Konoha. Weeks later, Naruto found himself busier as time went on. His time at home was a little different now that Yuhi Kunri was staying with him at the Namake's estates. To be honest, Naruto didn't think Kunri fully embraced the idea even after the first night sleeping as its first ever servant, and had brought about an altercation with Haku when the ice-using girl saw the former Jinjutsu mistress of Konoha the kitchen making breakfast on the very first morning of her new position. It was only after newly awoken brains and memories of what happened during the previous day did an all-out battle in the kitchen be prevented. As per his instructions, Kunri had awakened Naruto from his sleep early in the morning to begin his daily ritual of bathing, eating, training, spending time with his friends, and check for any mission that required his talents. Due to the Chunin exams, the last one was not possible, and Naruto refused to do D-ranked missions, since they were chores any civilian could do, but chose not to do on account of them being lazy, and would most likely find any excuse to cheat Naruto out of his small yet well-earned pay. Next, Kunri went to awaken the rest of the Namake's family, with the first time earning a hand wrapped around her throat, and a glare from Kushina. It was clear the red-haired woman was itching to rip her throat out, and the slightest provocation on Kunri's part, no matter how small, was grounds for such an act. It was only by Minato's hands that Kunri's life was spared death and her now bruised throat further pain while telling Kunri that she should prepare breakfast. Apparently, he liked Kushina, and Naruto had slightly forgotten about Haku living with them now, so when the sound yelps followed by things being thrown were heard, it was natural to assume something had happened. Before Naruto was able to calm everyone down and people started to remember, now Naruto was minding his own business, looking around Konoha, and seeing that despite Tsunade being in office with everything her predecessor had done being brought to light, people still hated his guts. Oh, the younger generation weren't as hateful now, but some of them still didn't want to disobey their parents, and some hate Naruto for what he was now despite the fact Kyuubi was no longer a part of him. Apparently, what he was now was even worse in their eyes, and should be controlled like some kind of servant to be brought to heel at their feet if not publicly killed. Hey, let me go, came the voice of a child, a young boy in the next alley. Or what, brat? You ran right into me, I should smack you around right now to ensure you know your place is at my feet, came another voice, an older boy from what Naruto could make out. Kankuro, we don't have time for this. Gaara could be watching, said a female voice, now sounding tired and frustrated with the one called Kankuro. Quiet Temari, Gaara's not around. Besides, this punk runs into me and has the nerve to glare back like he's my better. You know as well as I do that the Leaf Shinobi here have become arrogant and needs its next generation brought down a peg, said Kankuro with anger in his voice. Fine, hurry up and let's go before someone comes around to see this, remarked Temari tiredly, as it was clear she didn't really want to be around long enough for this even to spiral out of control to possibly get caught, and get into trouble with the local shinobi authorities. Any last words, Gaki? Asked Kankuro with the boy he was holding glaring. Yeah, wash your face clean of that makeup, you like a girl, exclaimed the boy while Kankuro growled at him. It's war paint, just for that, I'm going to really mess you up, exclaimed Kankuro angrily at the brat. I would advise against that act, it could cause some serious repercussions on your end of things, replied Naruto, as he appeared behind Temari by a few feet, and proceeded to walk toward Kankuro holding the boy who was Sarutobi Konohamaru, the retired Shodaime Hokage's grandson. There were also 2 other children Konohamaru's age not that far away and looking at the event fearfully. Oh yeah, in what way Kane boy? Asked Kankuro, while looking at Naruto and then back at Konohamaru. The kid you are holding is the retired Shodaime Hokage's grandson. Beating him up over something so trivial as bumping into you had led to war with your village, which according to your headband is sooner, and we both know that would be unwise given how relations between our villages are right now, explained Naruto with Kankuro seething at him while Temari was blushing at the sight of this red-haired noble-looking shinobi. Wow, look at those muscles on his arms, he's ripped, what has he been eating? Also, why do I also feel terrified of him? Thought Temari while the red-haired boy walked right past her and put a hand on Kankuro's arm. Don't touch me, leaf scum, barked Kankuro while wondering why he couldn't stop the redhead from touching him and saw Naruto's eyes narrowing. Would you prefer your third teammate hanging upside down on the tree over there touch you? From the way he's giving off killer intent, the boy doesn't approve of your actions either, and wants to kill something right now, remarked Naruto with Kankuro going pale and looking over where another red-haired boy was standing, upside down on a tree branch. Gee Gaara, exclaimed Kankuro while looking at the boy in fear. Enough Kankuro, you are outclassed here, drop the child, commanded Gaara before he appeared in a swirl of sand behind Naruto with his back to him. They, stammered Kankuro, but a look from Gaara told him to shut up, or I'll kill you, commanded Gaara with Kankuro nodding and releasing the kid from his hand, and Konohamaru quickly made his way over to the kids his age. I trust we won't be having any problems like this in the future, questioned Naruto with Gaara nodding. No, Kankuro knows his place and if he gets out of line again, I will end him, answered Gaara in a cold tone while Kankuro shivered in fear. Excellent, my name is Namikaze Uzumaki Naruto, what is yours? Inquired Naruto with Gaara's eyes widening slightly at the name since he recognized it from the rumors that have been flooding out of the leaf about the boy said to have the power of death itself at his fingertips. Sabaku no Gaara of Suna, these 2 are my siblings, Sabaku no Temari and Sabaku no Kankuro of Suna. Are you going to participate in the Chunin exams? Asked Gaara with Naruto nodding with a grin on his face. I am. I also sense you are different. You have a biju sealed inside your body, stated Naruto with Gaara's eyes widening even further and his siblings going tense. You are referring to Shukaku? Stated Gaara while surprisingly feeling the biju in him going strangely quiet, like it was in hiding. But hiding from what? Yes, judging from your eyes, you haven't slept in a long time. I could fix that for you, replied Naruto with Gaara narrowing his eyes. You lie, countered Gaara with anger in his voice, while the sand in his gourd began to stir slightly under his command. I despise liar Sabaku no Gaara, why would I become what I despise? Naruto countered back before walking over to the still shocked children and shooing them away. Because you fear me and my power over the sand, answered Gaara with Naruto looking back at him before putting a hand on the tree the red-haired Suna boy had been on mere moments ago, before making it rot and die from his touch. Naturally, it shocked the hell out of Gaara and his siblings that a simple touch from Naruto could do that. Do I look like I'm fearful of your power over the sand, Gaara? You are indeed strong in some aspects when commanding it, there is no question about that, but you have yet to know true power, and it does not come from Shukaku whispering in your ear every second of every day of your life. Your sand nor the biju you hold frightens me, Gaara. If anything, your biju fears me, replied Naruto before walking away from the trio of Suna shinobi staring at the decayed husk of the tree that was once full of life. Stay away from him for now. He's too dangerous to take on alone, commanded Gaara with his siblings nodding in agreement. Not that far away, the 3 sound genin were thinking the same thing, and decided to avoid the red-haired boy with the cane. Days later, are you Yakumo? Asked Naruto, as he knew Shino was ready given everything they had gone through recently, but the girl of their group was still a bit new to this, even with Anko's training, and this would be considered hitting the ground running for her. I believe I am. I know it will be difficult, but I will do my best, and try not to slow us down. I've even gotten good in using different types of Jinjutsu to the point where drawings only make what I do stronger after I trap my opponent in it, answered Yakumo confidently as she had been practicing with Anko using the obstacle course. Meeting with Matogai privately, he was threatened under pain of death if Yakumo was seen wearing the green spandex suit for taijutsu as well as muscle strengthening, and Naruto had ordered Kune to provide the girl with every Jinjutsu she knew. Naruto was actually surprised the girl didn't look tired after all the tough training she went through to get here so quickly. It was actually quite impressive really and was something to be admired by the girl's desire to be a great Konoha shinobi. That's good to hear Yakumo because now we will see just how strong you are under pressure, replied Naruto, as he along with his team entered the academy where the first part of the Chunin exams was going to be held, and headed for the third floor, only to find their path blocked by Genin on the second floor. You have to let us through. We're expected, said a girl with buns in her hair that made her look like a panda while her teammate that looked like a mini clone of Matogai was pushed back. Sorry, this is for Genin with potential only. You runts don't have what it takes, said one of the Leaf Genin blocking their way. Naruto-san, asked Shino with a frown slightly on his face. Ignore them, keep walking, and say nothing about what you know, whispered Naruto with Yakumo and Shino doing exactly that. You wanted to weed out the ones that couldn't see what we did, whispered Yakumo when they headed up the stairs. Exactly, if they can't get past the second floor and see through the Jinjutsu then they shouldn't be here, replied Naruto, before he stopped and turned slightly as if hearing something with a sigh of frustration soon escaping his mouth. Naruto-san, asked Yakumo when she heard him sigh. I don't know how the fools got into the exams, but I do know that they screwed it up for the rest of us. The Daimachia basically told everyone they were on the second floor and that it was Jinjutsu over that door with the two Chunin disguised as Genin to keep the weak from advancing, answered Naruto before pinching the bridge of his nose. Who did they get to be their third teammate? I know Kiba and Sasuke would have to team together, but who is the third member of the group? Asked Yakumo with Naruto closing his eyes for a second before they opened with anger bleeding out of his eyes. I don't believe it, it's Sakura, our former teammate, answered Naruto with Shino now frowning and Yakumo's eyes widened in shock. How is that possible? She should still be punished for her actions in sending Kune-san as her replacement for the mission, questioned Shino with Naruto nodding in full agreement. I don't know, but we'll wait and see what she does when around us in public. Sakura is a blabbermouth and will no doubt explain how she is free to participate, answered Naruto with Shino nodding in agreement and Yakumo doing the same. Sure enough, they entered room number 301, and saw the large number of teams from different villages in the room. Almost every team looked at them with intense glares and killer intent, which didn't bother Naruto, but decided to make these fools bow before his team, and unleashed an intense wave of spiritual pressure that made everyone quite literally bow before him. Fortunately, for his team anyway, they were behind him, and Naruto was projecting the spiritual pressure towards the other teams so they didn't feel such a heavy weight on their shoulders. I think you have made your point to them, Naruto observed Shino while once again silently admitting to himself that his teammate should not to be trifled with under any circumstances. It just wasn't logical, or healthy, perhaps. Let's wait and see, replied Naruto before stopping the spiritual pressure from breaking these fools completely. What was that? What is he? Was what everyone in the room looking at right at Naruto was thinking. Naruto-kun, exclaimed Ino, as she got over the spiritual pressure, giving him a hug, and a kiss on the cheek, which earned her a glare from Yakumo and one secretly from Sabaku no Temari. Hello my dear, how are you? Asked Naruto with the platinum blonde girl smiling and giving him a cheesy smile. Oh, you know me Naruto-kun, training hard and hitting hard, replied Ino, as she had taken to training herself viciously while Naruto was in wave, and ironically enough it was because of Sasuke that she did, mainly because Sasuke had tried to ask her out on a date and she had said no. It was then, Ino learned that Sasuke does not take rejection well. Flashback to the day in question, Ino was alone, working on her taijutsu on a training dummy, and had come to realize just how badly she was back at the academy when compared to now. Back then, she was a Sasuke fangirl, who cared about flowers, plants, and Sasuke while being in control of the biggest gossip network in all of Konoha. Not bad really, if she was just a civilian with no shinobi training at all, but it was here that Ino realized that the gap in level between what she was back then to what she was now was huge, like Hokage Monument huge. After meeting Anko, getting to know the real Naruto, and training with her team under Asuma Sensei had shown Ino just how lacking her strength was back when she was a fangirl. All she did was screech when Sasuke got hurt, screech when Sasuke did something wonderful, and screech at just about anything related to Sasuke. Damn, she was pathetic back then. Ino, called out Sasuke calmly, much to the girl's surprise. Sasuke, what are you doing here? Asked Ino curiously, yet cautiously, since Naruto had warned her in the past about Sasuke's possible attempt to sway her to him, and use her in some way to get some kind of twisted revenge against her future husband. Same as you. I was training not that far away from here. I was actually wondering if you would like to go out on a date with me, answered Sasuke casually, with Ino looking a bit surprised, but wasn't saying no, which made the Uchiha smirk while thinking the girl was putty in his hands from his presence alone, and would be easy to use against Naruto. A date? Asked Ino, with Sasuke nodding. Yeah, a date. You and me, replied Sasuke while feeling his patience with the girl's lack of response being a yes, to be infuriating. I can't, Sasuke, said Ino, with Sasuke's smile becoming a scowl. What? Demanded Sasuke angrily, with Ino flinching slightly from it. I can't, Sasuke. I'm going to marry Naruto-kun in a few years. We're already dating in a way by getting to know each other before then, and to date you would be, well, it would be considered cheating on him, explained Ino, since she knew Sasuke knew how her marriage to Naruto was all over Konoha and everyone knew that. What's your point? Asked Sasuke, with Ino frowning. What do you mean? You're not suggesting I cheat on Naruto-kun, are you? Questioned Ino, with Sasuke smirking. Yeah, I am. Why not? He's a loser. He was a loser at the academy, and he's a loser as a shinobi regardless of his parents being among the strongest in the village. Besides, you were more than eager to go on a date with me before at the academy, and considering how strong you've become since then means you're worthy of dating an Uchiha elite like myself, explained Sasuke, with Ino scowling at him. I'm not going to cheat on Naruto-kun. He's nice, sweet, caring, and understanding in a way I always wanted you to be when at the academy, but you were cold, mean, and always shrugging people off of you when they tried to give affection. I've spent my time getting to know Naruto and learned a lot about him, his hopes, dreams, hobbies, likes, and dislikes, while I shared my own, even if some of them seemed silly, yet he didn't think I was silly. You only want to date me now because I've become a strong genin ranked kunoichi and I'm marrying Naruto-kun. So my answer to your proposed date is and always will be a big fat no, replied Ino, with Sasuke's eyes going from angry to livid with rage at being denied what he wanted. Fine, if you won't be my temporary girlfriend, then you'll be my temporary bitch, and be used to humiliate the loser knowing his future wife isn't pure, exclaimed Sasuke, as he moved to make this girl know her place on her knees, and at his feet, so he could get his measure of revenge against the red-haired loser that dared challenge the Uchiha, only to be quickly schooled by the platinum blonde girl in hand-to-hand combat, and was quickly on the ground with a kunai to his throat, with Ino holding the blade tightly with surprisingly cold eyes. Don't you dare try to touch me, you filthy Uchiha. You so much as even try to get within grabbing distance of me for whatever reason, I'll cut off the offending hand, and then I will take the reproductive organ needed to continue the Uchiha bloodline, threatened Ino, while the Uchiha smirked at her. You wouldn't dare. I may not have as much influence with the councils anymore, but I still have the fire daimyo, and he will ensure any act like that will sign your clan's death warrant. A clan for a clan, replied Sasuke confidently, while Ino's eyes narrowed. You think such a threat frightens me, Sasuke? You have the fire daimyo, I have Naruto-kun. Not to mention his parents, his godmother, and the rest of my friends that know such an order would be unfair. You're backing only one horse Uchiha. What will you do when you have nothing left and facing enemies on all fronts you helped make through your own arrogance? Challenged Ino, with Sasuke scowled at her. I'm an Uchiha. We do not fall at the hands of our enemies, countered Sasuke, with Ino smirking. If that were remotely true, Sasuke, you wouldn't have lost to me, and you didn't answer my question, replied Ino, with Sasuke's face clearly showing his anger. I don't have to answer your question, you dumb bitch. Now get off of me before I do something violent, commanded Sasuke before he was punched in the face and a knee to his groin. You're the bitch here, Sasuke. What I felt just now when I hit you with my knee proves that much. For a moment, I thought I hit an underdeveloped girl, remarked Ino before walking away and making a mental note to inform the Hokage of this, while asking that Naruto not be told, since she didn't want to put this on his plate when he got back. End flashback. That's good to hear, remarked Naruto, while Shikamaru sighed. Not for us it isn't. Ino has been punching and kicking the two of us since our team was formed, added Shikamaru before muttering troublesome underneath his breath, and got a growl from Ino for his troubles. I could hit you right now if you don't shut up, threatened Ino, with Shikamaru raising his hands in surrender. See what I mean, Naruto? I almost pity you in a few years. Almost, replied Shikamaru, with Naruto smirking at him, but it ended when the trio of genin he didn't want to see had entered the room, and looking like they owned the place. Look at them. We just entered the room and they're already shaking fear of us, barked Kiba with pride at feeling like he was to be feared. Keep it down. We don't need another scene like he made when entering the room, said a silvery white-haired boy with glasses crouching in the corner wearing mostly purple. Oh yeah, what did the loser do? Crap his pants at the sight of so many people that are better, taunted Kiba with a smirk on his face and laughing at Naruto while everyone just held their breath while looking deathly afraid of the redhead leaf shinobi. Actually, I think he might have made a few people in the room do that, replied the boy seeing a few genin looking nervous. Please, he's a loser, a nobody. Naruto might put on a tough guy appearance to go with his noble-like clothing, but in the end, the loser is a loser, and his academy grades prove it, stated Sasuke with Sakura nodding. Altered grades Uchiha, or have you forgotten how yours were made to appear higher than what they should have been by ass-kissing teachers, countered Naruto while he made his cane hit tap the floor loudly when walking over to him. Shut up loser, you're nothing compared to an Uchiha, you will always be second best compared to me. The academy instructors here knew it, Danzo along with the Shinobi Council knew it, the Civilian Council knows it, and the Fire Daimyo himself knows it too, challenged Sasuke while Naruto smirked. Danzo and the Shinobi Council are used in past tense for a reason Sasuke, I killed them with my power. Also you really shouldn't praise Danzo for supporting you or the Shinobi Council members either since they ensured Itachi got away after butchering your clan. They even made sure to harvest the Sharingan eyes of your so-called great clan to graft onto Danzo's arm for him to use, countered Naruto with Sasuke, seething in rage at the mention of Itachi and at what was being aired out for everyone to hear. He needed to save face. Lies, propaganda spewed forth from the mouth of an unfit Hokage. Not surprising when you consider she is a Senju and your godmother. All she does is play favorites in giving you everything while leaving out the true shinobi elite like myself out of truly important missions, countered Sasuke, with Naruto smirking. It's not so fun when someone else get the pampered treatment, is it Uchiha? Questioned Naruto with Sasuke getting angrier. Calm down you two, you're making everyone here nervous. Besides, the time we spent here waiting can be used to gather intel on your competition while here, and as a fellow leaf shinobi myself, I can give it to you, offered the boy with glasses. How? Questioned Kiba while interested in what this guy could give him on the other teams and possibly on Naruto. Shinobi info cards, it's got information and stats on the shinobi you want to know about someone, the boy with glasses while Naruto narrowed his eyes. What is your name? Asked Naruto curiously. Yakashi Kabuto at your service, said Kabuto with a bow, but it was a bit mocking in Naruto's opinion, and resisted the urge to backhand the boy's head clean off his body. He could always do it later. And you actually have info on everyone here? Asked Sasuke with interest. Every single one, replied Kabuto confidently. Give me all of the information you have on Namikaze Uzumaki, Naruto commanded Sasuke while ignoring the teams from Iwa and Kumo going tense since they both had history with the boy's parents. Namikaze Uzumaki Naruto, huh? Okay, here is the information on him. Age 13, once had blonde hair, but now it's red, and was considered the dead last at the academy due to his supposed lack of talent. He unlocked what is being called a bloodline and has been on a roll ever since with his team and went on his first C-ranked mission turned A-ranked. He went toe-to-toe with Momochi's abuser, an A-ranked missing nin from Mist, who is now employed here in Konoha because of him, and has the last known user of the Hayaten bloodline under his clan's protection. His various skills as a shinobi are unknown, as he was secretly trained by his parents, who were brought back to life using strange powers, and he is rumored to be a seal master. It is also believed that a great deal of his power comes from his weapon, which is disguised behind the image of his cane, and wields the power to make things decay, answered Kabuto with many in the room looking a bit fearful of the boy in question since they didn't like that last part about making things decay. The proper term for my power is rot, making things rot and die. I'm also curious how you know what you do since a great deal of that information is fact, classified, stated Naruto with a very deadly edge in his voice with Kabuto starting to sweat. Oh, I'm just that good. When you take the Chunin exams, for what will be the 7th time helps when you know where to find such information, answered Kabuto, though it did little in terms of satisfying Naruto's curiosity. You shouldn't be sticking your nose into information beyond your pay grade. It can get you killed, countered Naruto before unleashing a large spike of spiritual pressure right at Kabuto, and the man was panting heavily under the weight. What is this? This is the second time I have felt this and felt like I was in the presence of the Shinigami himself, thought Kabuto while staring into the boy's cold blue eyes. Perhaps you would like to give us some information on yourself, just to even out the playing field of course, said Naruto with Kabuto smiling weakly at the boy. I've never had to gather information on myself. Sorry, replied Kabuto with Naruto's eyes narrowing. How disappointing, stated Naruto before lifting the pressure off of him. That's quite the power you have there, Naruto-san. Just make sure to be careful when going up against other genin from other villages. Even minor villages are competing in this one to gather more clients and prove their villages aren't weak like most believe them to be, like the newly made Sound Village in Rice Country, explained Kabuto, as he began wiping sweat from his forehead, and saw the trio of Sound genin narrow their eyes at him. before charging at him, and they would have reached him within a matter of seconds, had Naruto not stood in their way by turning his cane into his Zanpakuto before smashing the battle axe head down on the ground to block them from striking. The large red eye at the center of the battle axe glowed a menacing red while staring at them with a rage that made all three sound genin freeze in fear. That and the massive damage the floor suffered where the blade struck. Let me make something perfectly clear to each and everyone in this room. My name is Namikaze Uzumaki Naruto, and I am the scariest person you will ever meet in this room. I am the son of the Namikaze Minato and Uzumaki Kushina. For those of you on teams from foreign villages, who were told those two names from the history classes at your academy, and even seen old bingo books by your senseis, my answer to the question in your head is yes. I am the son of those two shinobi you have all heard the stories about growing up. Stories about the same man, who ended the Third Shinobi War, and was even given a flea on-sight order. The same woman, who is skilled in the sealing arts, and was feared for her temper when provoked. On a side note for you to tell your cages for when you return home, correction if you return home from these exams, they are very much alive, declared Naruto with the teams from Iwa and Kumo showing signs of fear when hearing this news. Not surprising when considering one destroyed Iwa's forces before becoming Hokage and the other had special chakra chains whispered to restrain even a Biju. I can sense it, he's really an Uzumaki, like me, thought a girl among the team wearing a grass village headband and glasses while she stared at Naruto. The power she felt coming within from his body was truly terrifying and seemed to go on forever. Such terrifying power. I'll have to be cautious should I wish to make him a new vessel like Sasuke, thought another figure, though this one was in disguise, and had to stay hidden for a short amount of time. Apologizes Naruto-san. The pride of our village was being targeted by this fool behind you. We felt it was only appropriate to defend the honor of our village, replied the one-sound shinobi, who had his face covered mostly with bandages, and stepped back like the rest of his team. You were wrong, get out of my sight, commanded Naruto coldly with the sound genin doing just that. There is something that bothers me. Why is your team even here, Uchiha? How did you even get a team? You and Kiba are on the reserve list, questioned Shikamaru since he felt an explanation was required here. The fire daimyo wanted me to participate. All I needed was a third teammate and a Jounin sensei. Hatake Kakashi volunteered for the honor. You may have heard of him since he was the Yondaime's last surviving student, said Sasuke in a smug tone, while Naruto's eyes narrowed at him. Hatake Kakashi is a shell of the man he once was before now. Also, my father has long since renounced Kakashi as his student for his betrayals to my family, replied Naruto with Sasuke, now scowling at him. But how did Forid get out of prison? It's no secret she ditched the mission her team went on and convinced another to take her place, stated Ino with Sakura scoffing at her. Sasuke needed a teammate. I was the best choice since there were no other potential candidates worthy of him, answered Sakura while Shikamaru snorted and Choji was nearly choking on his chips. Please, more like Hinata refused since she is under apprenticeship of the Hokage herself in the medical arts and there were no other genin-ranked shinobi around. The only true reason Hatake Kakashi is your official sensei, is because he is the only other Sharingan user in Konoha, and can bring your bloodline out to its full potential. If you can bring it out, countered Shikamaru with a smirk on his face, and Naruto's own smirk appeared too. Hinata-chan would have joined us, if not for the abomination here, and his Hokage for a godmother filling her head with delusions of grandeur. Her place is on our team, by my side, and doing what I say since she belongs to me, declared Kiba while Naruto scoffed at his words. You exaggerate, replied Naruto with Kiba glaring at him. The point is that regardless of everything, we are now here, and my team is going to be responsible for destroying everyone in the Chunin exams, stated Sasuke, with Naruto scoffing once again. More would have no doubt been said, but the poof of smoke later, and Marino Ibiki appeared with his team of proctors. All right you runts, listen up. I'm the head proctor for this part of the Chunin exams and until otherwise told, your ass is to belong to me, exclaimed Ibiki with many in the room looking quite intimidated by him. That, and Naruto was grinning too. This is going to be so much fun, thought Naruto with a small chuckle coming out of his mouth. I can do this, I will prove I'm worthy of being a Konoha shinobi, thought Yakumo with determination burning in her eyes. For Yakumo, this wasn't about being promoted to the rank of Chunin, but rather it was about proving she had what it takes to be a shinobi regardless of the outcome. You just watch, loser. I'm going to dominate the Chunin exams and take your power from you to kill Itachi. And once I'm done there, those girls you are going to marry will be mine, thought Sasuke, while glaring daggers at Naruto. Once I dominate the Chunin exams, Hinata will be all over me, and denounce Naruto for the monster he is before ending their arranged marriage to the other. She's my bitch and I'm going to make it happen, thought Kiba, as he was going to prove to everyone that he was alpha material, and Naruto was an abomination that should be put down. Off to the sides, Metoge's team was also watching Naruto, and each having different thoughts about him. His strength is incredible. Wield that heavy weapon with one hand and use that level of speed to intercept the enemy. Truly a strong opponent if we fought each other, thought Lee, as he had heard about how Naruto defeated Momochi's abuser, and the rumors about the power to make things decay being whispered throughout Konoha. Such an evil-looking weapon. It's very powerful. I wish I could examine it and possibly try to recreate such a weapon in the family forge, thought Tenten, as she had heard the rumors about the cane being his weapon in disguise, and saw it in action moments ago proved that the rumors had some merit. Hinata's future husband, I will take great pleasure in crushing him with my skills and fate siding with me on this. It doesn't matter what power he wields, his fate is sealed, and I will prove to him that fate is the absolute power of the world, thought Neji, as he had felt angry at hearing Hinata was marrying the Namikaze, and wouldn't be getting the cage bird seal on her head like himself. For the Hyuga branch family member, he felt this was the second time his life had been cheated, and wanted justice for what had happened. In his slightly warped mind, in order to get this justice, Neji believed he had to target the one at the center of his pain, and that was his cousin Hyuga Hinata. At the moment, he could not touch her, as she was not on a genin team, but rather was studying under the Hokage under the rights of apprenticeship, and would get field experience later. Neji had hoped that Hinata would somehow, either through some sense of courage, or foolishness would participate in the Chunin exams, that the two of them would face off sometime during the exam and he would crush what strength she believed was within her. Now that was not possible thanks to Naruto's interference, his godmother of a Hokage providing the apprenticeship, and the support of Hyuga Hayashi giving his daughter in order to get stronger, but it seemed where fate would deny him his cousin, it would grant him the chance to go after the next best thing, and hurt her future husband in the process. Neji imagined Hinata seeing Naruto bloody and broken would destroy his cousin's self-confidence, that would soon send her into a depressing madness from which there was no escape. All Neji had to do was kill Namikaze Uzumaki Naruto and do it in a legitimate setting in which no one, not even the Hokage, could punish him for delivering the killing blow, and Neji was going to make sure he hit with deadly accuracy.
The Forest of Death. That was the name of this region of Konoha used only by the most skilled shinobi could enter without fear of dying. Only Jounin, Anbu, and the Hokage could enter this region. Inside the Forest of Death, there were wild vicious animals, huge insects, and other scary things said to give unsuspecting people nightmares should they ever be discovered. It was also a place used by Konoha for the Chunin exams. So this is the Forest of Death. Doesn't look like much, boasted Kiba while he along with his team eyeing the large forested terrain with boredom. The written test had been a breeze for Naruto and his team since they knew right away that it was imperative for them to cheat without getting caught. The proctor for the first exam was Marino Ibiki, who Naruto knew was the guy in charge of the T&I division with Anko being his subordinate. In fact, Anko had told Naruto that she worked directly under him, and his skill was getting people to crack those psychological torture. A man worthy of respect in Naruto's mind. After the written test was coming to a close, a good chunk of teams had been eliminated, and the final question had taken a few more. After that, Anko had made her dramatic entrance, and told them all to follow her to the Forest of Death, which was where Naruto was right now with his team and the other teams that survived the written test. Looks can be deceiving, fool. There is a reason why this place is used only by Jounin, the Anbu, and Hokage when they wish to hone their skills, said Naruto while Kiba snarled at him. What did you just say? Demanded Kiba with Naruto not even looking at him. My student is right, Mutt. This place is dangerous. Wild animals, giant insects, and all sorts of horrors are in this place. The objective of this part of the exam when in here is to make it to the central tower within 5 days with 2 different scrolls in hand. One is the Heaven Scroll, the other is the Earth Scroll, and each team will be given one or the other, meaning your team will have to fight another team for their scroll, but it must be the opposite of what you possessed. For example, if you have the Heaven Scroll, you need to find the Earth Scroll, and vice versa, explained Anko, with Kiba looking at Naruto one more time before focusing on her. If it's so dangerous, then why use it for the Chunin exams? Asked Sasuke curiously with Anko smirking. Because it helps weed out the weak from the strong. Of course, Konoha can't risk all the shinobi from visiting villages to bitch at us in the event their teams they send get killed, so we have these forms that require your signature.
It is a standard waiver saying Konoha will not be held responsible if your team is injured, burned, mauled, eaten, maimed, or killed while participating in this part of the Chunin exams, meaning, if you and your team fucks up, the only thing your shinobi village can do is sit there, and take it with a smile on their face, replied Anko with a smile on her face, while the other proctors came around and handed out the forms. Are you two ready? Asked Naruto calmly after he signed his waiver and saw the other two on his team do the same. While I do feel some form of anxiety at the moment, I also feel that I am ready to face the dangers that lie within, answered Shino calmly. I agree. If I can't survive this part of the exam, Then I don't deserve to be a shinobi. I need to do this to prove that I'm worthy of wearing my headband. I am ready, replied Yakumo with Naruto nodding. Good, you and Shino will follow my lead when inside. However, you will not rely on me to get us through this part of the exam. Keep your mind sharp and remember all that you have been taught up to this point. Understand, said Naruto with Shino and Yakumo nodding before they got their assigned scroll. I understand, replied Yakumo. So do I, said Shino. Very well then, let's go, commanded Naruto, as he entered the Forest of Death through the assigned gate with his team, and ignored the looks some of the foreign shinobi were giving him. Temari, Kankuro, under no circumstances are we going to engage that genin team from Konoha, commanded Gaara, as he saw his siblings nod, and enter their own gate. You two know the plan, get a scroll we need and then go for the Uchiha's team after Orochimaru-sama has his fun with him, stated Dosu to his teammates. What about that one Konoha team we encountered earlier? The one with the jerk with the strange cane-turned-axe, asked Zaku with Dosu looking at him. Avoid him for now. Orochimaru-sama will take care of him personally, answered Dosu with his team nodding. We get what need and head for the tower. No stops, no breaks. We complete this like we would any other mission, stated Neji with his team nodding. What about Naruto's team? Do we engage them at all? Asked Tenten, as she didn't want to fight them, and yet knew it was a possibility while in the Forest of Death. No. Naruto himself is stronger than any of us. His teammates are considered strong in their own right too, replied Lee seriously, which surprised his teammates, and wondered why he wasn't shouting about youth in the process. Even the Kunoichi, I heard she is from a minor clan, questioned Tenten with Neji and Lee both nodding. From what I've heard, the Yakumo girl is from a clan many consider to be minor in status, but the power she is said to possess in the art of Jinjutsu is whispered to be more powerful than anything else. It is said her clan's power of Jinjutsu can make any injury you feel in the illusion manifest itself physically on your body. Whatever pain-induced illusion Yakumo casts, your body will feel, replied Lee, as he had talked with Yakumo during her physical exercises to get the girl in tip-top shape. Fighting all three in here would spell disaster for us. We will avoid them for now until a more suitable moment presents itself where we can fight them individually, commanded Neji, as he wasn't stupid enough to fight all three genin at the same time with his own, and decided waiting for a more opportune moment to present itself to get his revenge. Sarutobi clan home. So Naruto's team advanced, stated Hiruzen while Jiraiya nodded since he saw them enter the Forest of Death from a distance. Was there any doubt? Asked Jiraiya with Hiruzen scoffing at him. No. If anything I would have been surprised if Ibiki failed him. He would have if it were up to me, replied Hiruzen with his face becoming a scowl. Orochimaru will take care of him. My old teammate is in the Forest of Death right now. I had my contacts give him what information I could on the brat that would interest him in seeking Naruto out for a possible research subject to study later on. You also seem to be extremely confident Orochimaru will go after Naruto, added Jiraiya with Hiruzen nodding. Of course I am. Naruto literally has the power over life and death in his hands. My old student wishes to be immortal, correct? Something he promised us so we wouldn't die and ensure our rightful place as the true secret rulers of the world. Naruto is the key to making it a reality and Orochimaru won't pass up this chance to get his hands on it, said Hiruzen with Jiraiya nodding. And if he fails? Asked Jiraiya with Hiruzen scowling further. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it, answered Hiruzen knowing that was always a possibility. However, given Orochimaru's increasing greed and hunger for power, having his most skilled student die at the hands of Naruto wasn't a bad idea. There was always a chance to replace Orochimaru with a weaker, yet more loyal individual, and one they could remove at a moment's notice. Forest of Death. 2 days later, Naruto walked through the Forest of Death casually without fear, cane in hand, and his teammates flanking him. They had killed a mist team the previous day with ease and acquired the Earth Scroll after looking through the bodies for it. Yakumo had felt a bit queasy after getting her first kill, and had puked into some bushes while trying to come to terms with what she had done. Naruto told her that there were times when one must kill the enemy to get the job done regardless of what they felt inside on the matter. Naruto also told Yakumo that it was only when she enjoyed it or didn't care about taking a life after the deed was done that she should be concerned about her mentality. Shino agreed with that statement and they saw Yakumo nod in understanding before she readied herself to continue. Since then, the trio had encountered little resistance, and it made Naruto a bit curious due to the fact Iwa along with Kumo had at least one team here in the Forest of Death. The boy surmised that teams from both villages were keeping their distance in fear of facing the wrath of the revived Shodaime Hokage and his fiery-tempered Uzumaki for a wife. No, that's not it, not entirely. There is something else. Something sinister is at work here. Like a snake coiling and waiting to strike at the right moment, thought Naruto with narrowed eyes, and suddenly stopped walking before turning his head right to the source of the feeling itself. Naruto-sama, asked Yakumo while seeing her leader stop and Shino doing the same, while the Aburame tensed as well. Stay on your guard, both of you. We have an unwelcomed guest. Someone who is more powerful than a normal genin should be in life, and I surmise this person is not a genin at all. Not with the chakra reserves I'm sensing, said Naruto while hearing the chuckle of the sinister force appearing out of the shadows. So you are the former Kyuubi Jinchuriki. I heard so much about you from my respected sources. To think the Yondame's only son is here and with the power to control death itself. You will make a great research subject indeed, stated the figure with a pale face and snake-like eyes. And by sources, you mean Kabuto, Jiraiya, and the former Sandaime Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen, right? Orochimaru countered Naruto while Orochimaru's eyes widened in surprise. Clever boy, how did you know all three sold you out? Asked Orochimaru curiously with Naruto smirking. I knew Kabuto was a spy for you given his track record in the Chunin exams was his track record of failures to complete it 7 times. As for the other 2 Bacchus, you just told me they did, answered Naruto with Orochimaru frowning at being played. I see, though if you knew they didn't, why questioned Orochimaru seeing the smirk leave Naruto and was replaced by a frown. Because those 2 have been conspiring against me for years. All they've done from day 1 of my birth was finding ways to control me due to being a Jinchuriki and to make my life miserable, so I would be their loyal dim-witted weapon. It's not that surprising that they would go to you and offer up my form to study in exchange for disabling me during the Chunin exams, Naruto explained while Orochimaru's smile increased. You have a sharp mind, boy. If you were to team up with me, we could kill both of those fools, and destroy Konoha together. Isn't that what you want deep within your heart? To wipe this village off the face of the map? Offered Orochimaru with Naruto scoffing at him. While I should be tempted by your offer, Orochimaru, I'm not the least bit impressed by it. What do I gain by joining you? Nothing. What do you gain? Everything and anything that I am if I let you study me. Something I won't let happen, so you might as well slither back to the 2 idiots and tell them that their days are numbered, replied Naruto with Orochimaru scowling at him in anger over his offer being shoved aside. Insolent brat, I will take great pleasure in hurting not only you, but your teammates, and your parents when they find out how I destroyed their son, threatened Orochimaru while Naruto's teammates tensed when they felt the Sanin's killing intent, but the majority of it was blocked by Naruto's presence. Then you are an even bigger fool than I thought you were from the start of our little conversation. Those 2 idiots never told you exactly what I could do with my powers, did they? Asked Naruto before unleashing his spiritual pressure and watched it consume Orochimaru's killer intent. Naruto-sama, asked Yakumo in a worried tone, as she had never felt this kind of weight on her shoulders, and while it wasn't aimed at her or Shino directly, it was still an incredible weight to endure. Yakumo, you along with Shino will head for the central tower. I will sense your chakra signatures and meet up with you later via Sonido, said Naruto casually, while throwing both scrolls to the Aburame on his team. Understood. Let's go, Yakumo. It's better we leave Naruto to his own devices, added Shino with the Kurama clan Kunoichi nodding and moved with Bug User to the right of their deadly teammate. What makes you think I'll let you to escape my grasp? Exclaimed Orochimaru, as he moved to perform a jutsu, but found Naruto in front of him in an instant after hearing the loud sound of static, and felt his chest cave in after being hit by the right-handed palm thrust. Because I'm making you, replied Naruto calmly while Orochimaru turned into dirt and was revealed to be a mud clone. Fast, much faster than your father. Indeed you are his child, taunted Orochimaru from behind as he moved to punch Naruto in the face, but his joy was stopped when the boy easily grabbed his hand, and broke the limb like it was twig before pulling him forward to deliver an elbow to the chest, again turning into dirt. This is getting old and boring real fast, Orochimaru. Why not fight me for real instead of hiding behind your mud clones? Naruto shot back while sensing Orochimaru above him and going through hand signs. Be careful what you wish for, boy. You just might get it. Summoning jutsu, exclaimed Orochimaru, as he summoned a massive snake, and had it attack Naruto while riding on the head. Fool, was all Naruto said before raising his hand and let stretch out with his palm extended. He's going to use that deadly move I was warned about by Sarutobi-sensei, the infamous Bala that is like a Rasengan in projectile form, thought Orochimaru, as he leaped off the snake, and let it crash into the boy. A boy who surprised the snake Sanin by not moving an inch and grabbed the head of the massive snake summons with his outstretched palm. It became even more shocking when the boy did an open jab with that same hand and caused the head of the snake to explode in a violent bloody manner that in no way affected the serpent's killer. Are you done yet, Orochimaru? I'm in the middle of an exam, and you're boring me right now, said Naruto in a clearly bored tone and saw Orochimaru was not pleased at being thrown away like an annoyance. Insolent brat, let's see how you handle an entire army of snakes. Mandara no Jin, exclaimed Orochimaru, as he let loose wave after wave of snakes from his body, and were all heading toward Naruto. I'm not impressed. replied Naruto while staring at the wall of snakes in front of him. You will be right before you die, exclaimed Orochimaru, as his snake attacked with swords coming out of their mouths with Naruto raising an eyebrow, and could tell this was no ordinary sword. His eyes showed this sword was not only special, but it was laced with poison. Not that it mattered, but Naruto would rather not be poisoned, or stabbed anytime soon by this blade that could possibly, however slightly, do some damage to his body. If his enemies ever learned such weapons could slightly hurt him, again a remote possibility, they would try to gather such mystical legendary items up to use against him. It would be better to destroy Orochimaru now and his sword before it could do anything if at all to him. While slightly more interesting than your previous attacks, it is ultimately pointless in the face of death. Sero Respira, said Naruto, as he unleashed his now signature Sero on Orochimaru's wall of snakes with swords coming out of their mouths, and was slightly surprised the Sannin had the sense of it all to dodge, if just barely, the attack. That attack, it destroyed my wall of snakes. It caused them to die instantly on contact, and those that didn't were rotting. Even now, there are things rotting around us that were near that energy beam, thought Orochimaru as he saw the ground, trees, bushes, and even some nearby animals were rotting away in a clear straight line where the beam had been shot. Still think you were in my league, Orochimaru? Asked Naruto, with Orochimaru himself glaring at the boy. Yet the hunger to tame such incredible power did not leave the Sannin. If anything, it drove the hunger and desire in claiming the Namikaze for his research to increase. I can always get the Uchiha brat at a later date with my cure seal. This boy's body is far more interesting. If could claim his body for my own at a later time, I won't even need to continue the alliance I have with Sarutobi-sensei and Jiraiya Barker anymore in achieving immortality. I just need this body and I will become a true god among all men and rule over this world without opposition, thought Orochimaru with his mind process what to do next when facing the boy. If you have nothing else in your pathetic arsenal, I'll be taking my leave of you, said Naruto before he began walking away and had clearly sensed the Sannin was enraged by being dismissed yet again. In his mind, the cautious side of him was warning the Sannin that he should retreat for now, but the lust for power, and the knowledge to make himself truly immortal was preventing it from being heard. Orochimaru's wounded pride also helped, as the Sannin's upbringing in being considered the best shinobi of his generation based on his younger years being the Sandame's favored student had howled in fury, and demanded something be done. What many failed to even realize except perhaps his own sensei, Orochimaru's pride in his own power had always been his greatest strength, and at the same time, it was also his greatest weakness. I'll show him who is pathetic, thought Orochimaru, as he unleashed a massive wave of snakes at Naruto, who let them wrap around his body, and watched the Sannin extend his neck to impossible lengths towards him with the intent to bite the boy. With his victory seemingly assured, Orochimaru ignored every single warning signal, his instincts saying stop, which were basically screaming at him, and bite down on the boy's neck, or rather, the Sannin tried to bite down on Naruto's neck, but it felt like his teeth had tried to pierce a boulder the size of Manda's head. He was so shocked by the fact his teeth not only failed to pierce Naruto's flesh, but also felt his snake-like fangs breaking. Orochimaru failed to realize the snakes biting the boy had been destroyed, and a hand was now wrapped around his own extended neck. The Sannin looked at Naruto through the corner of his yellow snake eye, fear gripping the man while the boy narrowed his own eyes, and it was clear the young Aranka was not amused in the slightest. I wanted you to go back to Jiraiya and Hiruzen in order to tell them that their plans for turning me into a loyal lapdog again are over. However, your pride has proven not only to be your greatest weakness, but your very downfall in this fight, and as we all know, when it comes after overreaching from too much pride, Orochimaru, the fall being in the form of death in this case, is upon you, whispered Naruto calmly while he began squeezing Orochimaru's throat tightly and sensed this man with his powers, that this was not a clone of any element. This was the real deal, Orochimaru in his grasp. We can work something out, gasped Orochimaru in an attempt to stop Naruto from killing him. You have nothing I want. You have nothing I need, replied Naruto while seeing the Sannin was trying to retract his neck, but was failing miserably, and the young Aranka knew the man's body would have to come to the man's head instead of the other way around. I can help you get your revenge, Orochimaru rasped out while feeling his body force itself to his head. You help me? That's like a god asking a mere insect for help in something as small as moving a rock in its path. No, I can manage Jiraiya and Hiruzen by myself. They are no more a challenge to me than Danzo was to Grandpa Barrigan, replied Naruto, as he stared the snake-like shinobi in the face, while Orochimaru's body caught up to the man's head, and instantly the Sannin went to make a hand sign before a sword shot out at the boy's head, and missed hitting his target at the last, seemingly impossible, at least in Orochimaru's mind, second thanks to Naruto's power no only to a few as Senna Senior. That's not possible. Not even the Yondaime with his Hiraition no Jutsu could dodge my attack, thought Orochimaru in horror at seeing that he not only missed, But Naruto was not happy about the attempt, and wasn't going to take it lying down. I had originally planned to let you go to inform Hiruzen team about how his plan had ended in failure, but now I have decided to kill you, and tell him myself. Goodbye Orochimaru, replied Naruto before using his aging power, and to the Sanin's horror felt his body beginning to age at an accelerated rate. No, it can't end like this, I must become a god, I must become a true immortal, thought Orochimaru, as he tried to free himself from Naruto's grasp, but found the boy's grip was too strong, and his own strength was leaving him. Within a span of a few seconds, which to the man felt like hours, the infamous shinobi known as Orochimaru of the legendary Three Sanin aged, decayed, and ultimately died. And all throughout the shinobi world, various individuals, carrying the mark of the curse seal on their bodies, screamed in pain at the loss of their master. With his task done, Naruto set out to Sunido to his teammates, and sensed they were making good progress to the tower. Unfortunately, they also seemed to be stalled by the genin team from Iowa, and were fighting them off. He also sensed there was someone in this place very similar to his mother in terms of being an Uzumaki as well, and required further investigating. After assisting his team of course, with Yakumo and Shino. Where is he? Where is that piece of filth of a Namikaze? Demanded one of the Iowa genin, with brown hair, green eyes, and a toothpick in his mouth. He is busy at the moment. Why not talk to him at the central tower? Replied Shino, with the Iowa shinobi growling in anger. I don't want to talk to him, I want to kill him, exclaimed the Iowa shinobi.
Because he is the Shodaime Hokage's son, deduced Shino, while Yakumo was already preparing a jinjutsu to keep the other two Iowa shinobi at bay. Of course, I lost my father and uncle to the Shodaime. It's only fair the bastard lose his only child, replied the Iowa shinobi before he along with everyone else froze when they heard a cruel laugh. It's always so nice to know the progeny of a great man can be hated for the crimes his sire does in life, said Naruto, as he was on a tree, looking down at the three Iowa shinobi surrounding his team, and had an amused smile on his face. You, said the leader of the Iowa genin team with his toothpick snapping in his teeth, whatever problems you have with my father, take it up with him. Your desire to hate me for his past deeds is as stupid as the village hating me for Kyuubi, when I still held the fox inside my body, replied Naruto, with the three genin from Iowa snarling at him. Get him, commanded the Iowa genin team leader before the three charged at Naruto while forgetting about the Namikaze's teammates. You should pay more attention to my teammates. They aren't the pushovers you believe them to be simply because I'm on their team, remarked Naruto before 2 out of 3 Iowa genin were consumed in a jinjutsu by Yakumo, where they being eaten by wolves the size of full-grown horses and the leader being consumed in a swarm of bugs coming out of Shino's body. The battle was over before it even started. The fact you are here means your business with Orochimaru has been concluded and we have nothing to fear from him, stated Shino with Naruto nodding. For now. Just because the man is now dead by my hands doesn't mean that someone will move to take his place and try to replace him. Orochimaru was a vile evil creature, but his vileness kept others at bay, and with him now gone, we will have to see who will come out of the shadows to take his place as our newest enemy. Until then, we are heading for the central tower as planned, after I make a small detour about 5 miles west of us, said Naruto with his team nodding, and began walking to their intended destination's central tower days later. Welcome all of you to the central tower here in the Forest of Death. Each genin team here is to be commended for successfully making it here, proclaimed Tsunade, as she looked at the genin teams before her, and saw most of them were from Konoha. The only 2 teams that weren't from Konoha was the Sound team and the Suna team. The Namikaze and his team are here. But Orochimaru-sama was going to take them out in the Forest of Death. Does that mean something happened to Orochimaru-sama? No, it's not possible, thought Kabuto, as he saw Naruto looking unscathed from his time in the Forest of Death while some of the others looked rather ragged, namely the Archer's team after being attacked by the Sound team and were saved in passing by Rock Lee before his own genin team along with genin team 10. Naturally, the Archer didn't like people helping him against those he felt were inferior to his clan, and even more so when his aid came in the form of those that he believed were just as inferior as his enemies. As far as Sasuke was concerned, his own team, and those around him were all inferior to the blood of an Uchiha. The only reason Sasuke tolerated Kakashi was because the man had a Sharingan so he could help the boy get stronger, and was also someone who could help him kill 2 of the people in this world he hated with all of his being, one being Itachi and the other was Naruto. It was no small secret that Sasuke wanted to kill Itachi. The boy had practically preached about it since the first day of coming out of the hospital after he had been successfully, according to all the doctors, treated for the mental trauma that transpired during that night. Sasuke wanted to get the necessary power to crush his brother, and the village it seemed was more than willing to help him do it. At the academy, the Uchiha secretly got private tutors, hints on his test papers on what the answers to the questions were, and access to other things most of the other students, even clan heirs, could not get a hold of due to the age limit.
Of course, being the last loyal member of your clan that helped found Konoha gave Sasuke the ultimate leeway in being able to get what he wanted without a fuss, at least until Senju Tsunade became Hokage and she turned the tap off on the power he was supposed to be getting. Instead, the power went from him to the loser Naruto, who was decreed the Yondaime Hokage's son, and therefore should be given the power meant only for those of Uchiha blood. Not only that, but the loser's parents had come back from the dead, which Sasuke thought they should have stayed, and were helping their son get even stronger. It had infuriated Sasuke to no end and wanted that power for himself to fulfill his ambition of killing Itachi. Sasuke at one point had gone to the Namake's estates and outright demanded that the two adult Arankas give him the power they had gained from returning to life. How it was better off in the hands of an Uchiha and put to better use in killing Itachi. When the two adults refused, stating it couldn't be something one transfers to another, and can't be duplicated by any means, Sasuke was livid. He would have attacked them had his sensei not come at the most fortunate moment and got him out of there before explaining that picking a fight with the Yondaime Hokage, not to mention his wife, was not in the best interest of his health. Kakashi had explained to Sasuke that just as Itachi was at a level beyond the younger Uchiha's reach, for the moment, Namake's Minato and Uzumaki Kushina were at a level far beyond Itachi, that those two alone were more powerful than 1,000 Uchiha Itachis each. In short, Sasuke was told to bite the kunai and do nothing against them for now. One day, loser, one day you and your family will bow to my power. It won't be long before Itachi falls to the power I take from you in this village, thought Sasuke as his mind traveled down the dark emo path of the Avenger, and glaring at Naruto in front of him. Since we still have so many of you here today in this tower, we are going to be holding preliminaries matches to see who will make it to the Chunin exam finals, explained Tsunade with the genin in front of her, paying attention to what she was saying, though most did not look happy. Troublesome, we just got here. It's like running a gauntlet, thought Shikamaru, since his team was tired and would have probably felt worse if not for the retraining they did to graduate. So hungry, need to eat, thought Choji while rubbing his stomach. I know Naruto probably won't like the idea of my team helping Sasuke's getting here, but we couldn't let them die at the hands of the Sound team. It would go against what we all of us were taught while at the academy about protecting comrades when they were in trouble, thought Ino while glancing at Sasuke's team and saw Sakura shoot her a glare since the rescue had made her look bad in the Uchiha's eyes. Given how most, if not all of you are still tired from the ordeal in traversing the forest of death, you can take this moment to decide on whether or not you wish to continue, and if not, then please raise your hand so you can be scratched off the list, stated Tsunade, with Kabuto being the only person raising his hand while looking sheepish. Sorry, I'm beat. I'd like to back out at this point, replied Kabuto while having fake smile on his face. I would think after getting this far after so many failed attempts, you would want to at least try to make it to the Chunin exam finals, said Naruto while glancing at the older boy and giving him a piercing look. Maybe next time, Naruto-kun. There is always next time, replied Kabuto with Naruto's eyes narrowing. So the little spy seeks to back out now and fill the shoes of his now dead master, thought Naruto while turning his gaze toward Tsunade and giving her a knowing look, with the woman nodding when Kabuto's back was turned. The Anbu would be waiting for Kabuto when he left the tower. Above the group genin ranked shinobi was a second floor with a railing where all the spectators, namely the genin teams themselves, and their Jounin senseis, could watch the impending matches. In fact, they were at that moment, with Minato and Kushina being there too. They had used Sinido to make it to the tower in record time once they sensed their son and his team made it to the tower a few days ago. They were also surprised that the group had an additional member with them, who was not only a spy for the now late Orochimaru. Anko had given Naruto a big fat wet kiss with tongue right in front of his mother when she heard that, much to the red-haired Aranka woman's ire, but also a fellow Uzumaki to boot. Apparently, her parents were in grass country, hiding out in a simple village, and had tried to make contact with the Sandaime Hokage years ago to secretly provide protection for them while heading to Konoha. Karen had explained how her parents got nervous soon after sending the message due to the lack of response and were prepared to leave the village in the off chance the message had been intercepted, only for the village to burn and Karen's parents to die. As far as the red-haired girl knew, bandits had done the deed, but Kushina wasn't so sure, since a full-grown Uzumaki, much less two full-grown Uzumaki, could easily take down a large number of bandits easily. What the Uzumaki clan lacked in quantity of numbers, they made up for in quality of their skills, and were well worth a large army of shinobi. With Orochimaru making his presence known soon after made Minato and Kushina suspicious, since the Sannin should not have been there to greet Karen regardless of his missing nin status at the time. It was too coincidental, and it made Naruto's parents wonder if the Sandaime had secretly sent the Snake Sannin there to secure at least one of Uzumaki family members there. It wasn't impossible and was no doubt most likely considered a backup plan in the off chance a new Kyuubi Jinchuriki was needed. Minato theorized that should Naruto's loyalty or his overall usefulness come to an end, the fox would need to be resealed again into another Uzumaki, and Karen, if not one of her parents, would be that choice. So with the need to protect Karen in mind, Kushina took the girl to their home, telling her she was family, and the Uzumaki do not abandon family. Karen was concerned at first out of fear of Orochimaru coming after her once he realized she was no longer able to return to his ranks. Naruto fixed that problem by telling her that Orochimaru had been killed by his hands literally and would no longer bother anyone ever again. While it did take a load off her mind, Karen was still worried about how Kabuto would no doubt take the Sanin's place since he was Orochimaru's sick and personal medic nin to have on hand should the snake bite off more than he could chew. Naruto had assured her that Kabuto would be dealt with soon after things settled down with following the events at the tower, and an Uzumaki always kept his or her word on such important matters. Is there no one else? No. Good. The first match will start when the monitor above to my right shows who is fighting who first in order to advance to the finals, said Tsunade, as she motioned for the monitor hidden in the wall behind her to be revealed, and random names appeared quickly before it was only a matter of time when it stopped to have 2 names appear. Uchiha Sasuke vs Akado Yoroi makes sense. It's only fitting someone like me goes first. I am an elite after all, stated Sasuke while Naruto scoffed while walking to the steps leading the second floor railing. You are only half right, Uchiha. It is fitting that you go first, but not in the way you are no doubt thinking. After all, in board games like shogi, the weak pawns always go first, said Naruto while Sasuke bristled in anger at his comment. I'll show that loser the greatness of the Uchiha clan when I use my power to crush Itachi and everyone he cares about before I destroy him, thought Sasuke before he stared at his current roadblock to achieving his current ambition. While this was happening, Hatake Kakashi eyed Naruto from a distance while making it seem like he was reading his Icha Icha Paradise book. While the boy his sensei's son, the Jounin did not feel Naruto was worthy of that title, and Minato should kill the boy. What was the point of having Naruto around anyway? He was a threat to Konoha. No loyalty, no love for the leaf. So why was his sensei letting the boy live? Because he was his son. That was no excuse. At the very least, in Kakashi's mind, his sensei should have sealed the boy's powers up, wiped Naruto's mind, and sent him to live in some civilian village with his chakra sealed too for good measure. Let the boy live forever as a civilian and start over with a child worthy of being called a Namikaze. You should really treat my student with more respect, Naruto remarked Kakashi, with Naruto glancing over at the Jounin. And you should have honored my father's dying wish when I was growing up, so it's a moot point. Unless you can go back in time and do that, then don't bother talking to me about respect, replied Naruto sharply with Kakashi narrowing his one eye at him. It's probably better he didn't, Naruto. Knowing Kakashi, he would simply kill or restrain you before having the chance to put on Barragan-sama's crown, remarked Minato with Naruto nodding with Kakashi not saying anything since it was true. Winner, Uchiha Sasuke, declared the proctor Hayate Gecko, with Naruto and Minato both turning their attention to the ground floor where Sasuke stood victorious over his enemy, and being a total prick by kicking the downed shinobi in the face before spitting on him. He copied a move Lee used earlier in the Forest of Death and made his own variation of it, surmised Shikamaru, as he had seen the similarities between Lee's move and what Sasuke had just done to achieve victory. It figures that the Uchiha wouldn't perform a move that wasn't entirely original. Without his Sharingan eyes, the boy is as weak as a sickly newborn infant, stated Naruto with Kakashi's glare intensifying. Watch your tone, Naruto. I won't have you disrespect my student, replied Kakashi in a sharp tone. And I won't have you talk back to my son like that simply for telling the truth, Kakashi countered Minato with the Jounin being unable to look him in the face. Impressed loser, asked Sasuke after walking up to the second floor with a swagger in his step. Hardly. The dirt under my fingernails deserves more attention than your moves used to achieve victory, replied Naruto with Sasuke scowling. What did you just say? Demanded Sasuke while Naruto looked at him with a bored expression on his face. Is your ability to hear lacking too? Your moves in your fight were hardly original. You copied someone's move and altered it to your benefit. Until you can perform a move that wasn't copied from seeing someone else do something similar, I won't be impressed in the slightest, replied Naruto dismissively while Sasuke seethed at being considered an insignificant speck. You listen to me, you freak of nature. I will know, exclaimed Sasuke, as he was cut off from his ranting by Minato unsheathing his Zanpakuto, and having the blade pressing against the Uchiha's throat with a trickle of blood running down his neck. Insult my son again and I'll have your head, brat, Minato threatened with Sasuke glaring at him. Minato-sensei, you can't, he's an Uchiha, the last loyal Uchiha of Konoha, protested Kakashi with Minato lazily glancing over at him. Your point? A masked Uchiha attacked my wife the night she gave birth to our son. It was an Uchiha who ripped the fox out of her and used his Sharingan to take control of him to attack Konoha. If anything, this little brat's brother did me a favor by killing all of those arrogant fools. Killing one more won't bother me in the slightest, and if Itachi has a problem with that, he can come face me himself, replied Minato with Sasuke's glare increasing. No one can kill Itachi, only I can kill him. Me, protested Sasuke before feeling the sharpness of the Zanpakuto at his throat dig deeper into his skin. Itachi's level is far beyond you, boy. Just as I am far beyond him. Now sit down, shut up, and leave my family alone before I cut into your jugular, commanded Minato, before he put his Zanpakuto away. You'll be the first one I kill when I have the chance, thought Sasuke before he walked away from the Namake's family. Charming boy. Mikoto would be so proud of her son, remarked Minato sarcastically with Kushina shaking her head. Clearly the boy inherited his father's personality, added Kushina stiffly since she knew the boy's father was the same way. The preliminary matches from there on went somewhat smoothly. As soon as Puppet Master Kankuro went against a leaf shinobi from Kabuto's team named Tsurugi Misumi, who proved to be very nimble with his limbs wrapping around the Tsunagenin, only for the apparent victory for Konoha turning into defeat when Kankuro was revealed to be a puppet, and the real Tsunagenin was the wrapped bundle. Zaku took on Shino, who was able to determine his foe was hot-headed, and arrogant in believing his power over his ability to shoot sound blasts from the palm of his hands gave him an edge in battle. The Iburame was correct. You've lost, stated Shino with Zaku looking infuriated that his palms were clogged with bugs and thus preventing him from killing the Iburame. Fuck you freak, you may think that your village is so hot, well it's not. Sound is going to be the new top shinobi village in the elemental countries. Your time is over, die, exclaimed Zaku as he aimed his hands out despite knowing they were clogged, and felt that with enough pressure to break through the clog. What Zaku got as a result of his anger getting the best of him, was his arms breaking in multiple places via the air pressure from the tubes in his limbs breaking and sending all that power outward in a very painful manner. Clever. Shino used his bugs to cause a clog in the tubing system. With all that pressure building up, the fool had his so-called power turned against him, remarked Naruto, as he felt a sense of nostalgia perhaps, or something else when seeing that maneuver used. Uzumaki Naruto vs Inuzuka Kiba. Finally, it's my turn. Time to show that piece of trash what a true alpha can do, stated Kiba in excitement before rushing down to the arena. Your dog thinks otherwise, remarked Naruto, who used Sinido to get to the arena floor, and saw Kiba looking up to see Akamaru was too afraid to come down. What? Akamaru, get your butt down here, commanded Kiba. But the dog refused, and was shaking in fear of Naruto. Your dog knows when to stay and not cross paths with Death Incarnate. You should praise him for his sensibility and brains, something you lack, replied Naruto with Kiba now snarling at him. Shut your trap. At least I'm not from a family of undead freaks like you and your parents over there, exclaimed Kiba, while pointing at Naruto's parents. No. You Kiba come from an honorable clan that believes in loyalty and companionship with those around them, replied Naruto calmly. He's complimenting Kiba, thought everyone in surprise. That's right, I am from a great and honorable clan, boasted Kiba while puffing out his chest. And given your attitude, it's clear you were adopted, added Naruto with a cruel smirk on his face. There's the witty insulting nature we Uzumaki are known for when pissing people off, thought Kushina with a smirk of her own, and almost everyone was laughing at Kiba. What did you say? I'll kill you for that, exclaimed Kiba while getting a feral look on his face. Better men and people lower than trash have tried, fool. Since I'm still standing, I'm sure even you can comprehend that each one failed, remarked Naruto while he stared at the angry looking Inuzuka impassively. Start the match. I want to make this asshole regret ever insulting me and marrying my sister in the future. Not to mention his impending marriage to Hinata when she's older. The only one who is going to marry that bitch when she's ready to have children is me, exclaimed Kiba while Naruto narrowed his eyes at him. Naruto had been increasingly impressed with Hinata since before the Chunin exams started and visited the young Hyruga since coming back from Wave Country. The girl had been happy to see him back while letting him know of her progress as Tsunade's new apprentice. Hinata showed that her potential to heal others through her medical skills was nearly boundless and would one day surpass even Tsunade at the rate she was going. The only one who was having a problem with it was Kiba, who was upset she was not on his genin team, but also getting married to Naruto in a few years, and made that face known to anybody willing to listen. Naruto had ignored it for the most part out of respect for Hana since he was her little brother and didn't want to ruin their growing relationship. The same could be said for Tsume too, since she was the stupid boy's mother and it could cause a rift or possible resentment between their clans unless the woman herself were to sign the order to exile Kiba. Of course, Tsume couldn't risk doing that without a possible clan heir to succeed her should she need one to take her place as clan head, and with Hana eventually marrying into Naruto's clan, Kiba's value was just high enough to spare him that life, for now. Fight, commanded Hayate before Kiba moved brashly in an attempt to claw Naruto's face off, or at least scar his enemy badly enough that the sight of him would make Hinata cringe. Naruto easily dodged the attacks Kiba executed at him with ease, as they were sloppy, predictable, and slow in his eyes. Kiba himself was filled with rage, his eyes burning with fury over everything that had happened in his life, and blamed it on Naruto. In his eyes, Naruto had taken everything from him, and wasn't the least bit sorry for it. In Kiba's eyes, Naruto took away the Inuzuka's sister, his future bitch of a wife he saw in Hinata, and made him look like a complete fool in the eyes of others. Kiba intended to change that in this fight, or at least he tried to change things in his favor with this fight. Kiba was outclassed in every single way beyond measure. Naruto didn't even change his cane into a battle axe and simply tripped the Inuzuka during one of his charges. When Kiba got off the ground and turned to face his opponent, Naruto had smacked him with the end of his cane with enough force to send the boy flying into the wall. Some of the competitors, who didn't know Naruto, or how strong he really was since they never met him before today, had wide-eyed looks on their faces. Kakashi couldn't believe his student was getting the snot beat out of him by Naruto and saw said boy walking calmly toward Kiba without a care in the world. Had enough Inuzuka? Asked Naruto with Kiba glaring up at him and rushed forward, only to be backhanded right into the wall once more. Why won't you just roll over and die? Asked Kiba while struggling to get up. I have died. Many times actually, replied Naruto with Kiba looking at him strangely. What the hell are you talking about? Asked Kiba with Naruto glaring at him. Use that brain of yours, fool. Think about it. Every beating, the abuse the village brought down on me when I was growing up, and on my birthdays. Did you honestly think none of them were life-threatening? That I didn't die at least once and was brought back to life just so the fools could do it all over again? Even the Uzumaki bloodline I possess, which allows me to take such punishment to the body, can only take so much. The truth is, Kiba, that without the fox during those years growing up, I wouldn't have lived to see my 10th birthday. And even if I did live without the fox to heal me, the people of Konoha would have made sure I suffered every single second of that day before death took me on their terms. Replied Naruto with Minato and Kushina scowling while glancing at Kakashi, currently sweating under their gaze. So what? You are a freak, a monster with or without the fox in you. The Uzumaki clan is always filled with a bunch of freaks. That's what Dad said when growing up. He told me your clan got wiped out and the world was better off for it. Replied Kiba with Naruto's eyes narrowing. And how is the world better off without my clan? Kiba, tell me, does the world seem more stable, more refined, happier? The answer is no. The world has spun into chaos, disorder. The Jinchuriki of the world are hated, shunned, oppressed. They are treated like monsters by the very people who make them, power-hungry hypocrites who don't know when to stop hunting for more of it. You are such a person in the making, replied Naruto, which made Kiba angrier. What? How dare you insult me? I'm an Inuzuka, exclaimed Kiba while Naruto raised an eyebrow at him, and a pathetic one at that. You talk of how your clan embraces loyalty and friendship, but you would sooner kill me to get to a girl who doesn't even like you in the way you want. Your attacks, while unrefined and lacking the necessary means to hurt me, were no less aimed with the desire to cripple or kill me in this match. Given your feral rage, your attitude, and overall name-calling, you wanted to achieve the latter, not the former, said Naruto with Kiba spitting out blood. So what if I was trying to kill you? You're not worthy of loyalty or friendship, or my sister is your future wife for that matter. You're not even human. I can smell it, same as with your parents. The three of you smell of death, of decay. You are nothing more than walking corpses, exclaimed Kiba with Naruto letting out a boisterous laugh. That's a new one, walking corpses. Ha, I've met with your sister countless times, I've told her to be honest with me, and I sense she always has been honest with me. Do you really think your sister would tolerate me or my family if we all smelled like walking corpses? Naruto challenged with Kiba snarling. Her nose is defective, stated Kiba with Naruto scoffing. I highly doubt it. In any case, you are beaten, bloodied, and are on your last bit of energy at the moment before blacking out. Save what little dignity you have left and embrace it, replied Naruto with Kiba glaring harder while ignoring the signs of his body wishing to just yield to the Aranka. Never, I'll kill you even if it's the last thing I do, exclaimed Kiba, as he rushed forward one final time, and aimed his clawed hand at Naruto's throat, only for Naruto to vanish via Tsunade to the left of Kiba and was struck hard in the head by end of the cane that was a few levels in strength short of snapping the Inuzuka's neck. At the very least, Naruto gave the boy a mean concussion, and was hoping to put the fool in a coma from which there was no escape. Naruto could only hope he would be so fortunate. Heal and play dead, dog boy, remarked Naruto before walking away to the steps while Hayate called the match in his favor before the next random pair of names appeared on the board. Kurama Yakumo vs Hyruga Neji. That made Naruto stop, walking and glance at the two competitors. Yakumo was nervous, and rightfully so, given her taijutsu was average at best. It needed to be refined better before using it properly in the field. As for Neji, he was smirking at the future victory that was indeed his on this day, and planned to end this match with brutal efficiency. Yakumo's strength lied in Jinjutsu, which Neji knew would take time to make, and wield against him. Neji wouldn't give her the needed time to use even one of them before crushing the girl with his gentle fist. This match is not in your favor, Yakumo-san. There is no shame in forfeiting this match when you have come so far already, said Shino, with Yakumo looking worried. Sadly, I agree with Shino. You have come far on your first try for this, Yakumo, more so than anyone else in your situation could have hoped to achieve. A good Chunin knows when to flee from a stronger enemy and live to fight another day when the odds are your favor, added Naruto, as he saw the sadistic gleam in Neji's eyes, and knew the fool was itching to get at Yakumo to get to him because he couldn't get to Hinata. I know it's just, said Yakumo, with Naruto nodding in understanding. Your determination and pride is saying to fight. I know what you mean, but in this case, the opponent is not going to give you a chance to fight back, and you are sadly not near his level in terms of taijutsu to hold him off long enough in that field to create one your jinjutsus to put him down. The boy has a grudge against me too, misguided, but one he will use to hurt you just to get to me, finished Naruto, with Yakumo understanding and knowing what to do. Proctor, I respectfully forfeit due to my skills not being at the level needed to fight my opponent properly, stated Yakumo, with Hayate nodding in understanding. Damn it, I got the victory, but not in the way I wanted. Damn that Namikaze, thought Neji furiously while glaring at Naruto for denying him the sweet taste of the victory he desired. It was clear what Neji was thinking when Yakumo saw his angry face, and was even more grateful to her teammates for suggesting she not fight the Hyuga. She knew the Hyuga prodigy was stronger than her, faster than her, and now knew he had a reason to hurt her in the match she just forfeited. Had Yakumo competed, she would have either been badly injured, crippled, or killed by the Hyuga boy. While said Hyuga had a smile on his face the entire time, she may have lost the preliminary match, but kept her life and future as a shinobi in the process, a fair exchange in her mind if there was any. You did well for your first time getting here, Yakumo. Never forget that. You have just recently been put into active duty again and went through a gauntlet when training with Anko in such a short time. Not many people your age or even those older than us can say they have done that, stated Naruto, with Yakumo nodding and smiling. I know. There is always next time, replied Yakumo, with Naruto nodding. Agreed. There is also the chance that you will be promoted if enough missions are done to qualify for it. It has happened before in the past, so advancing through the Chunin exams is not the only way to continue your shinobi career, added Shino, since the exams were just a civilized way for shinobi villages to promote their genin and provide healthy competition. Enough with your feel-good garbage. Weaklings should not be praised for being weak. If they can't compete against a stronger opponent, then they should quit being a shinobi and live out their lives being weak, said Sasuke, with his arrogance stinking up the room and making Naruto want to gag. Silence your forked tongue, Uchiha. It is bad enough I have to be in the same room as you and hear your foul words that make me want to rip off my own ears to shut you out, replied Naruto, in a tone that told the Uchiha that one more word from him would be a big mistake. Why don't you do everyone here a favor and just kill yourself? It would save us all the trouble of being near you, not to mention being near the freak and the weak, added the screechy voice of Sakura, with Naruto glancing at her with hardened eyes. Do not speak to me again, Hiruno, or I will end your life. You have no room to talk given how you chickened out of a mission and hired another shinobi to take your place under your horrible likeness. I have seen the true you, Hiruno Sakura, and what I have seen is nothing but weakness. You are only here because the Uchiha needed one more teammate to participate in the Chunin exams. You are cannon fodder, nothing more, remarked Naruto in a cold, icy tone while Sakura looked livid. You dare insult me? I'll show you, exclaimed Sakura, as she moved to perform a jutsu, but was stopped when chains appeared underneath her and wrapped around the girl's body. You have two choices, girl. Choice 1, I let you go, and you participate in your match. Choice 2, I kill you right here, right now, and no one but your parents will mourn you, replied Kushina, as she was in a position to have her chains rip right through the girl and spray the bodily remains everywhere. Kushina, please, my student may have been acting bit rash, but, pleaded Kakashi, but the woman just glared at him and made the Jounin shut up. Rash? She was going to attack my son. I know he can handle himself, but I won't allow such a thing to happen if I can prevent it. Unlike you, Kushina replied coldly. Agreed. Sakura's actions here have gotten her disqualified from competing here today, and ironically enough right when she's supposed to fight, said Tsunade, as she pointed to the screen and showed Sakura was meant to fight her old academy rival Ino. What? No, I want to compete, exclaimed Sakura while trying desperately to get free from the chains that bound her. Let her compete. It will be all the sweeter to see the fangirl fall at the hands of her rival and a real leaf kunoichi of Konoha, said Naruto, as he knew Ino was taking her training seriously now, and explained to the girl how dieting was unhealthy for her when training could easily burn the unnecessary fat away. Ino had taken his words to heart, and sure enough, the silent urge to diet had left when they went out on their dates, and she ate more often. Ino had focused on exercising and keeping her still growing figure in shape, so any fat she gained could be turned into much needed muscle should she get into a fight with an enemy shinobi that wouldn't expect a girl to have it. "You're sure?" Naruto asked Tsunade, with Naruto nodding. "Yes, godmother, I am sure. If anything, the sight of Sakura failing should be somewhat entertaining," replied Naruto with a smirk, and saw Sakura was pissed off while Kushina released the girl from the chains. "I'll show you," replied Sakura, as she went down to the arena floor, and glared at Ino now with all her anger. If she couldn't hurt Naruto directly, Sakura would aim her sights at Ino, and humiliate the platinum, blonde-haired girl right in front of her future husband. "Ready, fight," said Hayate, with the girls getting ready to do battle. "Prepare to meet your end, pig," exclaimed Sakura, as she charged forward with her fist cocked back, and prepared to hit Ino with it. "Seriously? She's charging forward? Did she throw away all the training we went through just to graduate?" thought Ino, as she dodged Sakura's attacks with ease. "So reckless, so sloppy, so impulsive. It's pathetic really when you think about it. Sakura actually thinks her reckless and angry way of fighting will give her the win. What is this? A schoolyard fight?" thought Naruto, as he watched how Sakura was trying to land one of her punches on Ino's face, but that was all she was using, and it was kind of sad to see someone with ninja training now fighting like a brawler with no sense of coordination, and he thought Kiba was bad when fighting. What did Sakura do? Take lessons from the mutt? Ino, seeing her chance from one of Sakura's missing strikes, moved forward suddenly, and kneed the pink-haired girl right in the stomach. Stumbling back, Sakura was unable to block the second strike with Ino's other leg, followed by some well-placed punches to the face, and finished it off with a nice jumping spin kick. Unlike Sakura, who had let her skills diminish since graduating, Ino had been flourishing like the flowers she loved to tend to at her flower shop, and was showing she was indeed worthy of being called a kunoichi. After Sakura fell down face first onto the ground, Ino had the girl's arms pinned behind her back, and a kunai at her neck. With Sakura pinned and at Ino's mercy, Hayate had no other choice but to call the match in the platinum blonde's favor. It would have been more merciful for Ino to kill Sakura. "Now the Banshee will have to live with the shame of it all," remarked Kushina, with Naruto smirking. "I think that was the idea, Mum," replied Naruto, but soon frowned when Sakura got off the ground, and moved to strike Ino in the back with a kunai, only for Ino to sense it coming and dodge at the last moment before grabbing the limb in a firm grip while glaring at Sakura. The pink-haired girl could only do the same, but she was powerless to do anything due to her overextended reach, and open to being hit by Ino's knee. Ino didn't stop though, as she brought the arm with the kunai in hand behind Sakura's back, and put an arm around the pink-haired girl's neck while putting pressure on the arm so the kunai would drop to the ground. "That was low even for you, Sakura, stabbing a fellow leaf kunoichi in the back," stated Ino, with Sakura snarling. "You have no right to judge me. I'm not the one who has to marry that freak up there in a few years with the other sluts chosen to be with him," countered Sakura, with Naruto and the others frowning when they heard this. "You wouldn't be saying that if they were marrying Sasuke. Besides, you're one to talk about sluts when I know for a fact you tried to have your way with Sasuke in the Forest of Death, but failed when he woke up at the last possible moment, and threw you off of him," countered Ino, with Sakura freezing at being caught while everyone was shocked the girl was that desperate to be with the Uchiha. "How do you know that?" demanded Sakura, with Ino smirking. "I didn't know. You just told me. I honestly thought you would try it while in the Forest of Death when given the opportunity and knew Sasuke would react accordingly. It's easy to make accusations and be accurate most of the time when knowing how to read people like you, Sakura and the Uchiha. Only you would be so desperate to try getting into the Uchiha's pants, and only Sasuke would reject your sexual advancements," answered Ino, with Sakura looking livid at being tricked into confessing what she did. "Bitch," exclaimed Sakura before she felt her wrenched arm being pressed harder at an increasingly unnatural angle. "Says the girl who tried to spread her legs to a boy who doesn't like her in a forest filled with enemy shinobi," countered Ino before kicking Sakura away from her. "I'll kill you," exclaimed Sakura, but was soon restrained by several Anbu, and left in a poof of smoke. "Your ability to teach clearly shows, Kakashi," remarked Naruto, with Kakashi narrowing his eyes at him. "Or really, Ino-san didn't exactly treat Sakura with respect, Naruto." "What does that say about your future wife?" challenged Kakashi, with Naruto smirking. "Considering Sakura was a fangirl of a bitch from the start, I think it means my future wife has a better future in being a shinobi than your student does," replied Naruto, with the jounin near him looking increasingly angry. "You're lucky Minato senses your father, or else I would punish you for that insult." said Kakashi with Naruto scoffing at the threat. Like you haven't already tried in the past in hurting me before that tidbit of information was made known to the public, countered Naruto with Kakashi shutting up since it was true. Sakura will be imprisoned for good this time for her actions and she will not be getting out for any reason, ordered Tsunade with Kakashi silently cursing his luck. The Chunin exams were pretty straightforward from there on out, as Gaara advanced after defeating Lee in a well-earned fight, and Temari beating Tenten by using her fan to unleash a powerful flesh-cutting wind jutsu on the Leaf Kunoichi. Temari had considered hurting Tenten further by letting the bun-head girl land on her weapon, but a glance at Naruto watching her actions made the Suna Kunoichi nervous, and decided to be merciful by catching the falling girl with her arms. Dosu successfully defeated Choji, but not without using some considerable effort on his part, and Shikamaru was able to defeat Kin using his shadow possession jutsu. Alright, now that you've been dwindled down a bit, it's time to find out who will fight who in the Chunin exam finals being held 1 month from now, said Anko, as she had each contestant take a piece of paper out of the box she was holding, and read the number they were given. I got 2, said Neji calmly. I've got 3, replied Dosu. I have 7, said Shikamaru. 8, was all Temari would say. 4, replied Gaara. I'm number 1, replied Naruto with a smirk. I have 5, said Sasuke with his usual scowl on his face. I have 6, replied Ino while seeing Shikamaru wanting to smack his hand against his forehead and muttering troublesome under his breath. I have 9, said Shino. I've got 10, replied Kankuro simply. The names of each person was put on a chart matching up to their number and it made some people nervous. Round 1. Nanake's Naruto vs Hyruga Neji. Round 2. Dosu vs Sabaku no Gaara. Round 3. Uchiha Sasuke vs Yamanaka Ino. Round 4. Nara Shikamaru vs Sabaku no Temari. Round 5. Aburame Shino vs Sabaku no Kankuro. You all have your assigned matches. Train hard for you will be facing this person and those following should you advance 1 month from now. Good luck, some of you are going to need it, replied Tsunade, as she left with the Anbu, and let the Jounin senseis meet with their students. You kicked a lot of ass you too. I'm proud, replied Anko while praising Shino and Naruto for their victories. We didn't wish to damage your reputation, said Naruto with a smirk while Anko just smirked back. Naturally, Anko quipped back. I hope I didn't dishonor you with forfeiting Anko-sensei, replied Yakumo with a sense of worry in her voice. Nonsense, I know Chunin who would have collapsed and peed themselves at the idea of facing a Hyruga if they were in your position. Given how you had little time to train and prepare even with me pushing you so hard, forfeiting the match was the smart thing to do. You did the right thing Gaki and don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Not the Uchiha and certainly not the Hyuga bastard you were assigned to fight. There will be times when you are on a mission and an enemy stronger than you will be your possible opponent. Knowing when to retreat and when to fight is key to being a Chunin. Fighting Neji would have put your health at risk and you would have gained nothing from it. The next time around, I'll have you ready for whatever gets thrown your way, replied Anko with a smile on her face. You shouldn't get her hopes up, Anko. Next time around, she won't have Naruto and Shino to protect her, remarked Kakashi while reading his book. She didn't need to be protected from us Hatake. After I killed Orochimaru in the Forest of Death, I found my teammates fighting off Iwa Genin, and saw they were doing very well. Yakumo especially, replied Naruto while a deafening silence filled the room. Why you killed Orochimaru? Orochimaru of the Sannin, demanded Kakashi with Naruto nodding. The fool bit off more than he could chew and considering his choice in a dental plan it's quite a mouth Orochimaru's got. Shame his attempt to give me a curse seal to force me into submission came back to bite him for change. An ironic one at that, said Naruto with Kakashi looking horrified at the news. This is bad. Sandaime-sama promised Sasuke's body to Orochimaru in exchange that the planned invasion wouldn't damage Konoha too much. The Sannin was the only person capable of training Sasuke to his full potential to one day kill Itachi, get the eyes needed to obtain immortality, and thus continue working on an alternative for the rest of us. With Orochimaru now dead, the plan for a select few individuals being immortal, and ruling over the world as supreme gods has been set back indefinitely, thought Kakashi, as the implication of what Naruto did had sunk in, and knew neither Hiruzen nor Jiraiya would enjoy hearing this. He killed one of the legendary Sannin. What does that mean for the invasion? I need to inform Kazekage-sama about this, thought Baki, as he knew Orochimaru had promised Suna would reach new levels of glory through the invasion, and now the hope of reaching their goal of impressing the Wind Daimyo in order to reconsider his weakening of Suna on a financially were destroyed. One less pain in the ass in our lives if you ask me. Now come on you three, we're all going to celebrate the success of our Genin team. I've got 2 Genin who made it to the finals and 1 at least made it to the preliminaries. Not many can say that for their first Genin team, said Anko with pride in her voice while making sure her jab at Kakashi was known since only one of his students made it to the Chunin exam finals. Losers, Every single one of them, whispered Sasuke while glaring at the woman and her genin team. Easy Sasuke, you need this month for the Chunin exam finals. I'll help you deal with Ino since she's your opponent first and then the real training will start for when you're facing the others, said Kakashi while Sasuke scoffed. Like that platinum blonde-haired hawk can defeat me, commented Sasuke with Kakashi nodding. Still, it's better to be properly prepared for fighting a future enemy instead of not being prepared at all. Your brother Itachi thought the same way when he was growing up and going on missions, replied Kakashi, knowing that the mentioning of the man that Sasuke hated would drive the Uchiha in front of him to listen. Killing is allowed, right? Asked Sasuke with Kakashi. Naturally, it's frowned upon, but it does happen from time to time, mainly between rival villages, but it does happen on rare occasion between shinobi from the same village if they're pitted against one another, answered Kakashi, with Sasuke smirking. Teach me something lethal. If I can't hurt that loser Namikaze directly, I'm going for the slut he's going to marry, and even if I somehow don't kill the bitch, I'll see to it she's just a ruined waste of space in the end, replied Sasuke with Kakashi eyeing him for a second before nodding. We'll get to that during the later half of the month. For the moment, you need to work on your current level of speed and endurance for what I have to teach. This will ensure your overall victory in the Chunin exam finals and hurt Naruto where it hurts most when the time comes, explained Kakashi, as he knew what Sasuke wanted, and intended to give it to him when the time came. As to what Sasuke wanted, he wanted a means to kill or cripple Yamanaka Ino and take away Naruto's future wife from him, and an Uchiha always got what an Uchiha wanted, one way or another. A month had gone by for Naruto sooner than he had expected, so much done each day and not enough time in the day to do the things he really wanted. Training with Karen, preparations for the Chunin exam finals, protecting the women in his life from the greedy councils, and the Uchiha when he learned of Karen's existence. While Tsunade had kept them under control with the lack of supporters, they still did a lot of whining and complaining like spoiled children do until the weak-willed parents cave. Before, the Shodaime Hokage had caved to their whims after a few seconds of bitching about what they needed and what they wanted. Tsunade had no intention of being that way with them, ever. Flashback meeting room. I don't care what the Uchiha wants, he's not getting an arranged marriage with Uzumaki Karen, declared Tsunade angrily while the said Uchiha in the room scowled at her. You can't deny me, I'm an Uchiha, as this is an important union between our clans. You have no right to refuse. It states as much in Konoha's village charter, countered Sasuke with his arrogant smirk appearing on his face. Normally that would be true Uchiha, but that is only the case if both clans wished for this arranged marriage you are proposing to happen. The Uzumaki clan does not wish it. When one clan does not wish it, the Hokage has the power to step in and support the clan refusing the offer, replied Tsunade with the Uchiha snarling since he had missed that part of the charter when find what he wanted and hoped the woman in front of him didn't know about it. Apparently she did. So make them, demanded Sasuke with his already short temper running out. I don't have to make the Uzumaki clan do anything, least of all have them setting up an arranged marriage for a spoiled little shit like you, exclaimed Tsunade angrily with her own short temper having reached its limits with the brat. I'll tell the people, I'll make the village populace protest, you will have no choice but to do what I want, replied Sasuke with Tsunade's eyes narrowing, and I'll tell the people how the Uzumaki clan helped build this village beside my own while yours stayed on the sidelines doing nothing. You think your clan is hot shit, it's not, they did nothing while everyone else did everything. You claim the blood in your veins is one of elites, but what you fail to realize is that elites are strong Uchiha. You are not, you are weak. Why? Because you don't work for your strength or power. Everyone has handed stuff to you. The strong earn their strength and power, exclaimed Tsunade with the Uchiha scowling at her with a snarl on his face. And how do you explain the freak's power? Challenged Sasuke with Tsunade standing and her form causing a shadow to loom over the Uchiha. My godson earned that power through pain, suffering, and anguish you could not hope to endure like he has for the majority of your childhood brat. While you had a home with family, Naruto had nothing. He was lucky to have the clothes he wore every day. You were given love, he was given hate. You were given everything while this village nearly took everything from him. Do not talk to me about what Naruto has and has not earned, you little shit. Tsunade practically yelling directly at Sasuke's face with enough force to make the Uchiha fall back on his ass. I don't believe this. I was supposed to get the girl I want from the Freak's clan and I would get the secrets of his clan through the marriage. How dare the Uzumaki clan and bitch for a Hokage deny me that right, thought Sasuke angrily while glaring at the woman in front of him. This meeting is over. Everybody get out, exclaimed Tsunade, as she had enough of the Uchiha for one day, and the same was said about his bootlicking members in this room. End flashback. As it stood, Sasuke had to let the matter go for now, but he vowed to bring it up again at a later time, and hopefully with someone who would let him have what he wanted. Jiraiya and the Shodaime Hokage seemed to be on board with the idea of Sasuke marrying into the Uzumaki clan, but were upset to hear Tsunade had shot the marriage down. They had planned to talk to the woman, but it was clear the Senju was in no mood to have any kind of conversation with them during the entire month before the Chunin exam finals. Speaking of the Chunin exam finals, the Anbu sent after Kabuto had caught the man successfully shortly after the preliminaries were over. The young medic Nin, who was clearly Jounin level, had given the Anbu quite the hard time, and nearly escaped if not for the former Shodaime Hokage entering the fray. Kabuto was clearly curious how the man had come back to life, hearing only rumors and speculations despite the spy keeping his ear to the ground. Kabuto suspected his sources within Konoha didn't know or had been told to keep it away from him to ensure repeated attempts at duplicating the process did not happen until further study in the matter was done to conduct proper experiments. The medic Nin thought he could defeat the former Yondaime and then study the former dead man's corpse to figure out the process in order to bring about a new body if not breed of soldiers to serve Orochimaru. However, the idea quickly left, and was replaced by rage when the former Hokage had informed Kabuto of the Sanin's death by Naruto's hands. Needless to say, Kabuto did not take the news well, and tried to kill Minato with his variety of skills, and failed miserably while losing both his arms at the elbow thanks to the Aranka's Zanpakuto during their fight. After that, the medic Nin was taken to Ibiki for questioning, and to learn more about the invasion the late Sanin had planned for Konoha. Jiraiya had tried to pry his way into the meeting, in the attempts of preventing Kabuto from telling his interrogators just who was involved in what, and misdirecting information to keep certain individuals from being mentioned. Unfortunately, for the Sanin anyway, the Scarred Leaf Shinobi had orders from Tsunade herself to keep Jiraiya, Kakashi, and even the former Sandaime Hokage himself from interrupting the session. When it was over, Ibiki took all the information he got out of Kabuto directly to Tsunade, who looked it over with sharp eyes, and glanced briefly back at the Jounin. The report had named names, locations where the enemy would strike, what they would use, and the numbers involved in the attack. All in all, it gave Konoha the advantage in repelling the enemy from their walls. It also named her sensei, Danzo, and Jiraiya as co-conspirators with Orochimaru when the invasion happened. Not that it mattered with Danzo dead and Orochimaru along with him just recently. However, what concerned her was the plan had a lot of people from the Leaf acting on her sensei's orders to let the fighting get really bad, and Jiraiya would be responsible for causing a lot of damage during the fighting with the Toads. Danzo would make sure the more important areas were secured with root shinobi, then the Sandaime would fight Orochimaru, literally play the hero, and die as one too while being taken away in secret until he could switch into a young healthy body provided by Orochimaru. While everyone was focusing on repairs from the damage, mostly caused by Jiraiya's Toads, the Sanin was meant to use his status as a Sanin to influence Naruto, who was supposed to be weak-minded, and easily manipulated to do anything the man wanted for jutsus. While Naruto studied under Jiraiya, the man would influence the boy to defend the village from the world's evil, and by evil Kabuto had been informed by the Snake Sanin that it was the other shinobi villages, how they were power-hungry wanted to take power that didn't belong to them, and use it to conquer everyone else via war. Jiraiya was meant to mold Naruto into a weapon of the Leaf by making him believe that every single country aside from Fire was not to be trusted. Again, it was the original plan the group had come up with at the time, and a chance to revise it to match the current date had not been discussed. Even after Kabuto learned of Danzo's and the Shinobi Council's death at the time, he reported it to Orochimaru soon following that event, but the Sanin did not care while saying the plan was still on. This report is disturbing, stated Tsunade with Ibiki nodding, which is why that is the only copy and no one has seen it aside from myself and Anko. I didn't know who to trust even among my own division. Some of the guys I work with have been following the Sandaime Hokage for years and have heard the stories about him growing up. The risk of them leaking this report to him were too high, replied Ibiki with Tsunade raising an eyebrow at him. So have you, said Tsunade with Ibiki nodding. True, but I know when to serve one Hokage, and when to serve the next. My loyalty isn't to your predecessor, Jiraiya, or his plans for Konoha. They insult the very principles that your grandfather believed in and built into Konoha all those years ago. Not everyone thinks like I do, just as I don't think like everyone else does on this matter, Hokage-sama, stated Ibiki with Tsunade understanding what he was talking about. Unlike some people in his division, Ibiki didn't drink the Obey the Hokage currently in office without question Kool-Aid, and was smart enough to keep his mind his own in the process without anyone questioning his loyalty to the village. How many root did we round up and begin reprogramming after Danzo died? Asked Tsunade with Ibiki frowning. Hard to say. While Danzo was head of the organization, I wouldn't doubt for a second that Hiruzen took control of them, or that he might have gotten a sizable chunk of them out of the village until we caught all of the ones we did within Konoha. Not to mention some of the people Kabuto knows on that list we didn't consider were loyal to Hiruzen or their cause. They need this invasion to happen, Tsunade. They need the chaos that would come from this to move undetected to kill you and take control of Konoha. If they do, the Hokage would most likely be Jiraiya, who would put his sensei under an advisory role, and begin their plan to take back control of Konoha. I can only imagine what they would do to the Namikaze and Uzumaki clan should they get the opportunity, answered Ibiki with Tsunade frowning, since the number of route they had differed from the number they expected. That, and Ibiki was right about key people in Konoha just itching to pull a coup on her while using this invasion to pull it off. We could warn sooner. Let the Kazakage know he's being played, suggested Tsunade with Ibiki shaking his head. I doubt it, the man has been known to be quite stubborn. Not only that, but from what we can gather about his son, Gaara is highly unstable, and the Kazakage helped make that happen. If we go to him about this, it might make things worse, and there are still plenty of agents in Konoha who are loyal to the Shodaime Hokage. We should focus inward with the time left before the Chunin exam finals to prepare our defenses in secret while making sure we can round up the shadowy faction within Konoha that will move against you, Hokage-sama, replied Ibiki with Tsunade nodding. Sadly, I have to agree. When the fighting starts, I will try to convince him to change his mind. Hopefully seeing Naruto in action when competing will make him call it off before the attack happens, said Tsunade with Ibiki frowning. With all due respect, Hokage-sama, is the boy really that strong to do what he did so far? I can understand it was impressive, but could he even make a cage, much less the Kazakage call off an invasion, questioned Ibiki, as he had heard the stories, the rumors, and had felt the power Naruto gave off. But even still, an entire invasion force and a Jinchuriki to boot. That boy has a power exceeding the Kairubi. The same with his parents. It would be considered merciful to have Minato and Kushina do all the fighting. If and when Naruto unleashes his full power, let's just say death is an absolute certainty, replied Tsunade with Ibiki nodding. I see. In any case, it should be interesting to see how the boy's various opponents fight against him, said Ibiki with Tsunade nodding. His first opponent is Hyruga Neji, replied Tsunade with Ibiki wincing. Ouch. Is it really true that Naruto can break bones if he chooses to touch and age what he comes in contact with them? Asked Ibiki with Tsunade nodding. Yes, and that is if he lets them land a hit. Neji is fighting an opponent that could hurt him without even trying. Gentle Fist cannot help the Hyuga prodigy in his fight with my godson, stated Tsunade with Ibiki now smirking. Poor bastard, I almost feel sorry for him, almost, remarked Ibiki with Tsunade now sporting a smirk of her own. Hyuga Neji holds a grudge against my godson. A foolish thing to do when all Naruto has done is improve the lives of those around him, remarked Tsunade, knowing Neji had disliked the idea of Hinata being around Naruto and the fact her godson's teammate had forfeited instead of fighting. No doubt Neji wanted to hurt young Yakumo just to get to Naruto. Foolish indeed. Why Hayashi doesn't tell the kid the truth about that night is only making things worse, said Ibiki with Tsunade frowning. You know what happened? Asked Tsunade with Ibiki nodding. One of the few who do. The Shodaime made me swear to keep it a secret. Even ordered it. He said Hayashi would tell Neji the truth when the time was right, but I doubt it. I have met Hayashi in private about the matter. The look in his eyes, he's not going to tell Neji when the time is right, not unless someone or something gives him a kick in the ass hard enough to make the first move. Something I think the Shodaime knew would happen and exploited, said Ibiki with Tsunade frowning. For what purpose? Asked Tsunade with Ibiki shrugging. Secret political support. The Hyuga clan has a lot of sway in the realm of politics in and outside of the village. They've been making sure of that for years in order to keep those outside of the clan from finding a way to gain access to their bloodline. All of the Hyuga elders were very insistent in Hisashi taking Hayashi's place when the deal was first made to keep the peace with Kumo, said Ibiki with Tsunade growling at that, since those old traditionalists never could get their heads out of their ass. All the while, Neji hates his uncle, and despises his cousin in the process, while no one ensures the truth is told to the boy for that very reason, deduced Tsunade with Ibiki just nodding. The Hyuga elders never really loved the idea of Hinata being the next clan head of the Hyuga clan. They felt Neji would be their perfect tool or weapon to bring her down to the point where even Hayashi would cave in, having her put in the branch family of the clan. After Hanabi was born, I imagine the pressure over the matter increased greatly, and the Hyuga elders kept working the fire that is Neji's hatred, stated Ibiki with Tsunade letting out a groan. Let's just hope Naruto doesn't do something that will make him an enemy of the Hyuga clan, said Tsunade before looking out the window at the village secret location. The invasion is still on, stated Sarutobi Hiruzen to the Tsunajanin in front of him, who was surprised to hear this. But Orochimaru is dead. The invasion is compromised. Your successor knows too much and there is not enough time to change the plan to something else, protested Baku with Hiruzen scowling at him. Be as that may, I am confident my forces within Konoha, and can do enough damage while your forces outside do the rest. The Sound Village is still functional and Jiraiya has taken control of it to ensure there are no deserters among its ranks. All of our forces will be able to do what is necessary when the time comes. Make sure your Kazakage knows that, said Hiruzen with Baki nodding. You never did tell me why you are doing this to your village. It is making my Kazakage uneasy and I am starting to wonder as well, stated Baki with Hiruzen frowning further. Konoha has shifted away from my vision of what it should become. My successor, who I never wanted to become Hokage in the first place, has ruined it, and set back my plans using the very boy I was molding into the village weapon. She must be removed and the only way is through the chaos of the invasion. Once it's over, Konoha will re-establish ties with Suna, and acknowledge its strength in a way that will allow the Wind Daimyo to see he made a mistake in redirecting funds to our village, said Hiruzen while only speaking a half-truth to the Suna Jounin. By the time the invasion was over, Suna would be severely weakened, Sound would be annihilated to cover up the Leaf's involvement in its creation through Orochimaru, and Konoha will be uncontested in its power. The Suna Jounin in front of the former Hokage would not live past the invasion and the Kazakage would meet his end as well without even realizing it. I see. I will relay what you have told me to my Kazakage, replied Baki before leaving the room, but still having that uneasy feeling in his body. On the day of the invasion, inform Yu-Gi-Oh! It was Baki who killed her fiancé copyright during this waiting period, said Hiruzen to the Anbu, formerly Root Anbu, standing behind him. She'll want to know how we know this Hiruzen-sama, commented the Anbu with the former Kage glancing back at the Leaf Shinobi. Just say Jiraiya's spy network discovered the truth. It should be enough, replied Hiruzen with the Anbu nodding before he was gone in a swirl of leaves. Konoha Stadium Day of Finals. There is a change in the order of Shinobi competing, questioned Naruto with a raised eyebrow to the current Jounin proctor named Genma. Yeah, while it's complicated, Dosu of Sound will not be competing in the finals due to being killed during the month waiting period, meaning the order had to be changed, if only slightly, replied Genma with a board next to him showing the others who would be fighting who. Naruto would be fighting Neji, Sasuke would be fighting Ino, Shikamaru would be fighting Temari, Q Shikamaru groaning, and Shino would fight Kankuro. The only real difference now was Gaara would be fighting the winner of the first match, so that's the lineup. I see. Gaara fights last since his opponent is no longer among the living, and the Uchiha isn't here either, meaning Kakashi is making him arrive late, no doubt to come here in some fancy impressive way to attract clients to the full specifically after his victory over Ino, provided he can win against her, thought Naruto while he saw the line of contestants standing alongside him. Damn, I was hoping I wouldn't have to fight a girl. Why couldn't I just fight Shino or his opponent? Even Sasuke, why do I have to fight a troublesome girl? Thought Shikamaru while the various kunoichi in the village, both native and foreign too, had a sudden urge to beat up lazy men and boys who loved to stare at clouds all day. At the same time, all said men and boys who were lazy suddenly felt the urge to shiver in fear, and wondered where the sudden sensation came from. Nervous? Asked Naruto, who was standing next to Shikamaru. No. Just tired, answered Shikamaru with Naruto letting out an amused chuckle. I suggest conserving your energy. You will need it for what is going to happen soon, said Naruto while glancing at Temari, while making it seem like he was referring to the Nara's match, not the invasion. Fortunately, Shikamaru caught on to what he was saying, and knew something was going to happen soon. With Naruto glancing over at Temari, the Nara knew it had to do with the Suna Kunoichi, and anything Suna related in general. This also meant the youngest of the Kazakage's children and Jinchuriki by the name of Gaara, was also a major factor, if not the major factor inside Konoha. So why did Naruto seem so calm? Granted, Naruto had every right to be calm, but still you would think the former Kyuubi Jinchuriki would sweat a little over this. Glance over at Gaara with a more serious look on his face. Something. You guys ready? It's nearly showtime, said Genma with Naruto nodding his head. Let's get this show on the road. The Hyuga's not so secret glare is becoming annoying to me, replied Naruto with several genin looking from him to Neji, who was indeed caught glaring, and with his Byakugan too. You will fall this day Namikaze. Fate has assured my victory here, remarked Neji, while Naruto glancing at him with uncaring eyes. Using fate to cover up your failures, doubts, and weaknesses is a crutch. Perhaps you should learn how to walk on your own 2 feet and not use such an excuse to hide behind, said Naruto with Neji scowling further. I have something that will guarantee my victory. Something you can't stop from killing even you, replied Neji with Naruto smirking. We'll see, remarked Naruto before Tsunade gave her speech about the Chunin exams and to begin with the first match. Okay guys, I know killing is allowed, but please, don't kill each other here. It sets a bad precedent for the potential clients, said Genma with Naruto staring at Neji impassively while Neji was in his gentle fist stance. No promises, replied Naruto while narrowing his eyes slightly at the sight of something that should not be in the Hyuga's possession. He will be begging for death by the time I'm done with him, replied Neji with Genma letting out a sigh. I'm going to regret volunteering for this. Ready, fight, said Genma before leaping back to see what would happen next. You do realize your taijutsu won't have any effect on me, right? asked Naruto, while looking calm on the outside, but inside he was angry, and knew he had one person to blame for that. Jiraiya of the Sannin, I don't need to hurt you with my gentle fist, just make contact, replied Neji before he moved forward intent on implementing his plan to combat the Aranka. As if I would let you. I know who trained you in secret, Neji replied Naruto, as he used Sunido to keep his distance from Neji when the Hyruga got too close. Then you know I have the power to hurt you, countered Neji while trying to get close enough to hit his target. Absurd, answered Naruto before vanishing from Neji's sight via Sunido. Then why dodge? Why run like a coward? You claim to be some great entity now, but all I see is a weak fool hiding behind his clan name, exclaimed Neji with Naruto not rising to take the bait like he hoped would happen. Arrogant fool, I don't hurt you because your cousin is watching us. She cares about you and wishes your quest to kill or hurt me would come to an end. I don't hurt you because she asked me not to for the sake of the Hyuga clan and for your own sake, countered Naruto with Neji looking angry. When hearing that, I don't need her protection, I don't want it. What I want is for you to suffer and die while she watches helplessly in the process, exclaimed Neji with Naruto letting out a sigh of frustration. Like you were when your father died, questioned Naruto with Neji seething. So my cousin told you, remarked Neji while pausing in his attack, to gauge how to strike Naruto. From what she remembered, how can you justify your hatred for her? How does your mind work in believing a 3-year-old girl could have a chance of defending herself against a veteran shinobi from another village, one who infiltrated your clan compound, snuck into her room, and nearly got away with it in the middle of the night? Questioned Naruto with Neji snarling angrily. I don't have to justify myself to you. Something unnatural as yourself should stay dead and let the living do what they please, retorted Neji with Naruto snorting at him. The only unnatural thing I see is what you are secretly hiding and holding within your palms, Hyruga Neji. To think you would lower yourself, that you would try to have such a thing on hand to use against another. Your own father would be ashamed of you, replied Naruto with Neji looking ready to explode with rage. Shut up, you are a monster, a freak of nature, something like yourself and your parents are not meant to walk around freely. It's time you were brought under heel. I will do just that and get my revenge on Hinata-sama, by making you suffer, exclaimed Neji angrily before charging forward to unleash his gentle fist on him again, and striking Naruto on the forehead. Leave it to Jiraiya to create another version of the cage bird seal for you to use against me, remarked Naruto calmly while Neji's arm broke within seconds of making contact with him and the seal appearing on the Namake's forehead. No. Naruto protested Hinata in shock and horror along with those that knew him, while wondering why he let Neji hit him with the seal. That bastard got Jiraiya to help with that kind of seal, on my son. Oh, that old pervert is so fucking dead, thought Kushina and Minato angrily. I've won, declared Neji while leaping back, his one remaining limb going through hand signs. Hardly, replied Naruto calmly with Neji's grin never leaving him. Holy life curse seal. Submission, exclaimed Neji, as he activated the seal, and saw it glowing around Naruto's head, while fully expecting his opponent to fall to his knees in agony. Instead, Naruto shocked Neji by just standing there with a raised eyebrow while looking completely unharmed. Is that it? Is that what you spent the entire month preparing for? Just some gentle fist training and a seal supposedly designed to hurt me whenever you want? You didn't even make the seal. Jiraiya probably gave it to you before coming here, gave a brief half-assed explanation, and hoped it would work, replied Naruto with Neji gritting his teeth. Why isn't it working? Jiraiya-sama said it was an altered version of the cage bird seal with more advanced settings and anyone struck by it would be in pain when a hand sign is being made. Why isn't the hand sign working? Thought Neji while seeing the seal on Naruto's forehead being removed by the Namake's with a small swipe of his hand. Let me explain something to you, Neji, something even you can understand in that head of yours. As I am now, sealing doesn't work on me. It never will work. You see, Neji, like everything else, seals fade away with time, and they age to the point where their strength is gone. I age anything that touches me that I dislike, from any and all weapons to limbs used in taijutsu and of course sealing. Danzo and his root shinobi learned that the hard way before they died. What makes you think some pathetic little third-rate cure seal that was made from a perverted so-called sage for a fool could hurt me? Explained Naruto before he turned his head to look at where the man was watching with nervous eyes. Damn it, I thought for sure the curse seal would work. I underestimated how quick he would use the aging power on the seal, thought Jiraiya, angrily while knowing Naruto and his parents would soon come after him. He had spent the entire month researching curse seals. From Orochimaru's work to the Hyruga's cage bird seal, he thought what had been created would be enough to use on Naruto, forced the brat into submission, and used the brat's suffering to bring the parents in line long enough to seals on them. With them underfoot, they could get Tsunade kicked out of the Hokage seat, Hiruzen back in office as Hokage again after making Naruto use his reverse aging power, and bring about the Shodaime Hokage's vision of Konoha. This farce of a match has gone on long enough. It's clear you don't care about anyone around you, Neji. I had hoped you could be redeemed for the sake of your cousin, but it's clear someone like yourself would sooner die than admit wrongdoing than try to make up for it. Death is the only salvation for you, replied Naruto with Neji scowling at him. I'm not done. Fate is on my side. I know it, I can feat it, exclaimed Neji, his eyes now showing some form of insanity, and it was clear to Naruto that the Hyruga had slowly lost his mind. Not surprising really when all things considered. Naruto was considered unnatural, an anomaly in his eyes. Everything the Hyruga believed in, the Namikaze brought doubt and disbelief to in an instant. Naruto came from nothing, was raised with nothing, and treated like he was nothing. Only now did he rise above it all, have incredible power, was in the Chunin exams, and no doubt would be well on his way to becoming a Chunin. It went against the Hyruga's belief in fate preordained everything. If you have nothing, then fate decrees you are nothing. If you have something, fate decrees you are meant to have it, and so on and so forth. No. What you see and feel is death. I just hope Hinata can forgive me for what I am now about to do, replied Naruto before his cane turned into a battle axe, and had the red evil-looking eye in the center between the blades. The boy briefly glanced at Hinata, who was looking at him, and gave the slightest of nods toward the Hollow Prince. She gave her blessing. Die! Yelled Neji, as he charged forward, intent on crushing the abomination, and enemy of fate in front of him. You first, whispered Naruto before he vanished via Shinado and appeared behind him seconds later. And seconds after that, Hyruga Neji was cut in half at the waist. I'm calling the match, kid. If we're lucky, we can still save Neji with Tsunade's help, said Genma, but the glare and raised fist from Naruto froze him in place. I'll decide whether or not he lives past today. Not you, stated Naruto before he walked over to the dying Hyruga and turned his weapon back into its cane-like appearance. What's wrong? Why do you just stand there? Finish it, stated Neji with Naruto looking down at him. I did finish it, Neji. With the amount of blood loss and the lack of a body from the hip on down, I have taken your life in the cruelest way possible. But at the same time, I have the power to make it restart anew with my powers, said Naruto calmly with Neji scowling at him with what little life he had left. And what would be the price for such generosity? Asked Neji with Naruto just looking from him to Hinata and back to him again. That when I fix you up again, this silent feud you have with Hinata, this arrogance of yours, and the constant blabbing about fate dies in your place, replied Naruto with the Hyruga glancing from Naruto to Hinata while seeing the girl's eyes pleading with him to take the deal. Not much of a choice, commented Neji with Naruto narrowing his eyes at him. You're lucky I'm giving you a choice at all. I could just let you die here and bleed out while thinking about all the people you've hurt just for being alive. I could leave you here to die while being filled with regret at hurting your cousin for something that was never her fault to begin with, replied Naruto while seeing Neji's pride wasn't willing to let go just yet. Like I said, some choice, remarked Neji with Naruto scowling at him. I'm giving you a chance at redemption. Choose quickly. Your time is just about up in the next 2 minutes. Literally, said Naruto with Neji gritting his teeth and deciding on the right course of action he should take. I humbly accept your offer, whispered Neji with Naruto nodding before nodding at Tsunade, who appeared seconds later, and helped align the two halves the Hyuga boy together properly, ignoring Genma announcing Naruto's victory over Neji to a shocked crowd. Good choice, replied Naruto before kneeling and putting one hand on both halves while Tsunade used her own medical skills to ensure everything was in working order when it was done. You should also know that your uncle has something for you. It was from your father. He left it for you to read after he died, added Tsunade with Neji looking at her in shock. What? Why didn't Hayashi-sama tell me? Why wasn't I given it or told about it until now? Asked Neji with Naruto snorting. The Hyuga elders forbid your uncle from giving it to you on the grounds of being old enough to understand, which we all know is crap. They wanted you to hate Hinata and everything she loves, to turn you into their weapon against her any friends she may have over the years. They planned to have you be their instrument of destruction in putting her down so they could control her sister Hanabi, and keep the idea of changing the Hyuga clan from ever happening. Answered Naruto. He knew enough about politics to know how the Hyuga elders acted. Hinata-sama did say that once, but I thought it was an empty promise, something she came up with to keep the hatred of the branch family at bay. The Hyuga elders had said as much during one meeting they had regarding clan security, how such a declaration would not happen because clan traditions prevent it and Hinata's future marriage to you. Naruto replied Neji with Tsunade scowling at the mention of the Hyuga elders. Those fools won't live forever and they seem to forget that the Uzumaki clan originally came up with the cage bird seal years ago at your clan's request. Though based on the design on your forehead, they altered the seal without permission, stated Tsunade with Neji frowning and was surprised by this news. The Hyuga clan records don't mention an Uzumaki commissioning the seal, said Neji while Naruto snorted. As if they would. My mother told me about this piece of history. The Hyruga clan was a traveling clan years ago before the founding of the hidden villages, and their paranoia about their bloodline being taken during that time rose in the process. Shinobi clans were attacking each other, wiping each other out, and things were getting messy with rumors of clans with Dojutsus having their eyes ripped out. The only clan not affected by this warring period was the Uzumaki clan, as they settled on an island that would be called Whirlpool Country, and set up a defensive position in order to grow. The Hyruga clan paid them a visit and requested their help in making a seal to protect their bloodline from being harvested. The Uzumaki clan agreed and made them the cage bird seal, but back then it was called the Dojutsu protection seal. The Hyruga clan was grateful for this, but the Uzumaki clan wanted them to promise them, both on their honor, and in a contract signed in blood, that the seal would never be altered. Replied Naruto, with Neji looking completely floored by this information. But Hokage-sama just said the seal the Uzumaki clan gave mine was altered since that time, replied Neji while Tsunade grimaced. Your clan broke their promise, Neji. Those present when handed the seal secretly had it altered before placing it on a majority of the Hyruga clan. Once that happened, those without the seal, who would become the main family, had forced those that did have it into submission, and threatened to kill all the children of the now branch family if they told the Uzumaki clan about their treachery. The Uzumaki clan still found out, but by the time they did learn of the Hyruga clan's betrayal, the second Shinobi War had come around, and Whirlpool soon falling afterwards, replied Tsunade with Neji grimacing now. The Hyruga elders will deny it. They will claim without a binding contract, there is no proof the Uzumaki clan created it, stated Neji with Naruto smirking. The one thing the Uzumaki clan do above all things when it comes to making binding contractual agreements with other clans, is they make sure they are done in triplicate, said Naruto with Neji looking at him with a frown. In triplicate? Asked Neji with Naruto nodding. The contract was made in triplicate for record-keeping purposes, one from the Uzumaki clan in Whirlpool, one for the Hyruga clan, and one extra to hold on to in the off chance someone tried to screw them over. After the Shinobi villages were founded, the Uzumaki clan were allies with the Senju, and were even tied together through marriage. As such, one Uzumaki Mito, who was Tsunade's grandmother, had given her husband, the first Hokage Senju, Hashirama, the extra copy. She told him what it was and to make sure no one outside of their two clans knew about it unless there was a reason for it, explained Naruto with Neji's eyes widening in shock. The extra contract is here in Konoha, in the Senju clan compound, whispered Neji, but it did little to keep the words from being heard, and the Hyruga elders in the stand were now scowling. We must find a way into the Senju compound. If that damn contract were ever brought to light, the political backlash would cripple our power base, whispered one Hyruga elder while the second sitting next to him nodded. We will send some of our best infiltrators there later while the Hokage is busy in her office. Since it's just her, the building will be deserted, and it will be hours before the woman returns to it. Plenty of time to find the contract and destroy it like we did ours once we had no further use for the thing, said the second Hyruga elder. Done. I wouldn't advise anything strenuous for a while, Neji. Even with my power and Tsunade's help, you really can't do anything for the next 5 months. At least that long before your body is fully recovered, said Naruto with Neji nodding in understanding before medic Nins waiting for the all-clear took the Hyruga away. Begin the next match, commanded Tsunade with authority and sat down again in her chair while the Kazekage looked down at Naruto's retreating form with narrowed eyes. That boy is the main threat to this invasion. Baki said that Jiraiya-sama guaranteed the boy would be neutralized by the time the invasion happened. Could it be a lie? Thought the Kazekage worriedly, since he was hoping Naruto would be taken out by the Hyuga. Yamanaka Ino and Uchiha Sasuke, please come down for your match, commanded Genma with Ino coming down first while everyone was waiting for Sasuke. It wasn't long before the crowd got restless. The brat isn't here. Disqualify him, commanded Tsunade before Jiraiya appeared next to her. Wait, you want to disqualify Sasuke, the last Uchiha? Come on Tsunade Haim, a lot of people came here to see him compete. Such a decision could cost the village its future clients, protested Jiraiya while Tsunade glared at him. Imagine if this becomes a habit, Jiraiya. Shinobi who are late to meet the clients or save them when they are in trouble is bad for our reputation. Late shinobi equals dead clients. Word soon spreads like a plague and all our past and present clients go elsewhere. The Uchiha being among the last of a clan does not give the brat special privileges in being late. He's disqualified, said Tsunade in an authoritative tone before signaling the Jounin next to her to inform Genma. Tsunade, please don't do this, protested Jiraiya with Tsunade's glare intensifying. Enough, I am the Hokage here, Jiraiya. Not you, not Hiruzen, me. And I say the Uchiha is disqualified for his tardiness, and that is that, exclaimed Tsunade with Jiraiya frowning at her words. You will come to regret this, Tsunade, thought Jiraiya before left the female Hokage to enjoy Chunin exams, while she still could. Uchiha Sasuke is disqualified for his tardiness. Winner is Yamanaka Ino. declared Genma, with many in the crowd booing the decision, while many of the nobles and the future clients nodded in understanding. Serves the fool and his sensei right, you show up on time for everything, no exceptions, thought Naruto before the next match started. I don't want to fight, I think I will just forfeit my match, mumbled Shikamaru before he felt something small and circular touch the back of his head with the power behind it now sending him over the ledge onto the ground. Crash, get up you bum, I've been itching for a fight and you are my current scratching post, said Temari, with Shikamaru grumbling while glancing back and saw the end of Naruto's cane retreating back. Damn it, Naruto, whispered Shikamaru before getting up and wiping the dirt off his body. Ready? Asked Genma, seeing Shikamaru looking like he hated being there and Temari was looking like she wanted to beat the boy's brain into the ground. Do I really have to fight a girl? Can't I just forfeit? Asked Shikamaru before a sudden sense of dread washed over him and looked in the stands to see his mother glaring at him. It was a get off your lazy ass or else look that made many Nara males shiver in fear and always giving a high speed yes dear nod for a response. Talk about being between a rock and a hard place, commented Naruto with an amused chuckle leaving his mouth. Either face Temari and get his ass kicked in public or face his mother and get his ass kicked in public as well. Never mind, whispered Shikamaru with Temari smirking. Get ready for an ass kicking, said Temari with Shikamaru sighing. No matter happens, I'm going to get my ass kicked today. Troublesome, I just can't win, commented Shikamaru with Naruto smirking from his position while finding this to be very amusing. It was like watching Barragen's memories of Stek and that girl who always beats the crap out of him for being lazy. Fight, said Genma with Temari swinging her iron fan open seconds later. Time to see if you did more than sleep during the whole month preparing for this, said Temari with Shikamaru groaning. I kind of had to or else my mother would have beat me within an inch of my life. Maybe I should have and hoped my injuries prevented me from competing, replied Shikamaru while thinking if it was possible and he made the wrong choice on how to approach this. As if I would let my attacks stop you, thought Yoshino as she would have rolled him in his wheelchair, and wearing a full body cast onto the field herself to make sure her son competed. At least my son didn't make the same mistake I did at his age. My mother didn't take my attitude regarding the Chunin exams lying down either, thought Nara Shikaku, as he let out a shudder at the memory, and how his mother had dragged his body onto the field so he wouldn't be considered late and disqualified. It was so humiliating. The only person who enjoyed the spectacle was Kushina, who had thought it was hysterical, and laughed herself silly at his situation. She still did actually when brought up when they all got together and made sure to remind everyone just how the Nara women in the clan wore the pants in it. The only thing more troublesome than women in general were women from the Uzumaki clan. Hell, everyone from the Uzumaki clan were the definition of troublesome. Winner by knockout, Temari from Suna, declared Genma before he winced at seeing Shikamaru on the ground after being hit over the head with the girl's weapon and sporting one mean lump on his head. That will teach you to call women troublesome, exclaimed Temari angrily. But I never said that out loud, mumbled Shikamaru with Temari smirking at him. But you are thinking it. Women like me have sixth sense about when men talk about us behind our backs. I could sense it was coming off of you, answered Temari with the Nara in front of her groaning. I knew it. Dad's theory was dead on, whispered Shikamaru in pain before being carried off the field. The next match is Iburame Shino versus Kankuro from Suna, stated Genma while Shino moved ahead to the field. I forfeit, exclaimed Kankuro, knowing he might have to face his brother if the tournament had to continue, as everyone unknowing of the invasion believed it would. Fine. Winner by forfeit is Iburame Shino, declared Genma with the crowd looking at how the puppet master took the easy way out while Shino just looked at Kankuro with narrow eyes behind his shades. The next match is Namake's Naruto versus Yamanaka Ino, said Genma with Naruto using Sunido to take to the field while Ino came down a minute later. Show off, commented Ino with Naruto smirking at her. You liked it, countered Naruto with Ino shrugging. True, answered Ino, since she always thought him using Sunido was awesome. Ready? Asked Genma before a swirl of leaves caught his attention and saw Hatake Kakashi arrive with Uchiha Sasuke right beside him. I'm sorry, are we late? Asked Kakashi with Naruto narrowing his eyes at the man and the arrogant smirk the Uchiha was sporting. Actually you are late, Kakashi. Sasuke has been disqualified for it, replied Genma with Kakashi looking shocked and Sasuke now looking livid. What? On whose authority? Yours, demanded Sasuke with Genma looking over at the Hokage. Not me, the Hokage. You were late for your assigned match, Sasuke. Time does not wait hand and foot to make you happy. It's just like when on missions you show up for them on time. Failure to do so could get your client or comrades killed. The Hokage knows this, I knows this, and every shinobi worth their headband knows this. Even all the missing nin out there in the world when they were still part of their shinobi village know this, said Genma with Sasuke frowning. Like I give a damn, I'm an Uchiha. We show up when we want. If I want to show up late for the client, then the client just has to suck it up and deal with it. Hell, The client should be honored I even show up at all, replied Sasuke with Genma frowning at him. Your teaching skills leave much to be desired, Kakashi, remarked Genma, with Kakashi now looking sheepish. He's a handful, Genma. You know how it is with some of the prodigies that Konoha has produced over the years, said Kakashi with Genma frowning. I wouldn't know. I tend to stay away from them, unless absolutely necessary. In any case, your student needs to sit in the stands like everyone else, stated Genma with Sasuke not liking that. I have a match with the bitch over there and I will compete whether the Hokage up there likes it or not, declared Sasuke defiantly before walking toward Ino, only for the Uchiha to feel an immense pressure now filling up the arena, and many were gasping for air and clinging to someone around them for support. Even the Yondaime Kazekage was finding it hard to breathe and was looking at the source of it all with wide scared eyes. Not surprising when the source of this sudden pressure was Naruto, who had enough of the Uchiha's constant belief of being untouchable, and decided to lay down the law, Uzumaki style. Are you done? I am sick and tired of you Uchiha, strutting around this village much less this arena like a peacock with your feathers out for everyone to see and be impressed by them. Well, I'm not impressed and neither are they. You were late for your match, you are speaking with an arrogant tongue, and you currently believe the world owes you all the riches lying deep within the ground waiting to be handed to you, and simply because of the fact you are an Uchiha. Your very presence is a stain on the world. You are filth, a disease. A rotting dead horse with maggots coming out of it had more value than you, declared Naruto, before walking over to Sasuke, currently on the ground trying to stare up at the towering Aranka. At least I'm human. What does that say about you, monster? Accused Sasuke while he struggled to breathe and talk. I may be a monster, but compared to you Uchiha and how you view the world, I'm a far better person than you ever could hope to be in life, replied Naruto, kicking the Uchiha in the face and sent him flying into Kakashi with the two hitting the wall hard. Before Naruto decided to cut off the spiritual pressure. Not that I haven't trained or anything, but can I forfeit too? Asked Ino nervously, since she knew her strength when training the entire month could never match up to her future husband. Of course. Sorry about that, Ino. I just couldn't stand the idea of Sasuke getting his way and needed to put him in his place. I also know you trained this entire month because my mother made it her business to know. She wants to have a strong daughter-in-law by the time we marry, said Naruto with a gentle smile, with Ino blushing and nodding while thanking him. Okay, Yamanaka Ino had forfeited her match. Winner is Namake's Naruto, said Genma, with no one from the crowd booing or cheering since they were afraid Naruto would use his spiritual pressure again. Troublesome. As much as I dislike the idea of Ino being allowed to forfeit, I would have done the same in her shoes if I was facing Naruto, said Shikamaru while glancing at the other contestants in the booth with him. Such power. It's no wonder people are scared of him, thought Temari while looking at Naruto before glancing at Gaara, currently smiling an evil smile filled with rage and bloodlust. Finally, someone in the world worth killing, said Gaara while everyone else, who did not know the boy, currently looking at him in confusion. Oh shit, thought Kankuro knowing that look. The next match is Namake's Naruto versus Temari from Suna, declared Genma before he saw Temari coming down on her fan. But unlike before with Shikamaru, she was looking a tad nervous. And no one will blame her. I don't suppose you would go easy on me, said Temari with Naruto smirking at her. That depends. Do you want me to go easy on you? You look like a woman who doesn't like opponents holding back when in a fight, replied Naruto with Temari smirking at that, since it was true. No, I don't want you to take it easy on me. Forget I said anything, said Temari while getting her fan out, and Naruto smirked. I already did, said Naruto before turning his cane into its battle axe form. Ready, fight, said Genma with his hand coming down. Dekametachi no Jutsu, exclaimed Temari as she unleashed her attack on Naruto in the hopes it would hurt him, since it was one of her more powerful wind-based jutsus that was capable of cutting things to pieces. The wind jutsu did cut and slice things to pieces around Naruto, as the ground, the trees, and even the boy's clothing was cut up in various places. The violent wind made Genma leap back, since he didn't want to be caught in the path of the attack and saw it was a very powerful jutsu. It was a well-known fact Suna Shinobi had a strong affinity for wind and puppetry, and this girl was showing she inherited one of those two things. Interesting attack, Temari-san. You even managed to cut through my clothing. Not many people can say that was possible. Most impressive indeed. Sadly, for you anyway, it did nothing in terms of cutting through my skin, said Naruto, knowing her attack would do just about everything else. Damn it, I thought my jutsus could cut through him. I heard rumors about his skin being as hard as steel, but to see my attack did nothing further proves the rumors are correct, thought Temari before she saw Naruto vanish from her sight, and her eyes widened before she moved on instinct to dodge the attack aimed at one of her legs. Good instincts. You were paying attention to my fight with Neji in the hopes of learning of a way to dodge or block such a move, even though you saw me do it only once during the entire match, remarked Naruto casually. I also saw your speed. When you use that move, there is a static-like sound, and it gives me a split-second warning needed to move. The trick is being able to hear it, said Temari with Naruto nodding. Very true. Not many people know about that since they're either dead or they can't hear it like you do. No doubt it is something related to your strong affinity for wind, correct? Deduced Naruto with Temari nodding. That's correct. Now let's see if you can take another hit. There is only so much your skin can take before it finally breaks. Daikameitachi no Jutsu, said Temari while the attack once more cut and sliced everything in its path. Normally, you would be correct, but my hero makes your attacks worthless, stated Naruto before looking down and saw his shirt was in tatters and decided to just throw it off to reveal his well-muscled body. Damn, he's muscled for a kid his age. Did they put steroids in his milk formula as a baby, thought Temari while blushing at the sight of her opponent shirtless. I knew Naruto was muscular under that shirt, but, damn, stated Ino as she had seen signs of it before with his shirt being open, but the girl had never seen him like this. It makes you wonder what he will look like when he's a full-grown adult, thought Hana, as she was starting to feel a blush forming on her face, and knew her body was reacting to the sensation of seeing her future husband like that. So hot, must resist. Eye humping, student, thought Anko as she saw Naruto was well built underneath his shirt, and wondered if Kyuni knew this too. That's right Konoha, that is my future husband, thought Hinata at the sight of Naruto shirtless made the girl blush and a small nosebleed forming. If I didn't know any better Temari-san, I would think you were trying to get me out of my shirt. If that is true, you have been successful on your part, remarked Naruto with some amusement while Temari was sputtering and blushing at the fact he had seen how her eyes were ogling his body. Shut up, exclaimed Temari before she moved to swing her fan one more time, but Naruto moved too fast, and was instantly in the kunoichi's face. Boo, whispered Naruto and was rewarded with Temari letting out a shriek before she jumped back several feet and fell on her butt in fright. That was awesome. Nice one, exclaimed Kankuro before he yelped and ducked when Temari threw some shuriken at him. Shut up Kankuro, exclaimed Temari before focusing on Naruto currently smirking at her. Such a quick temper Temari-san. For shame, said Naruto in a scolding tone and the girl looked embarrassed before growling at what he did. I'll show you a quick temper, Far-tun. Tatsu no Aoshigoto, exclaimed Temari with one more swing of her fan, pouring all her strength behind it, and launched the swing of her fan into the sky. Seconds later after nothing happened, storm clouds began to form from above the two shinobi, and a massive tornado soon followed with form of Mother Nature violently crashing down onto Naruto. While this happened, many watched with bated breaths, and wondering if Namikaze could withstand an entire tornado being brought down upon his head. When it stopped, the dirt kicked up was preventing anyone from seeing if Naruto was alright, or he was taken down by the jutsu. Impressive. A delayed attack mixed with your temper makes the enemy think the jutsu failed, but in reality, it was time delayed, and meant to destroy the unsuspecting foe hit with it, said Naruto, who was completely unharmed by the attack, and shocked Temari to no end. He just took a tornado and shrugged it off. How is that possible, thought Temari with Naruto smirking. Care to try again, or are you out of chakra, asked Naruto with Temari eyeing him with extreme cautious and glanced at his Zanpakuto. The memory of Neji being cut in half by it appeared in her mind. I give up. If you can withstand my most powerful of wind jutsus like that, it would be pointless to continue fighting, answered Temari with Naruto turning his sword back into its cane form. Winner is Namikaze, Naruto declared Naruto with many of the clients and nobles now looking impressed by the act. Only the fire daimyo seemed displeased. He had been assured that the former Jinchuriki would be brought to heel and so would his brought back from the dead parents. Unlike the fire daimyo's predecessor, this one did not believe any Jinchuriki were deserving of being labeled humans, and it was the same for any other variation of them. This included what Naruto had become what was called an Aranka and had wished to quash any kind of rights the family may wish to claim on the family holdings. To the fire daimyo, all Jinchuriki were considered abominations, tools to be used in war, and only to be used as a last resort when the war escalated. Until then, a shinobi village could do whatever they wanted to the Jinchuriki, provided it wasn't betraying him, or usurping his rule over the entire country. The only reason Kushina, or Uzumaki Mito weren't treated like that was due to the previous fire daimyos and the family of both Jinchuriki being there for them while keeping their status as Jinchuriki a secret. The current fire daimyo had no intention of being like them. He wasn't going to embrace Jinchuriki, or this Aranka like his father and his father before him would have done in his place. No. He would soon order the boy and his parents be made into weapons of war and be without any rights or freedoms normal humans possessed. He would order the clan homes be liquidated or handed over to someone worthy, like the Uchiha perhaps. Yes, the boy had been slighted by Tsunade and all for being a little late. Who cares if the boy was a little late? This was only a competition, not a mission or assignment that was considered. Time is of the essence and not being late was considered bad. Besides, The Uchiha clan were an important clan in Konoha, and it would be bad to wrong the last one loyal to Konoha. He would have to make a strong example out of Naruto, his parents, and of course the current female Hokage soon enough, while making the Uchiha have their possessions as reparations for the wrong they committed. And if they didn't go along with it, the Fire Daimyo would order their execution and have them be declared traitors of Fire Country. The next match is between Iburame Shino and Sabaku no Gaara of Suna, declared Genma, with Gaara appearing immediately while Shino didn't move from his spot. Why? The boy was thinking and thinking hard. Contrary to popular belief, the Nara clan was not the only clan to have and produce the smart tactical geniuses that helped Konoha survive 3 shinobi wars. The Iburame had helped contribute to the war effort in the same way, which was by treating the village like a hive, and the Hokage being the queen that ruled over them. As such, there had been several Iburame who had demonstrated their intellect rivaled the Nara clan on many occasions. Their only real weakness, or rather their inability to surpass the Nara clan in that field, was their inability to think illogically, or outside the box if you will. When a Nara clan member thinks up a strategy, he thinks of every possible outcome the enemy might pull when attacking from all angles, all directions, and every way possible. When an Iburame clan member thinks up a strategy, they think based on logic, and logic only in terms of how the enemy would act in a logical manner. The only problem with that, however, is most of the time, humans do more often than not think illogically, or think logically at times when planning something out when in battle. The Iburame clan's ability to outmaneuver someone was limited by that extent, since they followed the logical path where people reacted in a logical manner. It was why the Uzumaki clan was always able to stump them years ago when discussing strategies. The Uzumaki clan were known for thinking up seals and thinking in an illogical manner that surprisingly worked when the plan was put into effect. And now Iburame Shino was using his own tactical mindset to find out if he should go through with his match with Gaara. Logically, he had not competed yet against any of the opponents fighting here today, so no one knew his skills outside of his clan and his teammates when they visited. Any information the others had on him was now outdated, since it had been a month since the second stage of the Chunin exams. But the issue here was not his own skills, but rather the skills of his opponent, who clearly had not qualms with killing anyone that stood in his way. And Shino was told beforehand by Naruto that Gaara was a Jinchuriki, like the Namikaze had been, only with a weaker Biju inside this one. But the problem with that had been the seal Gaara had, which judging from the red-haired boy's eyes had been very weak. Naruto had told Shino how the other boy's eyes were baggy from the lack of sleep, and clearly Gaara's mentality was lacking just as much. Shino realized his insects would not be able to handle Gaara at all, from the sand armor to the Biju's chakra oozing out of the boy's body through the pathetic seal holding it in place. Shino knew logically that the best thing to do now was to not confront Gaara, as it would mean the end of his hive, and ultimately his life. Not only that, but Naruto had informed him of the impending invasion by Suna, and it was further proven by Kankuro's sudden desire to forfeit. A fight was going to happen soon or later, and logically Shino would need all his strength for the real fight that had yet to come. Proctor, I forfeit. I know from first-hand experience my opponent is too strong for me, and I will not risk my hive on such a dangerous shinobi, said Shino with the crowd booing. But the Iburame didn't care about that. Why should he when they were being illogical? Iburame Shino forfeits. Winner is Sabaku no Gaara from Suna, declared Genma, with the crowd booing once more with the exception of some shinobi, who knew the reason why. Well, at least I don't have to move, commented Naruto before glancing at Gaara, who was grinning a bloodthirsty grin. I'm going to enjoy this, commented Gaara with Naruto smirking. I was thinking the exact same thing. Let's see how strong you really are, Gaara. Let us see if your sand has the power to withstand my power to make things rot and die, replied Naruto with his battle axe appearing again, and it was clear the Namikaze was itching for a fight. Our son is going to mess him up, commented Minato, with Kushina nodding from their position on either side of Tsunade. The only reason neither of them stayed their hand in doing anything to Jiraiya when he protested Sasuke's disqualification was A. Tsunade wasn't a pushover, B. If they sensed ill intentions when Jiraiya got close they would have stopped the Sannin, and C. The time was not right to show just how powerful they were until the real fighting started. Of course, he's an Uzumaki and my son, Databane, exclaimed Kushina while having fire in her eyes, while Minato let out a sheepish chuckle. Ready, fight, said Genma with Gaara launching his sand at Naruto, who used Sinido to dodge it. Don't just dodge my attacks, fight, show me your real power. Show me why shinobi villagers are whispering your name with fear, demanded Gaara with his sand missing its target. Normally, I would not do this considering what it entails, but considering your request, your mental instability, and the events still to come, I will indulge you this one time and one time only, said Naruto before using Sinido to give himself a healthy distance above the entire stadium. He can fly? Asked Shikamaru while seeing Naruto hovering high in the air where the cloud were. That was so unfair. This could be either really good or really bad for Konoha, commented Anko while she had heard the rumors about what Naruto looked like when he unsealed his true power, and the damage it could cause unless doing what she knew he was about to do at a safe distance. Behold Gaara, behold the face of death itself, rot. Arrogant, said Naruto before just about everyone felt a large wave of power washing over them. A sense of dread was now filling their hearts and minds over this. While still looking up, everyone watched in horror at seeing Naruto's body being covered in a dark miasma-like energy, molding to his form, and it began to grow like a dark fire. Soon, skeletal hands appeared, the dark miasma energy turned into something of dark royal robe, a skull appeared with a crown on its head, and golden chains holding a gold object with an eye-like symbol along the neckline. Namikaze Uzumaki Naruto revealed himself as the true embodiment of death in all of its dark and cruel glory, with everyone burning the image of what they saw into their minds to be preserved for all time. Slowly, Naruto descended from the sky, and his skull-like form staring at Gaara's fear-filled face despite the mixture of an insane smile creeping up into it. Mother is afraid of you, and yet, I know I must kill you. If I kill you, my existence will last forever. I must run. No, I must fight. Yes. Fight, exclaimed Gaara with his fear and insanity mixing before lashing out with his sand at Naruto. The sand wrapped around Naruto like a whip and held onto Naruto for a time span of a few seconds before the sand dissolved into nothing. Gaara was shocked that his sand just dissolved into nothing and tried again with even more sand until he surrounded the Dark Death incarnate-based entity in as much sand as possible, only for the sand to decay around the figure of death. You see Gaara, everything dies eventually. Plants, animals, people, even elements like sand are not immune to the power of time. My power ages things drastically. Your sand is no different. Or did my little demonstration when we first met not sink into that thick head of yours at the time, said Naruto with his form hovering slightly in front of Gaara. Yeah, that's my son. Kick some ass, exclaimed Kushina happily while seeing her son showing off his power. Your power is great Namikaze, but mine is greater, stated Gaara before he launched more of his sand from his gourd at Naruto, who summoned Gran Kaido, and cut the sand to pieces. You have no idea what real power is, Gaara. I control the one true absolute in this world. Sooner or later, we will all die. Plants die, animals die, people die. The only question is how they die, and with a select few having a choice in that matter. Many do not get that sacred privilege when the time comes, stated Naruto with Gaara quickly going through hand signs and formed a ball of sand over his body. The time is now. I need to start the invasion, thought the Kazekage, as he quickly made a few hand signs, and signaled Baki to do his job to make his forces outside of Konoha's walls to attack. Explosions throughout Konoha erupted, shaking the stadium in the process, and shocking many that something like this was happening. The only people in Konoha who were not caught off guard were those who knew the attack was coming and those who planned it. I already know what you plan to do behind that ball of sand, Gaara. As such, I am waiting to see your Biju manifest itself before acting accordingly. Though if you do disappoint me when I see the final product, I will kill you right here on the spot, stated Naruto while staring down at the ball of sand below him. Tanuki Niri no Jutsu, said Gaara from within the sand before letting sleep take him and the Biju sealed inside now getting full control. Alright, I'm coming out, exclaimed Shukaku excitedly before the ball of sand grew larger until it showed the one-tailed Shukaku in all its glory. So this is what a Biju looks like when let out. Not bad, though considering you are the weakest of them all, I was still expecting something more. It's a shame really. In another lifetime, we could have been, Gaara, said Naruto with Shukaku growling at him. You punk, you may think you're hot shit, but I'm going to mess you up, exclaimed Shukaku angrily while the skull face of Naruto seemed to somehow form an evil grin. Bring it, was Naruto's response with the two glaring at each other. If there was ever a moment in time when a fight between two sides was considered the battle of the century, this was it. Shukaku, the one-tailed Biju, was fighting off what many believed was a real-life Shinigami. The true embodiment of death was fighting off against a Biju, who could destroy anything in its path with a flick of its tail. It was a case of death versus destruction. Such power. Even now, it is taking everything in my power to stay standing, thought Kakashi from his position staring at Naruto while seeing Tsunade smirk. Impressive, isn't he, Kazekage-sama? Asked Tsunade while the Yondaime Kazekage gripped his armrest rightly and stared at Naruto's deathly form. That he is Hokage-sama, replied the Yondaime Kazekage with eyes filled with fear. This was what his forces would be fighting. This was the entity that killed Orochimaru of the Sannin, and Hiruzen expected him to just invade Konoha and throw his troops away in the process. Hell no. There were less crazy ways to get the Wind Daimyo's attention to bring Suna back to greatness. He needed to call of his side of the attack and needed to do it now. Ready to meet your end, Shukaku? Your big brother Kurama already met his own end when devoured upon my ascension. I have no problem doing the same to you, said Naruto while Shukaku narrowed his eyes at him before they widened. You killed him. I can't sense him in you anymore. Bastard, exclaimed Shukaku, since Kurama was part of their family and now he was gone for good. It was true, the siblings fought in the past when growing up, Kurama being an arrogant ass for having the most tails and thus being the most powerful by default, but still, they never wanted the other to die, much less die permanently. Biju died from time to time if their Jinchuriki host died before a transfer could be done. It happened, but they would always return within a span of a few years depending on their tails. But this was different. No more Kurama, no more Biju. This thing had literally killed his big brother. It was inexcusable. And soon, you will join him. The only question is, does your host come along for the ride? Said Naruto before letting out an evil chuckle that made Shukaku shiver slightly with fear and anger. Die, 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 yelled Shukaku before launching his sand right at Naruto with all his rage and fury behind, only for the sand to be battered away with Naruto wielding the axe Gran Kata. Naruto uses Sinido to move behind Shukaku, while floating there for a good minute, before the Biju even realizes the entity of death was behind it. Snarling, Shukaku tries to swipe Naruto with his claws in the hopes of shredding him to pieces, but each time he missed, not because his aim was off, but the fact Naruto was too fast, or rather seemed to be fast. Naruto actually slowed down time, a power from his Aranka for a grandfather, to make everything within the field of it to slow down considerably. So when the sharp claws of the Biju came close to hitting him, all the deathly form of Naruto had to do was move slightly to the left or right while using very little energy on his part. To the naked eye, it seemed as if he wasn't even moving. To the naked eye, it seemed the attacks were going right through Naruto with no harm coming upon his person. It was actually freaking some people out. He's unharmed by Shukaku. Our Biju is completely powerless against him, and Hiruzen wants us to invade Konoha and face this monster of monsters. Absolutely not, thought the Yondaime Kazekage while secretly motioning for his bodyguard to come forward and whispered for him to signal the invasion on their end to be abandoned, and to do it with haste. Let Hiruzen hang himself with his own supporters and sound forces attacking Konoha in order to bring about the former Sandaime's vision of what this village should be in his eyes. Why should his forces be butchered by this deathly horror when there was no return on the investment? If anything, Konoha will be weakened internally and make the Wind Daimyo rethink outsourcing missions to a rival village was a good thing. Is that it? Is this all you have? The Biju are said to be fear incarnate, to be beasts of destruction that when unleashed can reshape the landscape of the world. The only one that has my respect in that regard was Kurama, and if it wasn't for the fact he was an arrogant in his power, I would pity him. But not you. You are weak. Your mind is even weaker. Such a waste of a life given to you by your father, the sage of sixth paths, mocked Naruto while Shukaku looked even more infuriated by him. Shut up, you will not insult my father. He was great, he was a genius, he gave the human race the power of chakra and the knowledge of how to use it. They spat on his face for his efforts, exclaimed Shukaku angrily, since it had always been a sore spot for him and the rest of the Biju. Humans took what the Sage of Six Paths had given them and warped it into a means of fighting and killing each other. Weapons of war in using the elements of all kinds, and to make it worse they sealed all 9 of the Biju, the true children of the Sage of Six Paths, into human hosts to have their powers turned into weapons. The Biju had always resented that since it was an insult to them, their father, and everything the old man had stood for in life. And to make things even worse, the biological children the Sage had did nothing to stop it. Hell, they encouraged it. One wanted to seal them away to preserve the peace of the world in order for humanity to prosper with their newfound happiness, while the other wanted to use them like tools or slaves to bring the world under his egotistical rule of might makes right, while believing himself to be a god made flesh. Neither son, much less their successors in the form of the clans they created, were worthy of the Sage's power, knowledge, or love he had given to the Biju. And now this thing had permanently killed one of the Sage's Biju children. When would it end? You think I am blind or naive in this? When I absorbed all of Kurama, I gained his memories too, of your father, his love for you, how he wanted peace so badly, yet would not live to see it. I saw the memory of when his youngest child by blood was named his successor and the oldest went on a rampage. You think I do not find the system which we live in abusive and stupid? Humans are greedy creatures that do not know when to stop in their quest for being more powerful over their current status quo. Many humans deserve to die. Half the species needs to be wiped out in my view, with the other half watching so they can live extremely humble lives, said Naruto while sensing the shock and horror of his words being heard by everyone below him. Even if it was true to a certain extent, humans took the power of the Sage and warped it for their own benefit. Why have peace with your fellow man when war was so much easier? Why embrace your fellow man in friendship when you can kill him, stab him in the back, or put the fool and his family into chains to be used as property and slaves meant for obtaining profit. In Naruto's mind, humanity required a much-needed humbling experience, and he aimed to give them one on a global level one day. And yet you fight for them, countered Shukaku, while trying to figure out how to crush this creature in front of him. For them? Hardly. I fight for those worthy of my mercy. At the moment, the numbers are very small, but still I prefer quality over quantity in terms of a soul's value. They are the ones worthy saving since they are rare these days, replied Naruto while the angry Biju snarled. Well, I hope you enjoyed your time with them because they are all about to meet their end here in this stadium after I am done with you, exclaimed Shukaku, while preparing to fire a blast of wind at Naruto, knowing the Aranka boy would dodge it, and hit the people in the stands. Even if the deathly form of Naruto didn't dodge it, Shukaku was confident the attack would kill the brat, and be done with it. Either way, Shukaku would win. Fool, whispered Naruto while letting Shukaku fire his wind attack at him without a care in the world. The attack itself was a compressed ball of wind, that when fired from the mouth of a Biju, namely Shukaku, who had an insanely high wind affinity, it was an unstoppable force of destruction. It could destroy buildings, shred bodies, and cause untold damage to just about everything it hit on contact. To Naruto in his current form, it was the equivalent of a gentle breeze, and it scared the crap out of Shukaku when the Biju saw it hit Naruto dead on, yet did nothing to hurt him. He shouldn't have survived my attack after being hit at such close range. What the fuck is this thing? Thought Shukaku while Naruto let out a chuckle. You seem surprised. I understand. Such a close range hit should have destroyed me, or at the very least, injured my form badly. That is what you are thinking, correct? It is natural to feel this way and for me to see your stupefied expression. To put it in simple terms, my body can take anything you throw at it, and come out on top. Even if your big brother Kurama was here and hit me with his own blast of energy at point-blank range, the most amount of damage I would have received is a scratch. If that is all I would have received from the strongest of you, what makes you think your little ball of wind from the weakest of the Biju could do? Explained Naruto while seeing Shukaku take another step back. I will not die quietly. I will fight you tooth and claw, said Shukaku with Naruto once again letting out a chuckle. I know you will, but in the end, you are still going to die, said Naruto before he was in front of Shukaku's torso and sliced the Biju in half. AHHH, what the fuck, yelled Shukaku while falling backwards, hitting the stadium wall, and sending sand everywhere, and Gaara to the floor where the sand acted as a cushion for his body. While the sand began to slowly reform into Shukaku again, Naruto spent his time using Gran Kaido to slice into the sand to make it take longer for the reformation to occur. He could easily kill Gaara, or simply punch the boy to wake him up, thus make Shukaku get sent back into Redhead's mind. But Naruto didn't want that. He wanted the Biju to be pissed off, angry beyond measure, making the short patience of the one-tailed Biju burn up quickly to the point where Shukaku lashed out wildly when his temper reached its very short limit. Come on Shukaku, fight back. This one-sided fight is hardly worth the time I spent being in this form to fight you, said Naruto while Shukaku reformed enough to use the sand to send tendrils of it at the Aranka. I hate you so much, exclaimed Shukaku while trying reform himself and fight off the Aranka above him. But reforming was taking too long. Tell it to someone who cares, said Naruto before he had enough playing around with the Biju and used Sinido to appear next to the unconscious form of Gaara. No. Stop it, exclaimed Shukaku while thinking the deadly creature was about to kill his vessel and the Biju by extension before seeing the sand demon die permanently. You want me to stop? Fine. Give the brat control of his body again and from now on, do not screw with his head anymore, demanded Naruto while his axe was ready to slice Gaara's head clean off if the Biju didn't comply. Alright, fucking bastard, exclaimed Shikaku, knowing this was probably his one chance to keep his life and aimed to take it, which is why he made a sand fist and punched Gaara in the head to wake the brat up. What? No. Get back, exclaimed Gaara in fear and panic when he realized his situation and saw the deathly entity floating in front of him. Oh really? And why should I? Your demon has retreated away from me and you are in no position to fight me. All that is left is to swing my weapon and take your head from your body, or I could use one of my other powers and turn your body into a decaying corpse before nothing of it remains, replied Naruto while seeing Gaara was having a moment of clarity with his madness of wanting to kill leaving him and the fear of dying taking over. Gaara, exclaimed Temari before she moved to stand in Naruto's way with Kankuro soon joining her. Temari? Questioned Gaara while seeing Temari stand up for him, though Gaara couldn't understand why since he had been a horrible brother and person to her when growing up. Stay back, commanded Temari while Naruto chuckled. How courageous of you, how noble, you love your brother very much, even if he has been undeserving of it, so why should I show him mercy? Explain why I shouldn't end his life, his very existence, Explain why I shouldn't simply remove every trace of his body from this world, asked Naruto while Temari looked from him to Gaara with sad, yet happy eyes. He's my brother. I know we never had a good relationship growing up, but he's family. I never hated him for what happened to our mother being used as a sacrifice to seal the one-tailed Biju into him. I love my brother, even if he never saw it, or knew it, said Temari while Gaara was shocked by this news with Kankuro supporting the notion. Ever since that night, when their uncle tried to kill him, Gaara had hated the world, and its people with all his heart. He had denounced love because someone who claimed to love him had lied. He thought everyone around him in Suna hated his existence and the only one who could love him was himself, but his sister and brother loved him. How could he not see it? Was his rage and hate so powerful that Gaara chose not to see it? And what makes you think that is enough to stay my hand? Asked Naruto while Temari looked up at him with fierce determined eyes. Because you were like Gaara once. I asked around about you, how they hated you, how they still hate you, how you were once the Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi. They made it no real secret to how they treated you growing up and the abuse you went through. You wanted to be loved and never got it. Gaara's life was the same when growing up. Hated, called names, and attacked mercilessly by assassins sent by our own father because he saw his son as a faulty weapon. Both of you wanted love and were denied that one way or another when growing up. I want to help Gaara know what is it like to embrace love. Please do not deny him this. Please, exclaimed Temari while Naruto stared at her with his skull-like face giving nothing away. There was no chuckle, there was no growl of annoyance, there was no sound from the deathly entity while he stared down at the determined Suna woman, her puppet-using brother. You bring up some interesting points. In truth, I was going to spare Gaara his end since I went through all that effort to get Shukaku back in his head, remarked Naruto at last before putting away his weapon and transformed back into his human form. If you were planning on sparing his life, why did you act otherwise? Asked Temari while Naruto smirked. Because I wanted to know your reasons for standing up for Gaara. I wanted to know if it was because you saw him as a weapon for Suna to use, or because you cared for him as a sibling and actually cared about his life as a person. Had you done it for the former, I would have taken your heads right in front of him, replied Naruto while Temari went pale in the face. Gee, good to know, remarked Temari while Naruto's smirk became more gentle. In any case, I won the match, so get your brother healed up. From the drain of bringing out Shukaku, he will need quite a bit of rest, said Naruto with Temari putting away her fan and helped Gaara up. Temari, I'm sorry for everything, whispered Gaara while Temari herself just smiled gently at her little brother. It's okay Gaara, everything just became twisted up until now. We can change it for the better. We have a clean slate to work with, replied Temari while Gaara smiled a gentle smile at her. I would like that very much. I want that with Kankuro too, said Gaara with Temari's smile increasing. I think we can arrange that, replied Temari, while looking back at Naruto and silently said thank you to him. Winner, Namikaze Uzumaki, Naruto exclaimed Genma, while the crowd cheered at seeing such a display of skill and power. Well, the people outside of Konoha did. Most of the people within booed despite their booing was drowned out. In the stands, Jiraiya frowned since the signal to attack was supposed to come from the Kazekage during the fight Naruto had with Gaara, but the signal never came and the invasion wasn't happening unless Sensei gave the sign to attack. The Sannin frowned since he suspected the Kazekage got cold feet seeing Naruto transform and didn't have the courage to signal the Suna and Sound forces to attack, not to mention the sizable chunk of leftover root agents Sensei had obtained following Danzo's death were also waiting in position to strike. Damn, looks like I will have to signal them. I didn't want to, but Sensei said it might happen if the brat showed off his power. Considering how the one-tailed Biju was not only beaten, but threatened into submission, he was right, thought Jiraiya while he was hoping it wouldn't come to this and signaled for the attack to start, which was why the explosions happened moments later within several places throughout the village and setting the plan spent years in the making into motion. Your handiwork Kazekage-sama, questioned Tsunade while the Kazekage clearly did not expect this to happen, either because it happened without his authorization on his end, or because he called off his forces waiting in hiding and someone was forcing his hand.
No, it is not, replied the Kazekage honestly, since he knew his forces would abandon the plan the moment his signal to abort was issued. Even now, Suna troops should be withdrawing. The Kazekage knew that his most trusted commander and Jounin sensei to his children, Baki, wasn't a fool. He knew the signal was issued and was most likely ensuring the orders were carried out throughout the ranks to get their forces back home safely. So what was Hiruzen and Jiraiya doing? The explosion made the Kazekage look like he was attacking and directing Konoha as a whole to focus on him. Did the Toad Sannin or Hiruzen somehow find out about Suna's withdrawal? Were they trying to force his hand? Have Suna attack Konoha anyway, if only to rescue their Kazekage from being captured or killed? Either way it did not look good. I know of your plans Kazekage-sama, but I also know you didn't do anything to signal an attack on my village just now.
Which means your co-conspirators didn't are forcing your hand. So you can either fight beside my forces or you can join my enemies and be slaughtered to the last man, offered Tsunade with the Kazekage looking from her to Naruto in the arena. The boy was currently being attacked by a group of sound nin, who were disguised as civilians in the arena, and being killed with ease. The memory of the boy transforming and defeating Shukaku was a memory he wouldn't soon forget anytime soon. My forces have already been ordered to pull back prior to this, however, they will no doubt redirect themselves to come back, if only to protect me. If I were allowed to leave to rejoin them outside of Konoha, they would not have such an excuse to return, said the Kazekage with Tsunade's eyes narrowing. Kushina will get you outside our walls, but should you betray this act of trust, Kazekage-sama, you will not live long enough to enjoy it, said Tsunade while Kushina appeared next to the Kazekage, grabbed him, and used Sunido to take him outside. Your orders, Hokage-sama, asked Minato while acting as a shinobi right now under Tsunade's command. Find Jiraiya, beat him, maim him, kill him if you wish, but I want him, my former sensei, and all their followers either dead or captured. Go, commanded Tsunade while acting like a Hokage would in times of conflict before she descended into the fray of the fight in the stadium seats. And sure enough, the chaos was immense. Sound nin disguised as civilians attacked Konoha nins in the stands. Root nin that had been obtained by Hiruzen and Jiraiya were attacking Konoha nin, who they had known for years. Some of the remaining Suna nin still in the stands had tried to fight with Konoha nin loyal to Tsunade after the signal to abandon their part in the invasion from the Kazekage had slowly made its way through their ranks during the fighting between Naruto and Gaara. After seeing the battle, they could see why the Kazekage was backing out of the invasion. Anyone who could fight off the one-tailed Biju and rumored to have killed the Nine Tails was not someone you wanted to fight. Hence why those inside Konoha were quickly receiving report in their ears that their Kazekage was outside of the village ordering a full retreat. As for the sound nin invading from outside at another section of the village, they were quickly slaughtered by 3 squads of Anbu led by Anbu Captain Nico. She had been put on the front lines where the sound nin were invading in order to take her frustrations of losing her lover out on them. While Nico wanted to lash out at Baki for his role in the death of Hayate, it had been Minato to being the one to talk to her about it after word had reached him of someone on Hiruzen's secret subordinate list paid the woman a visit at her home. When Minato visited her a day later, she told him how the agent told her how Jiraiya's spy network managed to find out that Baki was the murderer of Hayate. The former Shodaime Hokage informed her the information was true. It was done with the intent of Hiruzen using her as a pawn against Suna. When Yugeo asked what her role was in the scheme created by the former Sandaime, Minato explained it was most likely to use her hatred to attack Suna nin until she got to Baki, and weaken Suna further. The overall plan Hiruzen created would have weakened Suna to the point where they were at risk of collapsing as a hidden village within months following the failed invasion, and Yugeo would have been the pawn used to cut down a chunk of Suna's forces after Hiruzen and Jiraiya provoked, nay, encourage her hatred, driving her kill in the name of vengeance. Just as they planned, they would have ensured the female Anbu played the part in the script they wrote for her until the woman's usefulness was no longer valuable to them. She might have been Anbu and a Konoha shinobi, but a pawn for something like this scheme the former Sandaime created? Absolutely not. She would fight and die for her village, but not for someone who uses people in such a cruel way. And as for Baki, she would deal with him on her own terms, should time and Kami above provide such a moment. Konoha's secret location. Hiruzen looked at the army of root nin before him, each as emotionless as the one to their left or right of the ones he was staring at with a sense of pride. He wondered if this was what Danzo felt about Root when staring at them. It took some effort to get as many of them as he did given how many were either killed or reconditioned by Tsunade under watchful eyes, but in the end, Hiruzen was able to get a nice sizable chunk of them, and used that programmed loyalty to do what is in the best interest of Konoha. Danzo had forced down their throats to make them follow the War Hawk's former rival. It made sense after all. Hiruzen was stronger, wiser, had been Hokage twice. Danzo did not and was dead. The route that Hiruzen claimed had no problem following him based on that logic. Right now, the explosions, and the fighting above with the Sound Nin would pave the way for Root to mobilize to fight for their faction. Word had already reached him of Suna abandoning their part of the plan, and the former Sandaime Hokage planned to teach the Kazekage what it meant to betray him. When the time was right. When the time is right, you will attack certain points around Konoha. Once they are taken, we will engage Tsunade, remove her, and show the true might of Konoha is with us, not her. The Fire Daimyo has our support, though he cannot openly show it. He has stated as much, since it would put him in a bad light for siding with what many would call a rebellion within his own shinobi village. By showing our strength and winning, the Fire Daimyo can claim how impressed our might is against the ninja Konoha produces. As such, he will make the excuse that our superior might will be the forefront of Konoha's power from now on, and allow our side to take control, announced Hiruzen, with the masked Root staying quiet while they listened to him. It wasn't their place to say anything. As you have no doubt heard, Suna has backed out at the last minute of siding with us, and with the Sound Nin being coordinated to attack Konoha through Jiraiya. However, we can still win through my experience, and Jiraiya's strength combined with all of you. We will bring about a new age for Konoha, a new will of fire, one that will burn strong and stay strong, forever, declared Hiruzen with some of the root nin nodding. Your version of the will of fire is just another delusion filled with pain and betrayal, said Minato after appearing in a yellow flash with his Zanpakuto in hand. Minato, I would ask how you found me, but something says your feared Hiraishin jutsu had something to do with it. When did you tag me? Questioned Hiruzen with a snarl. I didn't. Unlike before where I needed a seal on someone or something to anchor myself when performing the jutsu, my Zanpakuto allows me to get around that issue. All I need to do now is sense your chakra and the ability of my Zanpakuto does the rest, explained Minato while his sword hilt looked like his infamous tri-prong kunai, complete with seals on the side, was held tightly in his hands, and it was clear the man was pissed. Out of respect, I would normally extend the offer of siding with us, but something tells me the offer would be refused, said Hiruzen with a scowl. And betray my son? Hell no, said Minato with Hiruzen snarling now. Your son was the key to Konoha's greatness. He would have been the pointy tip of the sword. The sharpness of the blade used to cut down Konoha's enemies one after another until there were none left, said Hiruzen while Minato scowled. And when he was no longer useful, let me guess, breed some offspring from him, seal the fox into one of his children, and kill the sire before repeating the process. You shame your sensei with your way of thinking, remarked Minato while Hiruzen narrowed his eyes at him. I do what my sensei never had the courage or conviction to do. I do what must be done to keep Konoha strong, said Hiruzen, while Minato scowled further at him. Now you sound like Danzo. At least he never hid behind the gentle grandfather that you yourself portrayed in your elderly years. He held no shame in everything, but you hid like a coward, behind your position, behind the Hokage's desk doing paperwork, behind the Hokage hat you all while pretending to be a great leader when you were pretending to be one while secretly being a tyrant. You a monster in old shriveled human skin, said Minato while Hiruzen removed his Hokage robes he had wore for his speech with the root army behind him to reveal the battle armor in its place. Says the man who is no longer fully human and came back from the dead, countered Hiruzen with Minato smirking. Perhaps I am monster in some way, Hiruzen. I won't deny it, both of us are monsters, but at least I kept my soul when I became one. You lost yours long before today. Tell me, did you kill it yourself, or did it just wither and die on its own without any help? Minato shot back while Hiruzen had heard enough. Kill him, commanded Hiruzen while his root army charged Minato with the belief their numbers, plus a former Hokage could best this abomination. Multiple flash points, said Minato suddenly before he was gone in a yellow flash before appearing again in between some root nin and flashing again to another point and flashing again and again and again until he was right in front of Hiruzen. And all around them, dead root nin. They had been slaughtered, butchered, cut to pieces. Legs, hands, feet, arms, torso, and heads were all over the place. And Hiruzen, he had Minato's sword piercing his gut with the Aranka twisting the blade for good measure. I should have made Orochimaru my successor, remarked Hiruzen while blood ran down the side of his mouth. Perhaps, but even back in those days, you weren't sure if the man was worthy of the title much less had the ability to lead Konoha. Even back in those days before nominating a successor, the sliver of doubt about Orochimaru was there. It was always there. You just chose to ignore it when the man was growing up under your tutelage. You had hoped your teachings and nurturing of Orochimaru would remove the feeling of unease, but it didn't leave you, did it? The feeling grew with each passing moment, each passing year. You knew, in your heart, you knew he wasn't right for the position. My only mistake was not seeing how sentimental you were to him and sending you to deal with your so-called failure. You were never going to kill Orochimaru, were you? Replied Minato with the former Shodaime Hokage gritting his teeth. I had no intention of killing my most prized student. Why would I? He was on the verge of perfecting his skills in splicing bloodlines, lengthening the life of others through the deaths of a few, and making Konoha great at the expense of those who would never be missed. The only reason those Anbu, who went with me that day were killed was due to them being loyal to you. Orochimaru knew this as I secretly tipped him off before our arrival so he would know to kill them. At the same time, I knew I could make it seem like I let him go out of some misplaced sentimentality, and no one would suspect any other reason, said the former Shodaime, while glaring at Minato. It figures, like teacher, like student, remarked Minato before pulling his Zanpakuto out and watched his enemy fall to his knees in pain. You won't win, Minato. Jiraiya will defeat you and Kushina. We have been preparing for this. You may have defeated me and what is left of the root forces I had saved from my former student's purge, but you can't defeat Jiraiya. He will do what is necessary and do what is right for Konoha in order to remain strong, said Hiruzen while spitting blood on the ground. Unlikely, even as I speak, my wife is dealing with him now. She has been itching to smash his face in for a long time. The only reason Kushina didn't when we were normal humans was because I had to plead with her not to do it, out of what little respect I still had for Jiraiya back in those days. Now, there is no respect, no loyalty, only him dying an agonizing death at the hands of my extremely pissed off wife. And we both know how Kushina gets when pissed off, said Minato, knowing his wife's temper was legendary in all circles of the elemental countries. Kushina was the reason the Sandaime Tsuchikage had back problems in the first place. Damn you, Minato, for all your strength and power, you do not know how to use them properly, said Hiruzen, while Minato scoffed at him. Funny, I could say the same thing about you and Jiraiya, said Minato before he took the old man's clean off. Slowly rising off the ground slowly, Minato looked down at the pile of dead bodies he made with a look of disgust. All those lives wasted, turned into soulless drones with no life in their eyes and conditioned to obey without any sense of free will. It was one of the reasons Minato had expressed his dislike of the Root program to Hiruzen in those days of old. He honestly thought his words about the issue had reached the Sandaime when the order came to shut down Root, but Minato had to realize far too late that he had been naive on the subject. Hiruzen may have made the order official, but it didn't mean the Hokage wouldn't have them lurking in the shadows, and still using them on the side. 1 Zero later, the entire area was turned into a wasteland. There was no sense of leaving anything of these people. With Kushina, unlike Minato with his weapon of choice, a certain female red-haired Uzumaki for an Aranka did not kill her opponents with her Zanpakuto. No, that was merciful. Kushina chose the path of being brutal, ruthless, feared by all who stood in her path before they were crushed in their entirety while begging for the mercy she would not give them. That was how the Uzumaki did things when crossed, betrayed, or backstabbed by those they once trusted. When an Uzumaki was hit hard, they get back up and hit even harder, much harder. You knock one off their feet, they knock you unconscious. You knock out a tooth, they knock out a few major organs. You put them in a coma, they put you through hell while in a coma before killing you. You manage to kill one, they come back from the dead in some shape or form to haunt your ass until you go crazy before killing yourself. An Uzumaki was just that ruthless. Kushina was no exception, and she was also the absolute worst person for Jiraiya to face right now in an all-out combat war situation. Hence why Jiraiya was running for his life, or rather trying to run, since Kushina would always appear in front of him at random intervals and cause the man to change direction. She had attacked his own group of loyalists, as they called themselves, completely by surprise, and ripped them apart before they could even try to do anything. Jiraiya had seen the crazed bloodlust-filled rage of Kushina before today and knew this time, the woman was on a whole different level of rage. Jiraiya wanted no part of it or Kushina, which is why he ran while the loyalists fought and died at her hands. Not that it did him any good, since Kushina made short work of them all and had proceeded to chase the Sannin down for the purpose of finishing what Tsunade started all those years ago, beating Jiraiya literally to death. You always were a coward when it came to women. Even now, you run like a child who was caught doing something he shouldn't, remarked Kushina before appearing inches from a shocked Jiraiya via Sonido and kicked him hard in the ribs, and breaking 4 of them. Yeah, well, when the person chasing me is you, any sane person would run away, said Jiraiya while cursing the fact he could only do so much against this woman since the Toads had essentially cut all ties with him, meaning no summons, no sage mode. Even if he did have the ability to use it, Jiraiya suspected Kushina would not allow him time to change. Ma and Pa had not been happy with what had befallen Naruto, and the fact Jiraiya had helped contribute to it did not help matters either. They had been infuriated. Add to the fact Minato had returned and met with the Toads to speak to them of his displeasure only enraged the amphibian summons further over the fact Jiraiya had acted like his stupid usual self, always thinking about his own life and needs over the lives of others and trying to prove himself everyone's equal when he was not. The Sandaime Hokage had cast a massive shadow over himself, with the shadow from Orochimaru and Tsunade being massive in their own rights. Jiraiya's was minor by comparison. The man had a spy network, which almost anyone could make with enough effort. Summoning, nothing new. Even Funjutsu was nothing new or impressive at the time, since the Uzumaki clan was still around at the time and put any kind of work Jiraiya did to shame. The only thing Jiraiya did well, to a point, was he had trained a student, who, easily, surpassed him, and became Hokage of Konoha, if only for the briefest of times. For years Jiraiya rode the waves of said fame, using his once dead student as a means to get laid with countless women in brothels and seedy bars, saying, "I trained the Yondaime Hokage, the hero of Konoha," made a lot of people bow to you and a lot of women feel they slept with someone important, even if said someone was in his slowly increasing elderly years. After what you did to my son, after you betrayed Minato, me, did you honestly think your actions would not have repercussions? Asked Kushina before she was behind him and slammed her knee into the back of his spine, with the Sannin struggling to stand up on his knees. Honestly, no, I didn't. No one did. Everyone who cared about the boy was either dead or brought to heal after yours and Minato's deaths. Everyone who hated the brat was in the majority, just as Sensei hoped when he came back into power. No one was going to stick up for your son. Why would they? Everyone hated him. Those that didn't were watched and threatened in case they tried to make his life marginally better. If only he didn't put on that damn crown, it would have all gone the way it meant to be. If only the damn brat didn't find a way to become beyond powerful and bringing you and Minato back, it would have all gone the way we planned, exclaimed Jiraiya while looking up at Kushina, who just glared at him. Nothing goes according to plan, Jiraiya. In life or as a shinobi, you shouldn't even be meddling in thing like that so-called prophecy, the elder toad blabbed to you. The fact he even told you it was a violation of the sacred rules laid out by the ancient gods and deities above. Rest assured, the old toad will face some serious problems later on about that when the time comes. But you will suffer for your actions, your betrayals. You will suffer for all the harm you caused in the name of your so-called prophecy and secret ambition to be out of your sensei's shadow, said Kushina, while Jiraiya snarled up at her and found his back was too badly injured to stand. I have every right to do what I did. I wasn't about to consumed by sensei's shadow, or live in my students after he became Hokage. I have a right to carve out my legacy in life. The prophecy was going to be a means to cement a legacy beyond them, and I finally get the respect I deserve, exclaimed Jiraiya before he was punched in the face and lost some of his teeth. Peeping on women and writing smut-based using their likeness is not the way to get people to respect you, Barker, countered Kushina, while Jiraiya spit out blood and another tooth with his eyes showing the woman he didn't care. That depends on the people. I want respect from you, redhead bitch. I never wanted it from you or any of the women in my life. Not even Tsunade. I don't respect women or kunoichi in general. I will never have any respect for women. Why should I? Because you say so. Go to hell. You want to hurt me for being what I am, for believing what I do. Go ahead. Maim me, kill me, you won't change anything. People like me, whether they demean women, want more power, or wish to control prophecies for the greater good, we are everywhere in this world, in every place, every rank, every key position in every country. Meanwhile, people like you, the world has no place for your wave of thinking or the minority that believe it, spat Jiraiya angrily while Kushina cracked her knuckles. Oh, I will maim you, Jiraiya, I will kill you. As for the people like you, it's a good thing there are so many who think as you do. Because now I won't be bored in the coming years when I hunt them all down and kill each one slowly like I am about to do to you, said Kushina, while Jiraiya spit out some more blood. Do your worst, you redhead slut. Your time will come soon enough, and when it does come no one will bring you back, remarked Jiraiya, while Kushina grinned evilly down at him. Bad choice of words, Jiraiya team. Very bad choice of words, replied Kushina before she unleashed her hatred, fury, rage, and vengeance upon the Sannin. All Jiraiya could do was scream out in pain as Kushina slowly ripped the man apart until the red-haired Uzumaki killed him by ripping what is left of his body in half. When she was satisfied with her work, the perverted man had screamed at her when she was ripping him apart. He cursed her, threatened to somehow haunt her from beyond the grave, to hurt Naruto's own children, anything and everything she cherished, even going so far as to say he would find a way to kill his own student, her husband, Minato, in front of her. Naturally, it only infuriated Kushina further, and provide additional incentive to make the man suffer for his past, present, and future actions he wished to undertake on her family.
Never let it be said Uzumaki Kushina wasn't thorough in her work. Chunin exam arena. If one were to define Naruto's skill with his axe, it would be summarized in few short, yet accurate words. Skilled master of death seemed to portray this the best. A lot of the attacking force in the arena had gone right after him. They believed with him powering down to his normal state, his level of strength had been lowered, and Naruto himself was weakened from his fight with Gaara. No matter how one-sided it was to just about everyone witnessing it, that was their first and ultimate last mistake they made when facing him. Naruto's strength was beyond human, beyond anything that anyone had ever seen before in their life. He swung his weapon with one hand, severing limbs and heads from their bodies with each new victim that was in his crosshairs. He sliced them in half vertically, horizontally, and diagonally with none of his enemies getting remotely close to him. Any projectiles or jutsus that were launched his way, he either dodged them or they dissolved before their very eyes. One enemy shinobi actually got close enough for Naruto to grab by the face before using his aging power to make the man's skull brittle before crushing it with ease. While Naruto was doing his thing, the shinobi loyal to Tsunade did theirs, and flanked the enemy located elsewhere. Zabuza was having a field day right now, cutting through his enemies left and right. The Shodaime Hokage had provided him intel on who were supporting Hiruzen's secret coup. They were scattered all over Konoha, either alone or in groups, awaiting orders when the explosion happened. Some managed to cause damage where they were located, some more than others, but Zabuza was quite efficient in his efforts to move from place to place.
And he wasn't the only one. Haku was also on the move, also knowing about the potential threat locations, but did not kill them since she felt they would be more useful alive for future interrogation. There was information these people would know, additional agents, secret base locations, and anything else unknown to the Hokage at the moment. Haku had no idea Ibiki would send her a fruit basket with a thank you card attached to it for all the fresh victims she sent to his doorstep. There seems to be no end. To think so many people would side with the former Hokage and oppose the current one simply over Naruto-kun, said Haku to herself while in her hunter nin garb complete with mask and saw smoke rising in certain areas of the village showing the damage done. Nothing truly major mind you, but still, it was disheartening for the girl to see such a place filled with beauty show its darker, and arguably the uglier side of life. It reminded Haku of the past with her parents and how the ugliness of humanity had robbed the girl of a loving family. The Mizukage's bloodline purge had brought out the ugliness of humans and their fear, if not dislike for all things considered not normal, or different from the eyes of normal people without bloodlines, such blind hate for all things different. It had no business being in this world. With any luck, this confrontation would purge the hate-filled cancer within this village before she along with Zabuza could purge such a cancer from Kiri. Haku could only imagine how her homeland was suffering. People dying needlessly, men, women, even the children dying in a senseless war being fueled by senseless hate. Haku would quietly ask Naruto for help on the issue. If there was anyone she could trust to help her end the rule of the current Mizukage, it was him. Elsewhere, we need to hurry. If anyone loyal to Tsunade learns I let you out, I will be hunted for the rest of my life, commented Kakashi while letting Kabuto out of his cell. Well, you are siding with the former Sandaime and Jiraiya in their coup against Tsunade. What do you expect? Questioned Kabuto with a knowing smirk on his face. I expect you to get out of here and go underground, until the time is right to strike out against the Hokage. Can you at least do that? Countered Kakashi while Kabuto's smirk grew. Of course. If there is one thing I know how to do, it is to stay hidden. Plus, I have to wait until my limbs fully regenerate. Your sensei made my capture very painful. I will have to return the favor someday, said Kabuto while walking away from them. Oh, we can't have that, commented Naruto while Kakashi and Kabuto's eyes went wide in shock and horror. What? How did you know to come here? I thought you were still fighting in the arena, questioned Kakashi with Naruto smirked. I was fighting and I killed everyone who came after me. Everyone else was outflanked by Tsunade and those loyal to her. When I sensed you were no longer in the arena, I did a little checking for your chakra signature. What a surprise to see that it should be here of all places, freeing Orochimaru's final student from his prison. That's low, even for you, said Naruto while Kakashi narrowed his eye at him. Sandaime-sama and Jiraiya-sama need all the help they can get to defeat Tsunade in order to take over Konoha, said Kakashi while Naruto smirked and chuckled. Difficult for them to do with their lives violently snuffed out. Mother and father took care of them personally, replied Naruto with a small laugh and was enjoying seeing the shocked look on the faces of his enemies. No. It is not possible. Sandaime-sama and Jiraiya-sama were supposed to live following the coup and to lead us to a restored Konoha. With them gone, who will bring back what we once had? Thought Kakashi while glaring at Naruto. And it's not just them, but their loyal supporters and agents throughout Konoha are being hunted down as we speak. It won't be long before all of them are either dead or thrown into prison. Though which one you will fall under is currently up in the air, said Naruto with Kakashi raised his headband to show his Sharingan. I will fight you with all of by being Naruto. I won't die so easily, said Kakashi and went through the hand signs to form the Reikiri. You can fight me all you want, Kakashi. You will still lose, though admittedly, I won't be the one killing you, said Naruto before he used Sinido to get in front of a retreating Kabuto and thrust a hand through the spy's chest, and ripped out of the man's heart, before crushing it. He won't be the one to kill me. What does that mean? Thought Kakashi before he was stabbed in the back of his head with a kunai from one Mitarashi Enko. Bastard. He went on about loyalty to comrades, but in the end, it was all a bunch of crap from a hypocrite, spat Anko while she looked at Naruto, who glanced down at the fallen form of Kakashi before focusing on her. Does it really surprise you? The man reads porn, is late for assignments, meetings, and anything else without a care in the world. He saw himself as the son my father should have had in life, a spot that was mine by right and by blood. A spot he could not stand being usurped by me, especially by me, commented Naruto before he narrowed his eyes and glanced in a direction to his right. What is it? Asked Anko with Naruto snarling. The Uchiha never learns, even now, he does something stupid, remarked Naruto before he used Sinido to head towards the moron. That's not a good sign, commented Anko before she rushed off to help take out more of the former Sandaime Hokage's loyalist, with Sasuke. Hold still, bitch, commanded Sasuke while he tried to attack Ino with a kunai in hand and his skill in taijutsu. Fuck off, Uchiha, you would kill a fellow shinobi of Konoha, You're lower than trash, commented Ino while Sasuke had a crazy look in his eyes while they were fighting in the Uchiha, putting her on the defensive. You make it sound like it matters. Not to me, not to an Uchiha. Comrades, friendship, loyalty to others, it means nothing to us. Power is the only thing that matters. Hurting others is our bread and butter. Always has been since the days when Uchiha Madara was barely a teenager. I have no love for Konoha, or the people who live in it. When I rip you to pieces, I will show your remains to that loser you would call a husband. I will laugh as he cries tears of sorrow and is denied something he should never been allowed to have in the first place, exclaimed Sasuke while trying to hurt Ino by targeting her face and upper body. No point in damaging the lower part of the girl. Not yet. Not until he was done with her after beating the girl senseless. You are a bastard. Naruto came from nothing while you had everything growing up. The moment he obtains some measure of happiness, you have to take it away because it makes his life better than yours, said Ino while trying to push Sasuke back using a kunai of her own against the Uchiha's blade. Of course, no one is allowed to have a better life over mine. I won't allow it. I will take the happiness people have and destroy it. It doesn't matter who they are or what they do in life. Besides, why should anyone aside from myself know what happiness feels like? Exclaimed Sasuke while knocked Ino into a wall and had his kunai pressed against her throat. And what do you consider happiness, Sasuke? Asked Ino while hoping to stall for time so someone could get the Uchiha off of her or possibly attack his mind before he could slice her throat. Easy, you dumb bimbo. This world on its knees submitting to me as its one true Lord, Master, and God, answered Sasuke with his grin never leaving him. The only thing you could be called the god of is arrogance and stupidity, countered Ino before spitting in his face, and naturally, it pissed off the Uchiha greatly. After I'm done with you, the mirrors you love to pose in front of will no longer be your best friend in the morning, said Sasuke coldly, while Ino to his surprise smirked. And after I'm done, your mind will no longer be yours. Mind shatter jutsu, exclaimed Ino with her left hand shooting out and touching Sasuke's right temple, and it was in that moment, Sasuke whirled as well as mind, shattered like glass being hit by a projectile. Now, for those who might not know Sasuke family tragedy, his entire clan with the exception of his big brother Itachi, were killed on a single night. Uncles, aunts, cousins, grandparents, granduncles, and grandaunts fell in a single blood moon night, all at the hands of Uchiha Itachi himself. Even Sasuke's and Itachi's parents were no exceptions to being killed by the eldest of the clan head's children, leaving dear old Sasuke as the only loyal Uchiha left, with Itachi leaving after his mission was done. And even before leaving, Itachi had scarred Sasuke mentally and emotionally on a level few could begin to understand. Showing the death of everyone killed for 72 hours in a Jinjutsu world can do that. Even still, Itachi's actions had an effect on the boy, planting seeds of hatred and darkness that not even Itachi himself could have imagined. When he encouraged Sasuke to hate, it had been done so the youngest would direct all that hatred built up over the years at the eldest of the Uchiha brothers. What Itachi failed to realize was Sasuke may choose to never stop hating everything and anything around him, because the boy hated seeing other people happy, having happy lives, happy families, happy everything. What Itachi failed to realize is that Sasuke had the power of choice and thus to choose to continue hating, choosing to hate everything the world has to offer, and would lash out at everyone for it out of spite, something that was clearly shown and ignored by the powers that ran Konoha when the Uchiha massacre happened. Did they try to reverse it? No. Did they try to stop it? No. Did they try to heal the Uchiha's mental and emotional scars at all? No. Why? Because the Shodaime Hokage and others around him felt his importance to Konoha was too great to suppress. Instead they provoked and encouraged the hatred within Sasuke, so the boy would develop a drive to get stronger and stronger until the boy unlocked his Sharingan. Once that happened, Kakashi would train the boy on how to use his eyes, and be their secret weapon against Naruto in the years to come when his usefulness ran out. In truth, Sasuke was meant to be Naruto's secret handler when Kakashi, Yamato, or Jiraiya were not available to keep the Kairubi within the Uzumaki in check before the Uchiha had ended the Jinchuriki's life. Once Naruto was dead, Sasuke was to made into a hero and future Hokage for his troubles in life with the entire village behind him. Only now, such things were lost beyond recovery in more ways than one. In regards to Sasuke's mind, from what Ino just did, all the negative energy in mind, body, and in his very soul had just hijacked by the girl to redirect its efforts into attack itself on mental level. The whole point of the mind shatter jutsu Ino used was to take the energy of the person, regardless if they were good or bad, and turn it on the host body, making the pre-verbal snake eat its own tail until the snake wanted more of itself and eventually ate itself in its entirety. It was especially dangerous against people with dark, evil minds, namely because the darkness inside the target didn't know when to stop attacking. It didn't know the meaning of the word restraint and simply did what it wanted without even remotely thinking about the consequences of its actions, as was the case here with Sasuke. His own inner darkness, His own hatred for life, if not the world, and the people living in it had been given a mental override command to attack itself, to destroy the mind it inhabited and in the process, destroy itself without any hope or chance for recovery. So it was no real surprise to know that the Uchiha fell over in a slump on the ground. Drool was coming out of his mouth while his eyes wide and empty. In short, the lights were on, but nobody was home. Good luck repopulating your clan with your tiny dick and no brain activity to get it up, Uchiha, spat Ino before she kicked him in the ribs for good measure. Looks like I didn't have to do anything after all, commented Naruto after he appeared via Sunido and seeing Sasuke on the ground. The Barker was so obsessed with hurting me my upper body, he ignored my hands, and didn't think I would try anything with a blade to my throat, explained Ino before she gave Sasuke another kick for good measure. His misfortune, your advantage. You used it perfectly, said Naruto before he glanced down at Sasuke with a look of disdain on his face. Such a waste of a life, all that hate being channeled at all the wrong people. Sure, Naruto had hate in his heart too, but he only aimed it at those who had hurt him, and his family in the past. Did he lash out at Hinata? No. Ino? No. Hana? No. The Anbu who actually did their job in protecting him? No. Hell, Itachi himself had protected him during the man's Anbu days before killing off his clan. Itachi for Kami's sake. Naruto actually might feel bad should they cross paths and kill the Uchiha, since the man was now part of the Akatsuki organization, while they no longer had a reason to go after him for the Biju, which would no longer be returning anytime soon. Retaliation for when word reached them about the fox no longer being alive, or returning anytime soon, the leader of the Akatsuki was going to be super pissed. It was still risky. I had to play on his ego and his desire to hurt me in order to distract him from my use of one-handed hand signs and channeling chakra needed to perform the jutsu. Anyone else would have spotted the act and killed me before I could use the jutsu in my surprise attack, remarked Ino, knowing it was only because of the Uchiha's own internal weaknesses did she come out of her situation alive. You simply used your knowledge of Sasuke's emotions and mindset in order to survive a near-death encounter. Worthy of a ninja in a life-and-death situation, said Naruto with praise for the girl's actions being heard clearly by Ino, who beamed with joy when she heard it. What else is happening? Asked Ino, knowing Naruto had been active in fighting enemies and taking down rogue elements throughout the village. Aside from us winning, nothing much now. By this point, our victory over the internal threats to the village is almost assured, said Naruto while Ino looked confused. Almost? Asked Ino with Naruto sighing. Just because we obtained victory over those willing to fight us, does not mean we have purged every supporter of their movement. We will have to be vigilant in the coming years after today. There will still be people in Konoha wishing you, me, Hinata, my parents, the Shodaime Hokage, and those loyal to her to fail, for us to fall, either by their hands or the hands of the enemies we have outside of Konoha. They don't care how it happens, so long as it does happen, said Naruto with Ino frowning and crossing her arms in front of her. Those backers can try all they want until they're green in the face. We will win against our enemies outside of the village and against those inside, said Ino with Naruto nodding. Agreed. Still, it will take a lot of hard work. So I hope you are prepared for the long road ahead of us, my dear, said Naruto with Ino smirking back at him. I'm not Sakura, I'm not going to rely on others, or the Uchiha to save my ass for me like she would. In fact, I can only imagine how she will react when hearing her true love is basically brain dead, replied Ino, knowing Sakura was going to flip out when she heard Sasuke now had an IQ lower than a rotting vegetable. One can only hope it will remove her from our lives on a more permanent setting, said Naruto while secretly hoping what happened to Sasuke would send Sakura over the edge and give Tsunade more reason to lock the girl away. One can only hope.